Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the Broccoli Fanfics, back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Deku Had Monster Inside Him. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. I don't think I follow, Izuku's mother repeats, glancing at her son next to her. Izuku is sitting on the wrinkled paper of the bench in the doctor's room. His fingers pick at each other anxiously, pieces of the skin around his nails flaking onto his lap. The words of the doctor are hard for him to understand. I thought. Yeah, so did we. It seems your son obtained a rare form of mutations. The doctor flips the papers folded on the clipboard in front of him. Rare, tilting her head to the side. A brow raises in confusion. She remembers seeing her son run up to her with claws instead of his usual stubby fingernails excitedly, seemingly normal on the lines mutation-wise. We don't know the full extent of his power, since it manifested later than average and not to its full potential. He clears his throat and adjusts the glasses perched on the bridge of his nose. But it seems his mutation has a different chemical makeup. We ran some blood tests to see what kind of mutation we are exactly dealing with. The chemical found responsible for mutations is in there all right, and it's higher than it should be for just claws. Izuku looks up with worried eyes. Don't worry, bud. It's nothing to worry about. The doctor chuckles. It just means the mutation is on the unpredictable side. His mom opens her mouth but is cut off. I know you are worried, Mrs. Midoriya, the doctor sighs. Because mutations like this are seen to be unpredictable, there is a small chance he will suffer complications we can't predict, and its full potential might not come in for years. He pauses to take a breath. But, with practice and patience, a quirk like this can be formed into something fine. Izuku perks, a smile cracking on his face widely. He barely registers the next words his doctor spews to his mother next, and he almost doesn't feel the cold disinfectant wipe on his arm, prepping for his quirk shots. Izuku is in his own little world. He has a quirk. Izuku believed his quirk was interesting. Undoubtedly any quirk was cool to the hero fanatic, but not everyone thought the same. Laughter erupts when he sprouts minuscule claws from his hands in an attempt to show off his new discovery to his classmate. Wow, Deku, it's more useless than I expected. Bakugo, his best friend at the time, barks. I told you, Kaken. The doctor said it's not done growing. Izuku whines, retracting the new additions to his hands. Bakugo snorts. Yeah, right. They probably just said that so you wouldn't cry like a baby. The rest of the class giggles at the comment. Izuku only illustrates his emotions. Uneven tears drip from his eyes and he turns his face to the side in shame. Like I said, that crybaby can't go a day without crying. Bakugo's voice only amplifies more as the class's snickering lowers to hushed whispering. Whoa, are his whole eyes green? One of the kids mumbles loud enough for Bakugo to catch. And with that, the short blonde stomps over to the teary greenette with curiosity. Ew, it's kind of creepy. Doesn't that hurt his eyes? What does that even do? The children buzz with comments as they observe Izuku and his newly colored eyes. Bakugo only stares with his mouth gaping open. Leaning forward, he clutches his stomach and lets out a raucous laugh. Oh my god. Not only is his quirk useless, but he looks like a freak. The class convulses with hysteria. Izuku only hoped for the same gorgonizing awe he and his classmates showed for Bakugo and the brilliant sparks that sprung from his palms. But life isn't fair to everyone. All men are not created equal. To the very core, everyone is human in some way. But with a growth of superhuman abilities, society discriminates and creates standards and labels not everyone can follow or appreciate. In Izuku's case, he can't seem to keep up with the standards the world predetermined for him. Freak. Useless. Izuku was never really quite sure what the purpose of this quirk was. It doesn't help that it never budged since 5 and it's not on the flashy side like his classmates. It's boring, really. The most his body shows is the pointy claws extended outward from his fingers, and the occasional colored eyes that appear when his emotions are unstable. It's annoying more than anything. He's scribbling in his notebook, a nail scratching the table out of habit. Wood splinters crack from the surface from each stroke. At this point, his mom will have to pay out of pocket for damaging school property. The desk is practically a safety hazard for someone's hand. His hair is messy and untamed green curls falling in front of his face as he looks down at the paper he's writing on. He tries to keep his hair on the longer side in case his eyes change without him noticing. His mother hates that he refuses to cut it shorter than the eyebrow. She always liked his eyes, but that never mattered to all the others who spit at the sight. Now that you mention it, isn't Midoriya planning on applying to Yui as well? Izuku tunes into his teacher's lecture at the wrong time. The question makes his hand sprout claws on all 5 fingers. He wants to slam his head on the desk and hope to God it knocks him out so he can avoid what comes next. As expected, the classroom quickly erupts in ear-piercing laughter. Great. Izuku grumbles and sinks into his chair, trying to ignore the cackles of his classmates. Really, is he asking to get killed? He hears comments chime in among the mocking laughs of his classmates. They will take one look at his creepy eyes and say no. Izuku places a hand on his forehead and leans an elbow on the tabletop. He really doesn't know why they even give a shit. It's not like he's ever actively bothered them in the first place. He's just unlucky to be on the bad side of society's bantering. Are you kidding me? A voice triumphantly booms over the rest of the chatter. God, and it makes Izuku want to vomit. He desperately tries to keep his gaze focused on the chalkboard facing him at the front of the room. Do you seriously think a quirk like that can even be considered? A faint sizzle emerges from Bakugo's glowing palms as he stomps over to Izuku's tattered desk. Izuku is rolling his eyes internally at Bakugo's shrewd comment. His eyes stay facing forward habitually, undoubtedly pissing off the blonde further. No one from this shitty school is allowed to get into Yui, but me, Bakugo growls, especially you freak. A palm-sized explosion crashes in front of him. He's too used to this to flinch. It isn't strong enough to add damage to the already mangled desk, but it's enough to leave behind a foul smell and soot on the edges of his notebook. Izuku clenches his fist, scraping nails against the splintered wood in a screech. Izuku can feel the heat emitting from Bakugo's hands as his palms crack and pop, heartbeat rising to his throat. He swallows it down. Bakugo looks down at Izuku's trembling fist and barks a laugh. You gonna do something? Huh. Grabbing Izuku's wrist with a sweaty hand, Bakugo yanks Izuku closer to him, causing his ribs to jolt into his desk painfully. Izuku just looks at him nonchalantly. To your seat, Bakugo, the teacher says with mild annoyance in his voice. Bakugo grunts, letting go of his wrist aggressively and walking back to his seat with a scowl. Izuku only sighs and brings his gaze back down to his notebook. Class comes to a close shortly after, and before Izuku has the chance to grab his bag and bolt, with haste, he is slammed back down into his seat with a rough hand. A long sigh is pushed out of his lips and he lets his eyes slip to the side to glare at his classmate. Bakugo is fuming. If I see your ass at the entrance exam, you're dead. Leaning forward, Bakugo's breath huffs in a ticked manner. At this point, the blonde is starting to sound monotonous. He is way too close for comfort. Izuku finds his hand starting to shake as a couple of nails pressed against the desk form points. It's just a school. Why do you care? He says bitterly, grabbing his notebook and attempting to shove it into his backpack. But, of course, it is snatched from his hands. Waving it in his hand, Bakugo leans in closer. Let's get one thing clear, Deku, Bakugo snaps, eyes narrowing. You will never be on my level. And certainly not with that fucking poor excuse of a quirk. His palms clap together, releasing a puff of sparks, catching the notebook's papers on fire. The smell of scorched ink and paper stains Izuku's nostrils. He makes a strangled yelp as all his work is promptly ruined. His chest tightens and squeezes as he inhales the rancid smell. God, you really don't know when to stop, do you? Izuku rolls off his tongue without thinking. He counts in his head a number of ways he will die in the hands of Bakugo. There are a lot. Let's be real, he's fucked. He realizes he crossed the line this time. Sure enough, his book is hurled out the open window across the classroom. Izuku sees red as his emotions crack. He desperately wants to fight back, but even he knows he could never win. He can't yell, he can't kick, bite, scratch, fight. No matter what he does, his future is sealed, and so is his notebooks. He just has to sit and take it until the blonde gets bored and makes his leave. I will stop when you get it in your thick skull, Bakugo grumbles. Just because of a predetermined power he can't change, people can't seem to accept him as a part of the strong. Bakugo especially. It's hard to pay no mind to. Izuku wants to scream. Sitting in his chair, he looks at the blonde coldly. He doesn't speak, but his eyes tell plenty. A hand grabs his shoulder, hot and blistering. His uniform releases a trail of smoke from under the hand that keeps strangling his shoulder. He goes dead still. His skin is sweltering, begging him to rip off the ruined clothing. Learn something for once, quit trying. You might as well just fucking off yourself now. It'll save the embarrassment from when they reject your sorry ass. To put things clearly, Izuku is done with Bakugo's shit. But understandably, he had to come to the harsh reality that he can't exactly stand up to Bakugo. That's how the world works. The weak cower under the socially acceptable strong, and nothing can be done about it. Izuku makes his way to the stone koi fish pond, where his notebook is seen bobbing up and down in the water. The fish are nibbling at its scorched corners, letting pieces flake off and disperse. Plucking it from the surface of the pond, he shakes off the liquid dripping from the pages and walks away, the soggy notebook still clasped in his hand. The ripened cherry blossom trees greet him as his wobbly legs carry him down the street. The breeze shakes off a few petals, landing in front of his feet. He doesn't notice. His head is stuffed with too many thoughts he can handle. The grip on his notebook only tightens. Attempting to switch the notebook around in his hands, he realizes he is stuck. Being overwhelmed and on edge, his claws extended and dug into the moist cover of the book while he was walking. Frustrated, he attempts to rip the book from his grip but fails. He shakes his hand as a cat stuck in sticky paper, but the book doesn't budge. Damn it, he shouts loudly. Reaching a small stone bridge, he groans and shakes his hand harder. No longer having patience inside, he grabs the book with his other hand and pulls. The still wet book tears in half. Something bursts inside him. Taking the torn journal, he hucks it at the wall of the bridge with a wet splat. Ripping the remaining paper off his nails, he belts out a frustrated yell. What is the point of this Quirk? He lets out an annoyed hiss. You useless. Fucking. He takes his bag off his shoulder and thrusts it at the same spot his poor excuse of a book landed. GAH. If there were people around, his sanity would be questioned without a doubt. Hey, kid. An unfamiliar voice catches his attention and he whips around. What? His annoyance is cut short when his eyes meet a grotesque creature of slime crawling out of the manhole in front of him. He feels his heart plummet to his stomach as his body freezes, its body twisting and flowing out of the crevice like a scene from a horror movie. Green goo drips and splashes on the pavement. Your Quirk isn't that powerful, but your vessel will blend it quite nicely. Its voice gurgles with each word. Bulging eyes poke from the mess of sewage. Wah! He doesn't even get a chance to run. The slime is already upon his still body. It shoves itself onto his mouth, oozing and dripping onto his clothes. With a whimper, he claws in a panic, feeling the breath leave his lungs like the burn of a cigarette. Slime merges under his nails, sticky and sickeningly wet. He can feel his eyes shifting colors. Creepy. The creature has the audacity to say that. Izuku curses in his head at the comment. He can't do anything. His vision blurs, feeling his limbs start to lose strength, suffocating slowly. And alone under the overpass, something in his head is screaming at him, growling, snarling, and banging on the sides of his skull in hysteria. Almost like a lion was caged in his brain and it's gnawing at the bars in desperation. It feels weird and unfamiliar. Almost like a second Quirk manifestation, only more ugly and aggressive. He has never felt this before, and out of panic, he inhales the slime faster. It howls. A low growl escapes from Izuku's chest, rumbling in his vocal cords. The caged beast is losing its mind. Something doesn't feel right inside his body. It feels like something is trying to push itself out and onto his skin to join the slime. Limbs trembling, head pounding, the claws on his hands growing painfully. What the hell? He hears the sludge say confusingly. There is an explosion of pain down his spine, and he screams in agony, out of nervousness from how Izuku is suddenly behaving. The slime releases its hold, dropping Izuku to the ground. On all fours, he heaves and coughs, feeling sharp fangs poke at his lips. Izuku's head is on fire. His entire body feels wrong, almost like it's misplacing itself like a broken puzzle. What the hell are you? He hears the slime monster say. It's pressing itself against the cold stone of the underpass, quivering. It flattened its body in fear like a piece of gum on a shoe. The screaming never left his head. It's only gotten louder and louder. It hurts so bad. Izuku lets out a pained yell, only it comes out twisted. Hunching his back like a feral cat, he presses his clawed hands onto the pavement. Sucking in breaths through his teeth, Izuku sounds like a mentally insane maniac. And all at once, his body is assaulted by a wave of unbearable pain. Bile shoots up his esophagus and chokes out of his mouth. It's hot, hotter than usual. Heaving, he looks at the ground and sees a sizzling neon green substance on the ground. Boiling liquid flows from his eyes and onto the ground, blinding his vision. What is going on? Looking at the horrified sludge, he reaches out a shaking hand. H help, please H help, Izuku chokes out, and with a sharp gasp, he feels the worst of the worst excruciating pain down his spinal cord, belting a strangled inhuman screech. Izuku feels his limbs changing. The sludge villain takes its chance to make its "I'm getting the fuck out of here" leave, shoving itself back in the manhole to his left. Arching his back, Izuku lets out a gut-wrenching wail, and his vision turns to a splotchy white. Izuku wakes up under the same underpass he was under, the pain in his body calmed to palpitations of concentrated aches. There is a twinge in his head, causing a quick wince out of his mouth. He tries to lift himself from the ground, but something is wrong. He can't stand on his legs like normal, and the bridge he was under is smaller than it was when he blacked out. Looking down, he sees his phone cracked on the cement. Moving closer, his reflection sends ice through his veins. He starts to lose it. Standing with trembling legs, he absconds from the bridge clumsily. Not used to the new arrangements on his limbs, it's a struggle to walk straight. Help! Someone help! Izuku can't speak. He tries, but his attempted pushes of words turn into gargled hissing. He stumbles down the road quicker, searching desperately for someone to help him. There is no one to be found. Around the corner, something explodes violently, accompanying the new blast. There is a sound of screaming and glass shattering. Mistakenly, Izuku makes his way towards the sound, hoping he can find a pro-hero or anyone to help him. There is a group of citizens clumped together in a mess, staring at something. As he gets closer, people notice his presence and let out horrified screams. Some scurry like rats, bumping into each other in manic discombobulation. No help. Please help. Awkwardly trotting closer, he makes it to where the crowd stood. To the right, fire blazes uncontrollably, charring the road and the buildings. Izuku's eyes focus and his blood boils to a temperature he can't control. Red, hot, anger takes full control of his fear, and he runs into the blazing inferno. Katsuki feels his consciousness fade away as more and more thick solvent is forced into his airway. It's been minutes, translating to hours in the blonde's brain. The feeling of suffocation drives him mad. Why are they just staring at me? The heroes haven't budged from their spot by the crowd of civilians. They can't touch the thing without hurting Katsuki, and it infuriates him. Cowards, back. Everyone stay back. The sludge villain bellows in fear. It sounds frazzled, like taking Katsuki was a last-minute decision and it is trying to work with it. Thoughts in his head turn fuzzy as the oxygen he stored in his lungs is burning up. He can feel his eyes roll into the back of his head, beginning to lose consciousness almost completely. There is a horrendous screech. It starts high and flows to a bellowing, painful growl. Its blood-curdling inhumanness snaps him awake. Looking in the direction of the scream, his eyes find the crowd and ice shoots through his veins. People are scrambling like rats while yelling in spurts of panic, trying to get away from something more concerning than the villain trapping Katsuki. In the middle of the crowd, there is something very much not human standing right in front of him. Hunched over on all fours, a large beast is heaving and snarling. Its eyes are venomous green, and they are angry. The atmosphere thins as the killing intent of the thing leaves everyone fighting to breathe. Its colossal stance topples over the heroes when it comes to height. It has to be taller than All Might. It looks like a hellhound gone wrong, wheezing in pain and trembling with every step. Messy black fur covers its body in a matted, thick nature, accompanied by overwhelming claws digging into the pavement below. The sight of it leaves Katsuki in discomfort, skin crawling, and lumps stuck in his throat. It is disgustingly nauseating. It appears to have two rib cages, one on the inside, and the other poking out of its skin like uneven jail cell bars. The bones from its spine are poking out of the back in razors. A rattling sound can be heard as it breathes in and out. Its long tail sticks out horizontally, a jittering sound joining as it swishes. There are spines sticking out of the top part of its back and tail accompanying the sharp vertebrae almost like porcupine quills. Cocking its head to the side in discomfort, its mouth is open to reveal rows of large teeth. It chokes out gargled hissing as a neon green substance starts pooling from its eye sockets and open mouth like vomit. It appears hot and almost magma-like as it lands on the ground and burns a hole through the asphalt with a sizzle. It wasn't its size that made it such a source of all panic. Not that, nor the dog face with its pointed ears, acidic eyes, wet nose, and drooling maw. It wasn't the weaponized claws, nor the sickly stature, nor the teeth poking at its lips. None of these, though any one of them might well have driven anyone to madness. It was the feeling of death and decay that flared from its body. What the hell is that thing? As it inches forward, Katsuki feels more and more distress down his spine, and he can sense the slime monster that's holding him feel the same. A choked growl spits out of its throat, and its tormented limping and pain shifts to a sudden lurching run. Hysteria consumes the blonde. Even he knows he is fucked with the situation he is in. His lungs are being suffocated. The sound of claws scratching the ground ring in his ears. He is completely, utterly fucked. He braces for the animal to sink its teeth, puncture vital organs, spill his blood, or gruesomely display his intestines on the street. Right as the monster grows close, he hears the sludge villain beg for mercy as if the creature were an omnipotent god. No, please. I'm sorry. The beast propels its unstable body from the ground and opens its jaw wide. In one snap, it's gripping on what might be considered the slime creature's head, teeth skewering its vulnerable eyeballs. The boiling liquid melts the slime in contact, and Katsuki hears it howl in pain. Quivering, the sewage tries to wrap itself around the creature in desperation. The wild dog releases its hold on its head and slams its snout into the center of its body, right where Katsuki is located. Katsuki feels something grab his torso and yank. In one motion, he is ripped from the clutches of the sticky liquid, gasping for air. His torso is in the middle of the mouth of a feral animal, and all it would take to end it all in one clean bite, slicing him in half. But it never comes. The slime villain cowers in absolute horror, begging, pleading, backing away from the pissed-off monster holding Katsuki. Katsuki is still breathing sharply, restoring his lungs from the oxygen depletion. Teeth poke at his skin as his chest rises and falls in each breath. He still waits for the bite to come, for his life to end before starting his high school career. His heart is beating in his throat, anticipating the moment. Again, it doesn't come. What is it waiting for? He can feel the hot breath on his body. The magma pouring out of its mouth is barely missing him. His head turns to face the eyes of what is holding him surprisingly gently. It droops its head, dropping Katsuki to the ground, landing on his ass with a thump. He doesn't run, nor does he scream. He just gazes at the face of the revolting horror that saved his life. It looks at Katsuki with a deadly glare, almost as if it was angry for having to save him. Before the information is processed in his brain, The monster takes off in an ungainly run and leaps onto the cowering Sludge. Everyone is deathly still, including the heroes, and the police officers shielding the rest of the public. There is a bubbling sound as the acid in the monster's mouth melts the Sludge to a diluted degree. Biting, ripping, gnarling, and tearing. The wolf creature destroys the Sludge that no one was able to even touch moments ago. The Sludge is in hysteria, screaming, begging, trying to escape the pain of the massive jaws clamped over its eyeballs and mouth. Katsuki watches the creature rip at the villain like a feral dog. But as he watches, he notices bulging tears joining the radioactive green. The air is uncharacteristically quiet. Before anyone has the chance to break their limbs from the frozen trance, it completely disintegrates the Sludge villain's entire head, leaving the villain still and cold, and in a puddle of green. All Might is really fucking late. Like, atypically late for the hero. He barges through the crowd and freezes at the now stone-cold dead Sludge villain on the ground. Katsuki watches as the hero shakes his head and moves towards the wolf with an authoritative strut, avoiding the flames bursting from each direction. Turning its head, the wolf lets out a whimper, burnt sludge dripping from its jowls. There are tears streaming down its face, almost like it's terrified of the actions it just acted on. It backs up as All Might grows close. A stream of sweat drips down Katsuki's forehead. Katsuki can feel the overwhelming presence of the hero as All Might passes him, shooting Katsuki a toothy grin and a thumbs up. Tripping on its own feet, the wolf scuttles quicker. "State your business, villain," All Might shouts, sending ice into the last word. The creature's eyes bulge wide, petrified of the way All Might just spoke to him. It opens its mouth and only lets out a low gurgle, hacking on the acid collected in its throat. Fine. Before Katsuki can blink, All Might is already in the monster's face, delivering a bone-cracking blow to its jaw. Flying backward, the wolf skids on the pavement, bones on its back scraping against the rough surface. Getting up with trembling legs, it whimpers louder, sounding afraid. Its ears are pinned to the sides anxiously, accompanied by its spine tail tucked between its legs. Again, All Might nails it in the face. This time it doesn't get up. All Might walks over to the monster and puts a bulking hand on the back of its hairy neck, holding it down. It doesn't struggle, it just goes limp under his touch. Police cars and vans blast through the barricades, slamming to a stop in a circle around All Might and the monster. Sirens blaring and piercing Katsuki's ears. A police officer touches Katsuki's shoulder, making him jump. He doesn't hear what the officer says to him, because as he makes eye contact with the wolf sprawled on the ground, it whispers something very faint. "Help me, please." And it passes out. Izuku wakes on the surface of what looks and feels like a tar pit. Eternal darkness swallowing the atmosphere, suffocating and cold. He is no longer at the scene of the hostage situation, but somewhere wrong. It's a personalized room from hell. His insides twist, feeling absolute terror from the unknowingness of his surroundings. Belly cramping from the foggy memories in his head. Where is Bakugo? A flash of his classmate pinned under rows of fangs churns his stomach. The hero's trembling body's fear-soaked eyes. The feeling of All Might's fist connecting with his face returns. Bile creeps up his esophagus. He can still feel the acid on his face and the Sludge villain's body stuck in his teeth. Izuku just might puke. Something skitters, turning his head to the side. His eyes match with green. Angry, sour green. The monster he once felt moments ago in his skin is snarling with teeth bared, fur on end. It barrels towards him as he did to the slime monster. The floor slushes with each step. Izuku opens his mouth to scream, only letting out a squeak. His lungs are tight, pressing, pushing, desperately attempting to release a yell. Twisting his body, he scrambles, clawing at the liquid floor in desperation to get away. A tangled mess of slick tar and limbs. He isn't fast enough. The loose floor only negates his attempt to escape. He waits for it to open its massive mouth over his body and clamp tight, for his blood to spill and his organs to fail. It runs past him. Turning around, Izuku finds an exact copy of himself, only it stands completely still with absolute numbness. And in an instant, the beast lurches its body towards him. It grabs his twin and chomps onto his belly, spraying blood everywhere. It is horrific. With bony claws, it perches over the split body in a crouch, gnawing on his liver as a child that nibbles at fresh candy. He can hear its teeth sinking into each piece of flesh, squishing and ripping. Izuku can only watch as his blood paints the maw of the beast. He can only watch his intestines be ripped in half like licorice. He is being eaten alive, being replaced by something he doesn't recognize. And Izuku can only watch. Izuku jolts awake to a very violent jerk. It was only a dream. Only when he opens his eyes fully, he realizes all of it wasn't a dream. He's sitting in a metal box or the back of a car. Something jerks him again. Yeah, it's a vehicle of some sort. Its light metal walls and floor make his skin shiver. Looking down, he notices his body is still shifted in that monstrous form. What happened? Memories are shoved in his brain all at once. Panic flushes over him as he realizes the extent of the situation he's in. Looking around, Izuku searches for a way out of this. It must be one of the police vans, only it's more massive to compensate for Izuku's size. Standing up, he sniffs the area. It's cramped once he stands, spines and bones touching the roof of the van. His fur stands on end from the anxiety whispering in his body. He doesn't know where he is or how fast the van is going. Muffled voices come from the front, grabbing Izuku's attention. Pressing a pointed ear to the wall, Izuku scoots closer and listens. "Man, what a monster," the first voice states. It seems to be from a male. "I know, right? The thing really tore into that Sludge villain," the second voice replies, also male. Izuku feels tears welling up in his eyes as he listens. He really doesn't want to remember that. "Man, I can't believe we have to take it there." Well, they didn't want to risk a normal jail cell. It's crazy that it's not even getting a trial. Just straight to Tartarus. It doesn't even speak. "It'll be easier for everyone if we just throw it in there and move on with our day." Ripping his ear from the wall, he stumbled back and slams into the back of the van. Tartarus. More and more panic and terror-stricken thoughts fill his head, blocking all cognitive thoughts. He flips around and tries clawing at the back door, biting, slamming against it with all his weight. Nothing is working. He slams again and again and again. His breathing becomes rapid and uncontrollable. The side of his body aches from the hard blows. As a caged animal would, he does everything he can to escape. He flops to the side in defeat after the metal doesn't budge, throwing the van to the side in the process. "Hey, quit moving around back there." An idea dings in his head. It's not a very good idea. Let's be real, but it's an idea. Standing again, he backs up to the left as far as space will allow, and he launches his body with full force into the right side. Tires squeal and the vehicle shakes and wobbles. It makes Izuku dizzy. "Shit." He hears one of the voices yell before the entire van flips onto its side and slides on the pavement with a harsh screech. Izuku is thrown around like a rag doll in the back of the van as it collapses. Tires of other cars skid to stomps. "Now's my chance." With the rest of the physical strength he can muster, he winds one of his clawed paws back and swings. Piercing the metal with success, he yanks, tearing the metal like a tuna can, squeezing his massive body through the space, wiggling and grunting like a fish out of water. Izuku slips out and scampers down the road, winding between cars and pedestrians. People shriek, and he can hear others calling 119. His claws dig into the asphalt, propelling him forward faster and faster. Izuku's bright green eyes dart around, searching for anything that can hide or protect him from the public. An alleyway to his left catches his eye, and taking a sharp turn he leaps over a faded yellow taxi and canters down the dark path. Panting, his breath grows hot as acid pools out, splattering on the brick walls he passes. There is no plan. All Izuku is doing is blindly running for his life. "Hey," ears rising in alarm. He looks around to try and identify the voice. His running doesn't slow as he searches. "Kid, up here," the voice repeats, throwing his head upwards towards the roofs of the buildings caging him in. He spots a woman booking it at the same pace as him on the roof tiles. "Police are on your tail. I have a place you can hide. Follow me." At this point, he has no choice. It's either Tartarus prison or a woman running on a roof. Izuku hounds the slender woman quickly. It's not like he has any better options. She leaps rooftop to rooftop, leading him through a maze of alleyways. His body begins creaking with agony the longer he runs, muscles feeling torn from using his new limbs so much. The woman calls for Izuku to climb to the roof, leaning over the edge and patting at the wall. "Say what now?" Izuku looks at her dumbfoundedly. Does she really think he can just climb up a brick wall like a spider? "We don't have time. Use your claws as a grip," the woman yells, trying to coax him into complying. Well, he might as well try. Crouching down, he jumps upward vertically. Surprised by how high he jumped, he almost forgets to hook to the wall and smacks his snout into it before clinging on. Crawling up the slick wall, he feels himself slipping, nails scratching like nails on a chalkboard. His body is descending from the wall. Abruptly, the woman grabs his scruff and pulls upward. The sudden motion gets Izuku to accelerate up the wall and practically crash into the woman. Izuku almost impales her with the vertebrae poking out of his back as he falls. Shooting up, the woman grabs him again and leads him to the stairwell of the building. It seems he climbed onto an apartment complex. He towers over the woman by at least 3 feet, making her seem tiny to him. Thankfully, Izuku fit through the door of the stairwell and down the stairs, thanking internally whoever manufactured this building. As Izuku is led through the building, his nose burns from the smell of mold and rusty pipes. The building seems practically abandoned currently, and his highly sensitive nose is suffering. Shoving Izuku through a splintered door hanging on its hinges by a thread he literally had to be shoved in because of how big he is, the woman slams the door and locks it, letting the situation sink through his core. Izuku's legs shake and he collapses to the floor in complete exhaustion, floor shaking from the action. Every organ in his body, especially his lungs, feels like failing. Izuku feels his consciousness fade as his head droops to the cold, comforting wood floor. Okay, I think we are saw shit, man, don't pass out on me right now. He passes out, waking up. Izuku moves his body to find it's back to normal. Skin smooth to the touch, the fur and spines no longer shooting from his body, and his stubby fingernails greet him once again. Izuku's green messy curls flop over his eyes as he moves his head. He sits in an unfamiliar place, with shaky hands and slow breaths. He feels around, finding he's sitting on some sort of cot. A scratchy blanket is wrapped around his exposed body. There is a line of sweat on his forehead, looking practically sickly. As he breathes, he catches the smell of putrid mold and mildew again. He must still be in that apartment. A shiver goes down his spine with fear, trying to grasp the situation at hand. His eyes slowly begin to dart around the room, not knowing how to describe the feeling in his head. He sticks with "I am so fucked when I get home." "Good, you're awake." He turns his head. The lanky woman from before is standing at the doorway, legs and arms crossed, leaning against the splintered frame. Honestly, this isn't the weirdest thing he's experienced recently, but it's still up there. You were in a pretty nasty situation there, kid." Sighing, she walks closer to him. You don't see very many quirks like that around anymore. Long, dull black hair brushes her hips as her legs carry her. Izuku analyzes her appearance internally. "Do I?" "No, you don't. Hopefully not, at least," the woman says. Her eyes are tired, gray irises relaxed in a sort of half squint. "If you could, I would like to see if you are able to stand." Confused, he flips the blanket off. Legs shaky but stable, he lifts himself from the small cot. He isn't wearing a shirt, but a pair of large gray sweatpants too big for him. "That is a question for later." The woman nods. "You can sit again if you'd like. Usually after large physical alterations like yours, it's only natural for your body to not cooperate." He watches her lips through each word. There is a nasty scar sliced through the corner of her lips, cutting down to her pale neck. He obeys, sitting back down on the stiff cot below him, not knowing how to grab the words and questions from his head. Attentive eyes speak for him. "What's your name, kid?" "I'm Midoriya Izuku." "How old are you?" "I'm a 14, Izuku says. "Son of a bitch," she whispers harshly, pinching the bridge of her nose. "You are pretty young to be having the police after you." Midoriya, her voice is on the rough side, but the way she speaks to him is understanding and somewhat soft. In a way, its nature calms his nerves. "It seems you are pretty new to your quirk. Was it some sort of late manifestation?" she asks, gulping. Izuku gazes at the woman standing in front of him. "Yeah, my quirk wasn't that extreme until today." "How so, kid?" It feels strange talking to this woman. She isn't scared of him at all. The woman is just standing and listening to him with a gentle, relaxed face. Izuku takes a long breath. "Well, ever since I was 5, I had a very weak mutation quirk where my eyes glowed green and I sprouted these little claws from my fingernails," Izuku says, demonstrating the minuscule claws on one of his hands weakly. "Okay," the woman says, placing a finger on her chin in thought. "And after school today, I was attacked by that Sludge villain in an underpass," Izuku continues. The woman hums, stopping Izuku. "Forced quirk manifestation through stress." Forced quirk manifestation," she repeats. "I can tell that experience was scary and stressful for you, kid." Typically when a quirk manifests under stress, it is extremely painful and puts a person under massive amounts of panic. She turns around and walks to a rusty stove with a kettle on it. There is a faint whistle escaping from the tip of the faded pot, screaming to be taken off the heat. "Tea?" she asks. Izuku stares at the 2 cups she pulled from a cabinet that's door is hanging off its hinges. "Tea sounds good." The warmth and comfort is something he needs at the moment. He nods at her, leading to her pouring liquid into the cups. "It seems your quirk didn't have enough stress build up to manifest itself when you were younger." She gazes towards him, holding the steaming cups. "Did your doctor say anything in particular when it came in?" she asks, handing him the warm liquid. Her hand is soft and gentle. Silver rings litter each finger in decoration. "I mean, he said it could take years to fully develop. But 10 years. He grips the cup with both hands, letting its warmth travel up his arms and into his chest. The woman sighs, grabbing a small crate from next to the cot and pulling it under her. Quirks aren't easy to understand, even after 2 centuries. Sitting on the weak crate, the woman places the cup to her lips slowly. Every power has its own individuality and personality, even if it's as simple as a fire quirk, she says. Okay, he doesn't know where she is going with this. That means every power grows differently too, considering how painful that was for you. Thankfully it didn't happen when you were little, because the pain could have easily killed you. She sips her tea again. Yikes. I still don't understand why this is happening to me, Izuku says, bringing his own up to his lips anxiously. And I don't think even a professional could tell you, she says, shrugging. That is just the upsetting reality of the world's unfairness. Izuku nods, moving his gaze to the ground in an overthrow of emotions. Hands still grip the cup, the heat slowly dying down from the distribution through his skin. It really isn't fair. It never can be fair, and Izuku realizes that, but that doesn't mean it hurts any less. Your life has chosen to throw you a curveball Midoriya, but that doesn't mean you let it hit you. The woman's long eyelashes flutter as she stares at Izuku. You aren't allowed to be scared of yourself or your future, not when there are worse things to fear. Izuku sees her shudder, unsettling him a bit. Why did you help me? A question long overdue. She smiles, letting the scar crease with her lips. I could tell you were young and scared when I saw All Might beat the shit out of you. Someone who is still growing mentally should never experience fear like yours. I'm tired of seeing people lose their fights against the world's standards. There are too many young criminals out here. For some reason, that last statement makes Izuku's heart crumble. The memory of the Sludge villain being torn to bits pops in his head like a flashbang. A lump lodged itself in his throat and Izuku fights the urge to break down in tears. Izuku can still feel the slime lodges in his teeth, the screams stuck in his head. Body trembling, he puts his cup down and commits a hand into his messy curls. It wasn't your fault. It's very faint, but Izuku hears it. He ignores it though, letting panicked breathing take over his once control. A hiccup escaped his mouth as he tried to force his tears away. Kid, it wasn't your fault. I killed it, I. Look at me. Izuku snaps his eyes up at the woman. She is now crouched on the ground, closer to him. Two hands grab his shoulders and squeeze. Midoriya, you were very, very scared and panicking. You saw a criminal that once almost killed you, hurting someone else. Her voice is soft and sad, sounding on the brink of tears herself. You didn't do it on purpose. It's okay, kid, it's okay. The wells inside his tear ducts crack in half. Tears spill out of his eyes and he chokes a sob, melting into the touch of the woman's hands on his arms. I am not a bad person. Izuku cries out, I can't. And you aren't. You aren't, Midoriya. And you never will be. I'm a monster. Jesus. Flashlights point at jagged claw marks scattered on a dull brick wall. Did that thing seriously climb up there? A police officer asks, moving their light to the sky, towards the roof. Seems it, another chimes in. They had just finished bagging up the Sludge villain's mangled corpse when they received the distress call that the monster escaped the van, almost injuring the drivers in the process. Arriving at the scene, they attempted to chase it down, barely missing it because of its few-minute head start. Detective Naomasa Tsukachi is exhausted. They've been searching the city for hours, attempting to find the beast that escaped from police captivity. Its unpredictable nature and size make it dangerous, and the fact that they lost it makes his headache worsen. Rubbing tired circles on his forehead, Tsukachi walks through the alley trying to locate some sort of clue. A combination of tiredness and annoyance covers his eyes as he comes blank. All they have is the panicked scrawling on the wall and no way of knowing which way it went. And the apartments in this part of town are abandoned, so asking around isn't an option. Sighing, Naomasa clicks his flashlight off and shoves it through his belt. No point in spending all night looking. Let's regroup in the morning. Get some sleep, everyone, Naomasa says, letting his officers off to recharge after a rather stressful day for everyone. The sky is a dark navy now and there is a sight of stars trying to peek their way through the polluted air. This is going to be a considerably difficult case, to say the least. Naomasa's phone vibrates in his inside pocket. Grabbing it with a free hand, he answers it and places it to his ear without looking at the caller. Detective Tsukachi here, he says into the phone. Hey, Tsukachi, it's me. Oh, Toshi, it's you, Tsukachi says. He points a finger up to the officers around him, mouthing sorry, 1 minute. He excuses himself to the sidewalk and presses his body against the police car parked on the curb. What can I do for you? I was just wondering if you required assistance for this investigation. His good friend responds. I appreciate the offer, but as of now we don't even know where to start. He rubs his eyes to try and free them from the strained sensation. I take it the chase was a bust. Unfortunately, the officers begin to excuse themselves, waving to Tsukachi as they climb in their cars and drive off with headlights blaring. You'll find something eventually. It's only the first day after all, Toshinori confidently speaks. I hope you're right. This thing is unpredictable, Naomasa adds with worry. It may have gone after a villain this time, but we don't know its motives. He pauses. Who knows? It could be a part of that vigilante group we've been chasing. Don't say that. His voice is stern. You're right. That's the last thing we need on our plates right now. He is so tired his brain feels on the verge of falling out. Well, shoot me a call if you need anything. I am happy to help. Of course, Toshi. Have a good night. Good night to you as well. Toshinori replies before ending the call with a beep. Looking at the blank screen, Naomasa groans. He can tell this is going to be a pain in the ass, peeking his eyes through the slits of a window shade. Izuku watches as the army of police officers dilute from the streets outside the building. They gone. Yeah, it seems like it, Izuku says to the woman, backing away from the window. It took him 20 minutes to stop crying. Honestly, Izuku is a hot mess, but thankfully, the woman didn't judge or sneer at his emotions. She just sat across from him, patiently waiting for the tears to stop their spillage. He appreciated the gesture. Right now, he is standing over by one of the walls next to the tiny kitchen, now wearing a baggy black sweatshirt much too big for him. The room grew cold as the night fell, and wearing no shirt only increased the shivering. The woman lent him a piece of her clothing, but because of her height, it fits rather large on him. Hey, embarrassed. He pauses, remembering he never got the woman's name. She turns to him with a half smile. Her hair is tied into a messy ponytail, revealing piercings curling up her ear. Loose strands of black fall in her face as she turns. Dai, you can call me Dai. It's pretty. Oh, Dai, I never really got the chance to say this, but Izuku pauses. Thank you. With sincerity. He turns his body and bows. Whatever for? Is she serious right now? He lifts his head from the bow and stares at her. Ooh, for helping me. Are you joking right now? Dai lets out a chest-shaking chuckle. It was nothing, kid, really. Nothing, my ass. You still deserve a thank you, though. You did so much for me and you didn't even know who I was. Izuku straightens his back fully, his curls brushing against his forehead. It's okay, really. I just wanted to help, Dai says with a soft smile still on her lips. Her phone dings, eyes glancing at it on the table. Do you feel all right about getting home on your own? Dai asks, grabbing her phone. Her fingers type expeditiously across the screen. It appears she is sending a text to someone, and quickly, Izuku sends her a shallow nod. Yeah, there is a train station not too far from here. I'm just concerned about the home part, he snorts nervously, tugging at one of the sweatshirt strings. Eesh, good luck with that, Dai cringes. His mom really is going to hang his ass on a wall for this one. He lost his phone when the monster manifested, and he can imagine all of the calls she left on it. Do you think we will ever meet again? Izuku asks. Part of him wants to see her again. Something about her presence is calming and he enjoys her company. Plus, she did save him after all. He would like to know more about this mysterious woman that ran across buildings for him. Dai never drops her smile. Standing up from the squeaky chair, she makes her way over to him and hands him a slip of paper. You never know. You can text me anytime you need, kid, she says with a wink. Izuku looks at the crinkled piece of paper and takes it. It was nice meeting you, Dai. Same to you, Midoriya. Hey, did the squirt leave? Yes, make sure to follow him home. Experiencing another stressful experience is the last thing he needs. Midoriya left Dai's apartment a few minutes ago. With a phone pressed to her ear, she peers through the window shades and watches as the green-haired kid makes his way down the sidewalk. The sky is dark now, but many streetlights make up for it. All right, make sure the kid doesn't get stabbed. Got it, the male voice on the other end confirms. Thank you, Hiroto. Anytime, after all, he's one of us, Hiroto says. She sighs. Midoriya is out of view, so she closes the shades with a flop and turns back to the kitchen. Yeah, Dai. Hiroto, Dai says flatly, knowing what he was about to say. Hiroto stays silent for a couple of seconds. Are you sure? Listen, the kid's been through hell, Dai, Hiroto huffs. The kid still has hope, I can see it in his eyes. Dai sandwiches her phone between her shoulder and ear as she reaches for a black mask hooked on a rusty nail. With a separate hand, she grabs at an oversized faded denim jacket draped over a chair. If there is even a slight chance he can become a hero, it would change everything. Yeah, you are, and if the kid doesn't, what will you do then? Hiroto says snarkily. Dai scoffs, throwing the jacket over her other shoulder and retrieves the phone with her hand. Do you really have to be such a dejected asshole? Hiroto snickers. I'm only being realistic, sweetheart. Oh fuck, I see the kid. I'll shoot you a text once he gets home. You fucking better. The call ends with a harsh beep. Sighing a laugh, she grabs the door handle and slips through the door. I hope things are different for you, kid. Izuku was right when he said his mom was gonna hang his ass on a wall when he got home. She was practically in tears when he walked through the door at 10 o'clock. After making sure he was in one piece, she scolded him for so long his brain almost fell out. His brilliant lie to his mom was that his phone got knocked from his hand during the panic. And the reason he took so long to get home was that a police officer escorted him along with a few others to a building to hide out. Because honestly, if he told her the truth, he isn't sure if she would die from a heart attack or break down sobbing. Hell, maybe both. As for the question of where his clothes went, he literally didn't know how to fucking explain that. It was awful and not well thought through. He's shocked she even believed him. It could be because his mom's mostly focusing on the fact that he's home in one piece. He lays in his bed, failing horribly at trying to fall asleep. Izuku swears he can still hear the monster growling in his head as it rips and boils the slime to a nasty soup. So yeah, sleep is a no for tonight. His blanket is soft on his skin, practically melting to him as he shifts in bed. Izuku's body is overtaxed. Just laying down feels like a slice of heaven for him. But unfortunately, that doesn't guarantee easy sleep. So instead, he stares in thought like a trained insomniac. Please, I'm sorry. The slime monster pleads in his head on a never-ending torturous loop. It screams in his eardrums, rattles his brain, feels so close it's practically on top of him in suffocating agony. He gulps down a lump in his throat, feeling emotions crawl up his chest painfully. He can't breathe. Izuku continues to stare at the ceiling, letting a tear slide down his cheek and be soaked on his pillow. Another voice joins the pained screeches, but its nature is soft and comforting instead of the pleading yells. It wasn't your fault. His lip quivers as his eyes squeeze shut, releasing a parade of tears. A hand covers his mouth as a broken sob escapes with a muffled cry. It wasn't your fault. Honey, are you ready for school? Izuku's eyes crack open groggily. Moving his head to the side, he lets out a wince as a shot of fiery pain twists up his jaw. It's right in the spot All Might nailed him. It's a miracle the hero didn't break his jaw in half, and there is probably a bruise trying to luxuriate itself on his skin. With a groan, he glances at the clock on his nightstand, and he suddenly doesn't feel so very tired anymore. He's gonna be late for school. He didn't think he would be able to sleep last night, but that doesn't matter because he is going to be very, very late. Throwing his body out of the bed, he almost face plants on the ground as his legs tangle themselves in the blanket from his bed. Shit. Izuku untwists himself and stumbles to the bathroom. Language. He hears his mother's muffled shout through the door. It takes him 5 minutes to get changed and ready. His mom asks if he wants breakfast right as he bursts through the front door, swinging his faded yellow bag behind him. Fuck breakfast. Running is not a good idea for his crying limbs. But if he is late to school again this week, his teacher is going to have a cow. Fortunately for him, the school is within walking distance. He makes it with 2 seconds to spare. He practically knocks his desk over from how forceful he launches himself into it, startling the people around him. Playing it close today, Midoriya, the teacher says, walking in shortly after Izuku. He doesn't apologize. He just sits at his desk in silence as everyone turns to look at him. If it were up to him, he wouldn't be in school right now. He literally killed a man, so the normalcy feels wrong to him. But all things considered, if he all of a sudden didn't show up to school right after a monster escaped police captivity, there would be questions. So unfortunately for him, he has to figure out how to not explode in the middle of the school day. There is just one issue. Bakugo. How the hell is he going to avoid Bakugo? Simple. He can't. It's like trying to avoid a swarm of mosquitoes. They pester, bite, hover, and bother, but once you swat one, another one comes in its place persistently. So he prays to whatever god there is that he is left alone for one day. To his surprise, he made it through his classes without anyone talking to him or making a scene. It was just a quiet school day, perfectly felicitous for his fragile emotional state. Izuku was pretty confident that if Bakugo even spoke to him today, he'd be spitting acid on the floor, but oddly enough, the blonde never approached him. Not even once. It piqued his curiosity, but not enough to actually do anything about it. Izuku keeps his head low as he pushes the heavy front doors of the school open. He is so close to being home, so close to hurling himself onto his bed and passing out it almost excites him. Deku. But of course, for Izuku, it isn't that easy. He walks faster. Hey, I'm talking to you, you brat. Leave me alone. Izuku pipes back, moving his pace from a speed walk to a run. Bakugo only chases him in response. He really doesn't want to look at him in the eyes. The last time he did, his classmate was mortified and sitting on the ground near a blazing inferno. An eminently sour feeling goes down his throat as he continues to run. Fucking get back here. Bakugo screams as he chases Izuku down the sidewalk. He can hear Bakugo's aggressive breathing tailing behind him closer. No, Izuku runs fast down the sidewalk. He is barely beating him. Bakugo throws his whole body onto Izuku like a football tackle, promptly sending the two crashing to the ground. Izuku tries to squirm out of the blonde's grip but aborts when he realizes the sheer difference in strength between the two. His uniform is grabbed in an upward motion, yanking him to his feet. When I say I need to talk to you, I mean it. Bakugo shoves Izuku into the fence, rattling the metal behind him. What do you want from me? Izuku pleads. Izuku really can't do this today. He can feel a growl try to creep itself up his chest, but he shoves it down. I said, I wanted to fucking talk to you. Are you fucking deaf? Oh, that's rich. What happened to screaming at me? The new beast inside his head has definitely started to affect his mood because usually he never bites back this much. Bakugo is furious because of it, and Izuku can feel the grip on his shirt tighten. When did you become such a fucking prick? Bakugo yells, shoving his face closer to Izuku's pesteringly. There it is. Izuku rolls his eyes. What even is this conversation? Shut up. Another shove. Why do you and that disgusting monster from yesterday have the same eyes? Bakugo is so close Izuku can practically smell his breath. Izuku can feel his heartbeat inclining and hands shaking against the fence. I beg your pardon. Izuku growls with narrowed eyes, the eyes of the wolf. Bakugo pauses and glances at Izuku's cheek. We're green just like yours. Deku. Bakugo isn't stupid. Izuku knows that, but seriously, that's his connection. Not the big-ass bruise on his face. Do you have brain damage? My quirk has been the same for 14 years, Bakugo. Izuku scoffs and looks to the side. How do I know you're not lying to me, you piece of shit? Bakugo snarls, shoving him against the fence again. Izuku is silent for a second, hands shaking against the metal. You think I'd lie about that? He feels Bakugo flinch back slightly from the sudden tone. Something cracks inside. Looking up, Izuku's eyes are now fully radioactive green from the emotions going haywire in his brain. Do you seriously think that I would choose to let you beat me, spit on me? Izuku pauses and takes a shaky breath. Tell me to kill myself. Izuku feels physically ill looking at Bakugo right now. What did I do? Izuku continues. Bakugo's grip is still tight on his clothes. I didn't ask for this quirk. Izuku's voice booms before he begins to feel tears prick in his eyes. A hand is slammed over his mouth with so much acceleration his teeth hurt. Bakugo's sweaty hand is placed over Izuku's lips in an attempt to shut him up. Bakugo's teeth grind, hurting Izuku's ears. Do you ever stop talking? Bakugo shoves him again, only using the hand on Izuku's mouth. Those words make Izuku feel a range of anger he's never felt in his entire life. Izuku narrows his eyes. Suck it up, Deku. Accept that the fucking weak-ass quirk you were born with will never get you anywhere, especially as a hero. Bakugo releases his hold on both his face and shirt, causing Izuku to crumble to the ground. Even if you were that wolf, a quirk like that will never make you a hero. It only makes you a monster. Bakugo shoves his hands in his pockets and stomps away, leaving Izuku on the ground. I'm not the monster, Bakugo, Izuku whispers as a tear escapes. Keeping his head down, Izuku takes a long way home. Going through the underpass again will trigger shit he doesn't want to relive right now. So, he cuts through the city. He wonders what Dai is doing as he makes his way down the busy sidewalk. She is a weird woman, really. He doesn't know her quirk, nor what she does for a living. He doesn't know if she's a villain or a hero, or if maybe she just works at a small coffee shop. Dai is just a tall woman with long black hair and a scar on her face, but she was also someone that lent him a hand. Maybe he should text her and thank her again. He walks into the city, listening to the busy chatting and cars honking. A couple of lower-ranked heroes walk past him as he reaches a large crowd. People are squished together, watching something on one of the big screens on the buildings. Curious, he joins the crowd. It's the news channel. Heroes have yet to find the elusive wolf creature that appeared just yesterday evening, the female newscaster says, shuffling the papers in her hands. It escaped police captivity as it headed to Tartarus prison, disappearing in the alleys. Izuku feels a heat flash go through his body. As the heroes and police search for it, we recommend staying home at night. No, travel in big groups. No. And if you come in contact with it, call the police immediately. Izuku backs up and trips over someone's foot, landing on the ground harshly. He backs up from the crowd in an awkward crab walk. A picture of him flashes on the screen, causing some in the crowd to gasp in horror. What is that thing? God, it's disgusting. Izuku's head starts to pound and pound. A familiar growl bellows in his brain. Right here, right now is not the time. Someone grabs under his armpit and lifts him up. You okay there, kid? Izuku turns around, breathing heavily as a pair of yellow eyes greets him. A man with tan skin and a black mask checks him over briefly. His voice is deep but comforting. Why yeah hi Izuku stammers, trying to keep his breathing under control before something bad happens. His head explodes as more voices beat against his eardrums. I hope they throw it in prison quickly. My kids don't need to be scared walking to school. It's hideous. Must be another one of those villains. Pain shoots down his spine. Panicking, he scrambles to his feet and runs. Kid, wait. The guy that helped him yells after him. He doesn't stop. His breath becomes hotter and thicker, something that sounds like an asthma attack. He pushes past people on the sidewalk, turning left into an alleyway. Greeted by dimmer lighting, he leans against the wall and grabs at his shirt with a shaky hand. He slides down the brick and crawls behind the dumpster next to him. The stench of trash and feces makes his eyes water as he pants. He winces in pain as his fingernails slowly become replaced by something larger. He tries to shove it deep down as hard as he possibly can, but this power is still new. He doesn't know what to do. A wave of pain swallows him, and the frothy white he saw yesterday returns. God, Izuku is never going to get used to this. At least it wasn't as painful as the first time. That's the only positive outcome of this hot mess. No one has seen him yet, and he's desperately trying to find a hiding spot. His size makes it hard to hide, and the alley is a dead end. To his luck, someone notices him in the alley and screams. Well, so much for being discreet. He takes off in a full sprint and enters the light, digging his claws into the ground to add speed once again. He just needs to fucking go. Izuku hits the busier part of the city he ran from and is immediately greeted by a chorus of screams. Cars screech to a halt. Some people run in the opposite direction, and he can hear some speaking to operators on 119 with his heightened hearing. Izuku continues to run on the sidewalk, avoiding the heavy traffic on the streets. Panting, he runs as fast as his legs can muster. Bone spines on his back rip tree branches off tree bodies. His tail swishes, knocking into tables and chairs. He weaves his way through the public and desperately tries not to step on anyone because of his size and limited control of his limbs. He hates being feared with every inch of his body. Every time someone screams, his heart is punctured and squeezed. Police sirens blare around the corner, growing closer and closer as he panics, trying to figure out a plan. Red and blue blind him as he is slowly being ganged up on by 4 cars. Izuku finds an empty intersection and gravitates in that direction, leaping off the sidewalk and onto the rough asphalt. A police car skids in front of him with a harsh squeal, almost sideswiping his legs in the process. If there is one thing Izuku has, that's his height. Using his size dominance to his advantage, he vaults over the police car and darts down the road. As he passes yet another intersection, something metal slams into the side of his face from the right. It's nothing short of a miracle that he doesn't land on anyone as he topples over. Floundering on the ground in an attempt to rise to his feet again, he notices a metal trash can next to him. There is a dent on the side from some sort of impact. He got hit in the face with a fucking trash can. Something is hurtling towards him and he has 1 second to slide to his left before a hulking fist is colliding with the street. Asphalt cracks from the pressure, exploding into pieces. The skin under his thick fur covers itself with road rashes from the sudden movement. His quills puff out from the stress, ready to launch themselves at whatever is attacking him. His snout turns to find the hero Death Arms standing across from him, cracking his knuckles in an attempt to look menacing. Izuku's lips curl with annoyance, revealing sharp, yellow canines. God, why did it have to be Death Arms? Comply with arrest or suffer the consequences, the hero yells. Izuku untwists his limbs and stands. He towers over the hero by 3 feet, so he makes it leverage on his behalf. He crouches his body in a defensive position and pins his ears back, waiting for the next blow. Consequences it is. The hero lunges towards Izuku, but he's ready this time. Death Arms swings a wide left hook towards him, too easy to read. Abruptly, Izuku snaps his head to the side and bites down on his arm with very little pressure to prevent injury on the hero. He then cracks his head and sends the burly man soaring. Death Arms lands and tumbles down the road. Izuku cringes at the landing but takes his chance to leave the scene. Turning, he prepares to break into a sprint once again when he hears a gunshot. Because of his hearing, he was able to move right when it fired. But because of his so-called tremendous luck, the sender of the bullet was Snipe. The bullet slices across his eye, splattering blood on the nearby street sign. With a howl, he staggers half blindly, blood pouring from the graze on his face and dripping into his mouth. The taste of metallic makes him gag. Izuku wheezes and gargles from the pain, trying to clear his now scrambled brain so he can get the hell out of here. Snipe walks closer and points his gun at Izuku's leg as a warning. Surrender or I shoot. He can't see out of his right eye. Blood begins dripping onto the ground with the acid from his mouth creating a nauseating stench as it combines. His fur is on end, spines rattling from the anxiety coursing through his body. Izuku is trying to painfully vocalize something, anything. Gurgles, hissing, and growling are all that can be heard. One more warning. The police cars now surround him in a threatening circle in the intersection. People stand behind barricades holding their phones as they observe the fight, clicking pictures, taking videos, commenting on his vulgar appearance. It's sickening to him. Izuku tries harder, trying to push more out of his chest, hoping his vocal cords can still register his thoughts. He hears Snipe press his finger closer to the trigger. No. Snipe freezes, and so does everyone else in earshot. Nano obiad. It hurts trying to push so much strain on his throat. He stands there trembling like a lost kid, trying extremely hard to avoid a bullet and force more garbled words out. Hurt. It appears everyone heard that because they are now deadly silent. His throat feels like someone took a razor to the inside of it. Its tender suffering makes it so hard for each word, but he keeps pressing. Out of impatience, Death Arms charges and Izuku flinches. From the sudden movement, it alarms Snipe, causing him to pull the trigger and fire. There is a bang and a sound of flesh ripping. Izuku wails from the impact, legs buckling from under him. He collapses onto the ground in a crumpled mess. It hit him right on the shoulder, near the collarbone. The pain is unimaginable, tearing through each nerve and throbbing in his bones. He can feel tears cascade down his face, mixing with the blood and acid. The heroes and officers close in on his injured body, and he feels like screaming at the top of his lungs. God, it's horrifying. Disgusting. Put it out of its misery. Freak. What a monster. Izuku can hear the crowd's mumbling grow louder and louder. He wants to rip his ears off and cry. Freak. Useless. Monster. Interrupting the mutters. A scraping sound makes Izuku's ears twitch. Its high-pitched nature scratches the back of his brain like a centipede crawling on skin. In a brilliant sense of déjà vu, the manhole cover in front of him pops open. The heroes stop in their tracks and watch as the heavy metal cap from the sewers rolls on the ground. Reptilian hissing echoes through the chambers down below and scaled claw grabs onto the asphalt, followed by another. Its faded green and black physique draws everyone's attention. Its arms are large, so there is no chance the entire thing can fit through the tiny hole in the ground. Right. No one expected the reptile's bones to snap and crack as its body contorts itself into a sickening twist of limbs and spine. Its elbow gets bent to such an acute angle. The bone shanks itself through the tough scales of the animal. Izuku sees someone from the crowd turn their head and vomit from the horrifying sight. The air turns discomforting and bitter, leaving everyone struggling to breathe. Its body slithers and snaps until it eventually flops onto the ground. Disgusting, it hisses, a long forked tongue flicking through each syllable. Freak. Its head is twisted at a wrong angle. Izuku is sure he can see part of its vertebrae trying to poke through. It has no lips, so covering its long snout is a row of jagged, sharp teeth in a disgustingly crooked manner. Izuku can only sit and watch it twist its broken body as he lays on the ground bleeding. The real freaks. It begins to fix itself. Bones cracking as they are snapped back in place like Lego bricks. Yellow psychotic eyes dart around, making sure to look at each and every person in the crowd and in the police car circle. It claws as its body twists, drawing on the street like with chalk. Spines on its head, back, and tail break off as it moves. Monsters. With a final snap, like the satisfying last piece of a puzzle, it stands. It's as tall as Izuku on its hind legs. It stands with an appearance like a velociraptor and a human at the same time, its long claws tapping at the ground with impatience and arms dangling long. Its head tilts to the side, eyes bulging wide. A prolonged tail swishes to the side. Are people like Yao? Its tail flicks, shooting spines out at the ground in front of the heroes like rounds of warning ammunition. Izuku's eyes widen at the quick action, still laying on the ground as blood pours from his wounds. Snipe and Death Arms jump back, avoiding the spines from hitting their feet just barely. The lizard hybrid turns its body and walks towards Izuku, ground thumping through each step. Terrified, Izuku begins to whine and tremble like a kicked puppy. It crouches down to his level and scoops his injured body up with no effort even though Izuku is bigger in size and weight. Izuku can feel its cold scales against his skin. Throwing Izuku over his shoulder like a wounded soldier, it digs its feet into the ground and takes off running. No one follows. This feels like a part of Izuku's daily schedule now. Hiroto, are you fucking kidding me? He flutters an eye open to the muffled sound of yelling. He doesn't know where he is, but it seems he's sprawled on yet another cot but in a medical room of some sort this time. The lights are off so he can't see much, but he can practically smell the stench of medical supplies. Izuku is back to his body, and without a shirt again. The deja vu hurts his head. Bandages wrap around his shoulder and back, covering the gunshot wound. There is another round of bandages covering the eye that got grazed, so he is currently only seeing with one eye. What did you want me to do? Huh? A male voice screams back. Their name is Hiroto. I don't know, maybe not grab the kid in the middle of a fucking fight, where everyone and their mother could see. The voice seems familiar. Izuku groans and from the volume coming from the other room. Huh? Okay, Dai. Did you want me to leave him to bleed out? The familiar name wakes him up. Dai, you're literally asking to get your dick ripped off. Dai, he says out loud this time. He hopes it's the Dai he knows because right now he needs to see a familiar face. Shit, the kid's awake. Now you've done it. The male voice announces. They heard him. The dark room he was in is greeted by a now blinding light as the door opens. Someone walks in. Hey, Midoriya. The figure kneels down to his head and lays a hand on the top of his mop of hair. The hand is soft and he can feel the cool metal of rings as it strokes his fur comfortingly. You doing okay, kid? Izuku feels like crying. Dai is kneeling in front of him with her signature grin, scar creasing with the facial expression. A whimper comes out of his throat as tears collect in his eyes. Well, you really know when to change your mood. The male voice from before intrudes, coming from the now open door. Dai turns around and glares at the figure at the door. Zip it, I'm not done with you yet. Her hair swishes over her shoulder, tickling his skin as it moves. She turns her head back and looks at him. We gotta stop meeting like this, man, she says. He nods with her hand still on his head. Tears fall once again down his one free eye. Your wounds should be healed by now. Wanna try standing? You know the drill, Dai says, standing up. He cocks his head in confusion. He was shot in the shoulder, so how are his wounds healed already? Do they have a healer nearby? I'll explain everything, I promise, bud. He complies, unfolding his legs in an attempt to stand. He sighs in relief for feeling no pain when he rises. Izuku's legs feel weak, but he can stand. If you can walk, I would like it if you followed me. Dai turns around and makes her way to the open door and the man standing in it, and Izuku slowly follows. Dai along with the man takes him down a large hallway. The walls and floor are a pale, faded gray looking old and worn. They walk for what feels like a couple of minutes before they reach a set of large doors, about the same height as if he were fully transformed. It feels awkward walking with people he doesn't know with no shirt on. Not to mention this entire situation belongs in a poorly designed action movie. Dai pushes the doors open with a shove. Izuku moves his head to peek at the inside, seeing a large training room of some sort. equipment looking older on the makeshift side. There are 2 people occupying the overwhelming room. A woman with short brown hair is sitting on a bench drinking from a plastic water bottle and scrolling through her phone. And there is another woman with a cobra head adding weights to a barbell. The woman on the bench turns her head at the sound of the door opening and inhales her water, choking and spitting it all over herself. Dai and the man that may or may not be named Hiroto in front of him walk in, and Dai waves a hand for him to join. Nervously, he follows. Hesitantly, he follows them. He isn't wearing shoes, so his feet touch cold concrete at each step. The cobra woman looks up from her station and a thin smile creases on her snout. Her hands wave in front of her in concentrated movements. It appears to be sign language. Dai looks to Izuku to translate. She said, "It's nice to see you are awake." He looks at the snake lady and bows his head slightly. "Thank you. She is very sweet." But he doesn't know what she is saying, so thankfully Dai can translate. The coughing woman regains some breath and jogs over to Izuku excitedly. "Good to see you didn't die, little guy." She smacks a hand on his head and rubs his hair aggressively. Izuku winces a little from the sudden affection but appreciates the thought behind it. It feels like he has an older sister greeting him. "Yuma, you're gonna scare him off," Dai chuckles. "Yuma, what a pretty name." "Oh, fuck off." Dai waves for the cobra woman to come join them, getting a smile in response as she walks over. As she reaches Izuku, he can see her more clearly. Her neck ribs are relaxed, flattening against her skin, and her eyes are a beautiful obsidian black. Izuku leans away from Yuma's touch and blinks at the snake woman. The only man of the group pipes up. "We gonna do this, or are we just gonna pet the kid?" Izuku doesn't see it, but he knows Yuma is rolling her eyes right now. He looks at Hiroto and begins to bask in his appearance. It's the man from earlier, the one that helped him up. "Weird, that's a coincidence. Here, kid, doubt you'd wanna be like that for the rest of the day." He turns and sees Yuma handing him the black sweatshirt she was wearing. Yeah, the deja vu is insane. Yuma must have noticed him slightly trembling from the chilly room. Izuku isn't wearing a shirt after all, and thin bandages aren't the best insulators. He grabs it from her hesitantly and puts it on. He can smell the musk of dog hair on it. Everyone is being so kind to him. No one has ever shown him this much kindness other than his own mother, especially strangers. It is a new feeling to Izuku, but he isn't complaining. Let's regroup in the common room. The gym isn't the best place for questions and answers after all. Plus, I bet you're hungry, kid. Dai places a hand on his shoulder comfortingly. His stomach growls in agreement. He didn't realize how hungry he really was until the Nwart brought it up. He nods and Dai leads the way. Food and answers are 2 things he desperately wants right now. The common room is nice. He is sitting on a ripped couch in what is considered the common room. The jacket Yuma lent him is still on him as he sits with his legs crossed, holding a cracked glass of water in his hands. They gave him a plate of a couple of onigiri, and because he was starving, he ate them particularly quickly. Yuma is sitting next to him on the couch while the cobra woman sits across from him on the kitchen counter, and like Izuku, her legs are twisted over each other. Hiroto is sitting on a leather chair while Dai stands. It's not much, but the room is still comfortable. As he spends more time in the building, it seems the place might be underground. Dai moves to sit on the couch across from the one Izuku is at and clasps her hands together. "Well, let's get started, shall we?" Dai asks. Everyone nods, including Izuku. He adjusts himself and takes a sip of his water. Dai sighs and scratches her head. "Sorry you're involved in his bud. It's a lot for someone of your age." "Who are you guys?" Izuku asks softly. Dai brushes a piece of hair from her face and looks to the other people in the room. "Let's do a quick introduction. As you know, I go by Dai, but I am also Shinigami." She glances at Hiroto. "Hiroto, or Gamera," he says with a short and sweet attitude. Izuku turns his head to Yuma. "Yuma, and I'm also Jinru," she says, slightly waving her hand in the introduction. The cobra woman moves her hands in introduction as she makes eye contact with Izuku. "Her name is Yu, or to others, Medicus," Dai translates for Izuku. Izuku sits, holding his cup in thought. He brushes his finger over the crack in the glass, looking at Dai. All the names feel familiar, like some sort of long-lost memory, but he doesn't know why. Gamera, Jinru. They aren't villain names that ring a bell, so what? Izuku looks at Dai and freezes from realization. Everyone in the room droops their heads in shame. "You're those vigilantes ... The Oni, right?" There is a long pause and the room is silent. Dai nods her head slightly. Izuku continues to stare at her, and then he shrugs. "Oh ... dope." Everyone whips their head towards Izuku with absolute shock. Yuma's mouth is gaping open and Yu stifles a laugh from the counter, covering her mouth as her shoulders shake. With 2 words, Izuku ruined the dramatic flair. Dai slaps a hand on her forehead and Yuma groans. "Oh my god, that's the funniest reaction yet." Hiroto barks a laugh. Izuku only continues to stare at them blankly. "Dope? Did you seriously just say dope to me, revealing that we are a highly dangerous vigilante group?" Dai says. A hand still rests on her forehead as she shakes her head. Was that not the right response? "I mean, you guys have been so nice to me, so I don't really care that you are vigilantes." Izuku shrugs again. You also don't seem like bad people, so. He brushes a hand through his tangled hair covering his eyes. God fucking. I think I'm going to piss myself. Hiroto is now holding his stomach, hunching over in his seat as he cackles. You signed something with a giggle. Oh fuck off. I didn't think he was going to react like that. Dai yells at you and she only laughs harder in response, almost falling backward off the countertop. Are you guys sure you're one of the most threatening vigilante groups? Izuku joins in with a joking tone. I'm not seeing it. Honestly, I don't see it either, Yuma says, shaking her head in disappointment. Something dings in his head. Wait, are you guys the ones that taped that mugger on the wall of the police station with duct tape that said, I am a bad guy, please arrest me? Izuku takes another sip of his water and he can see everyone relax. Holy shit, I forgot we did that. Izuku chuckles and relaxes against the couch cushions. The air feels lighter after the reveal and Dai lets out a huff. Well, hard part's over. Hiroto gets a grip over his laughing and interjects. Hard part my ass, the kid literally didn't care. Shut it, lizard man, Dai hisses. He looks around at the bickering bunch and begins to try and comprehend his situation. Can I ask you guys a question? Izuku says, picking at his bottom lip with minor implications of nervousness. Shoot kid, Dai says shortly after, her soft smile appearing once again. Why me? Dai raises an eyebrow, signaling there needs to be context in his question. Well, you guys saved me from the police, which was risky on your part considering how the government views you. Not to mention you somehow healed me, clothed me, and fed me. So why? Why me specifically? He fiddles with the cup in his hand, keeping his gaze down. I'm thankful. And you are all very nice people, but I don't know why anyone would want to help me. He looks up and sees 4 pairs of eyes staring at him. Well, you needed help, Yuma cuts in. That's all that mattered. That was all. No, it was Dai this time. We also wanted to offer something. She crosses a leg over the other, placing an elbow on her knee. She glides a finger over her lips in a thinking manner. Izuku scrunches his face in confusion. What would they help him with? There isn't much that can be offered, really. Maybe they want to help him hide from the police or something. We understand what it's like to be called monsters, Dai adds, disgusting and unheroic. Dai pauses and looks at Izuku with her kind, gray eyes, amiable and calming. Like us, I can tell you've received the short end of the stick, being told you can't simply because of something you can't control. Unlike us, I can tell there is still a part of you that is still fighting though. Izuku thinks he has a hearing problem. I beg your pardon, Izuku says confusingly. You still want to be a hero, right? Dai continues. I guess, how did you know? Just a feeling. So tell us something, Midoriya. What do you think makes a hero? Her legs switch their position, crossing over each other again. She puts both elbows on her knee and places her chin on her clasped hands. He doesn't know where she is going with this at all. A hero is someone who wants to do good, to help people and protect. He leans back against the couch fully, feeling the soft cushion against him. Exactly. I still don't understand what this has to do with me wanting to be a hero. Izuku scratches his temple with his pointer finger. Yuma comes in this time. Kid, what do you think you've been doing? He doesn't believe them. Saving that guy from the Sludge villain, Yuma joins. Not actively hurting the heroes even when they hurt you, Hiroto this time. But my quirk, Izuku tries to object but is interrupted. A quirk should never define a person's ability to be a hero, Dai states. It is too late for us, but it isn't for you. Her scar creases with another smile. People think I'm a monster. I am a monster. Izuku feels close to tears again. Hiroto sighs, leaning back in his chair. Kid, quirks don't make monsters. It's the people that do monstrous things that should be deemed as such. And you haven't done such a thing. Izuku thinks back at what Dai said to him yesterday, and how she shuddered after saying there are far worse people out in the world. It's a little bone-chilling to think about. But I killed. You didn't want to. Kid, it was an accident. Tears start to well in Izuku's eyes. So if it's all right with you, Dai pauses, we want to help you do what we couldn't. Be a hero. Something breaks inside. Tears drip down his eye again with a sting and his lip quivers. Dai raises from the couch and makes her way to him. Hiroto and you follow. Dai crouches down and places a hand on his shoulder. Yuma scoots closer and does the same to his other one. Yu walks behind the couch and places a hand on top of Dai's. Hiroto does the same to Yuma's. Izuku hiccups and lets out a laugh as more tears fall from his eye and soak through the bandage. Let's prove the world wrong, kid. The hands feel warm, comfortable, and soothing on his body. Izuku sits on the couch with 4 people crowded around. Gentle touch and kind words only coax out more emotions from his chest. People he never met before, telling him they are going to help him make it happen. It is something he wanted even his mom to say, his classmates, or even a hero. But the ones that understood most said it instead. You're gonna be incredible. Naomasa groans as he steps out of a police car, trench coat unfolding itself as he stands. It's been 3 hours since the wolf disappeared with a member of Oni. And so far, his team has found nothing that can help them identify where they might be. Naomasa thought the situation was awful as it was with just the one unpredictable vigilante. but now that the Oni are involved, his headache only grew more intense. "Detective," a male voice calls from behind him. He turns around and his eyes meet with a pair of dry red ones. The underground hero, Eraserhead. "Eraserhead, thanks for responding to my request." He fiddles with the pen in his side pocket as he speaks with the obviously tired hero. "You know this isn't my typical job, but I can help where I am needed," Eraserhead says, adjusting the gray scarf around his shoulders. The hero specializes in taking care of underground issues as well as vigilantes. So Naomasa can tell a full-blown investigation isn't his forte. But he's good at his job, so fortunately for him, the hero agreed. Naomasa nods in appreciation. "The team thanks you for it. We need all hands on deck." He leads the hero closer to the blocked-off intersection, stopping when they reach the open manhole. He pulls out his phone and clicks on a file that was sent to his email, handing it to the hero. "A civilian recorded everything as well as the escape and sent it to us." Eraserhead blinks slowly and opens up the video file. "We call the lizard Gamera, but the wolf has no name yet." Eraserhead presses play and lets the phone showcase the fight. His eyes stay focused through the entirety of the video, blinking only a couple of times. When it finishes, he hands the phone back with a disturbed look on his face. "There was something off about the wolf," he says to Naomasa, pinching at his bottom lip in deep thought. "Yeah, it was acting emotionally, as if it were terrified of everything going on around it." Naomasa responds, a haunted look covering his face as he says it. The hero hums and nods his head. There are a few moments of silence before he responds. "I have seen my share of vigilantes to know that thing wasn't doing any of this with a motive." He looks at Naomasa, eyes narrowing. "How so?" Naomasa questions. "It seems inexperienced in that form. I could see it in the way it moved." Eraserhead turns his head to look at the intersection next to them, now covered in police tape. "What unsettled me was that it looked absolutely petrified." "What do you think that means?" Eraserhead brushes the hair in front of his face away and exhales with a huff. "I couldn't know for sure, but whatever the case, we need to find it. Villain or not, it's inexperienced and dangerous." Naomasa nods in agreement, leading the hero further into the intersection. The spines from Gamera are still submerged in the road along with the messy claw marks decorating the asphalt near the manhole cover. He is glad he wasn't there to see the reptile break and mend itself together because he would have puked from the sight. He almost did while watching the video. The timing was fortuitous for the wolf. If Gamera waited a few more minutes to appear, they would have it in custody. Naomasa is nervous, to say the least. The vigilantes the wolf got itself involved with are a very unpredictable cluster of people, or with greater concern, they are very difficult to catch. He hopes the next time they meet it, they can end this chase for the mysterious wolf creature and the vigilantes. For good. "You want me to do what now?" Izuku and Dai are standing in the kitchen discussing the matter of what he should do next. It's getting late, and Izuku doesn't feel safe leaving the building he deems a sanctuary. Its walls are hiding him as the police search the streets, and walking around alone to get home makes him especially nervous. He requested for Dai to call his mother to let her know that he's sleeping over at a friend's house. The sound of another mother will be sure to calm down his own. He only assumes that she is losing her mind at home right now. "Please, I don't feel comfortable going home right now, and my mom will only feel better hearing from another adult that I'm okay," Izuku pleads. He is thankful tomorrow is the start of the weekend, making his situation easier to handle since he has a couple of days to work everything out. She looks at him hesitantly but then pulls her cracked phone out from her back pocket. She hands it to him to type in his mother's number and hands it back when completed. Placing the phone to her ear, she waits for his mother to pick it up. A couple of seconds later, he hears his mother say hello on the other side. Dai throws a fake smile on her face and replies, "Hi. This is Mrs. Suzuki. I am calling to let you know that your son is with his friend here." It sounds like she came up with the last name on the bat. He covers his mouth, trying to muffle his laugh. She glares at him and shoots a middle finger in his direction. Izuku can hear his mother's cry of relief hearing that he is okay on the other side of the phone. "Yes, Mrs. Midoriya, he is doing all right. My daughter and your son ran into each other during the panic, and due to the bad traffic all over the city, we thought it was best he spent the night," Dai continues, looking nervous as she speaks to his mom. Izuku watches Dai nod her head and hum. Mrs. Midoriya, he's right here." She then shoves the phone at Izuku and falls to the ground with a groan. He places the phone to his ear. "Hey, Mom." "Oh my goodness, hey honey." His mother sighs with relief. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm okay, Mom. Suzuki said I could stay over since things are a little crazy. I hope that's okay with you." "Yes, of course, as long as you're safe." "Thanks, Mom," Izuku says, glancing at Dai on the ground. "Of course, honey. Have Mrs. Suzuki text me when you are on your way home. Your new phone came in the mail today, by the way, so we can set that up when you get home." "Sounds good." He almost forgot he didn't have a phone. Losing it when he first changed was definitely not the best part of that day. "Good night, Izuku. Make sure to say thank you to Mrs. Suzuki for me." Izuku snorts. "Night, Mom, and I will make sure to say thank you to Mrs. Suzuki." He looks at Dai with a grin and she slaps a hand over her face. The call ends and he tosses the phone to Dai on the ground. I am never doing that again, Dai says, pocketing the phone. Oh come on, it was funny, Izuku giggles. Did I hear sleepover? Izuku turns to see Yuma running into the room like an excited child, practically slamming into the door frame in the process. Izuku lets out another snort. Yeah, I'm staying the night. Fuck yeah. She runs over to him and slams her body into him, wrapping an arm around his shoulder. Can the squirt bunk with me? Dai raises an eyebrow. You sure that's a good idea? It'll be fine. Besides, it's not one of those nights, Yuma says with a wink. Something about the tone of those last two words sounds concerning to Izuku, but he lets it slide. Dai looks hesitant to the request. She stands to her feet and leans against the counter with a sigh. Okay, but only if it's okay with Midoriya. She points a finger to Yuma and Izuku sternly as if she were Yuma's own mother. Izuku shrugs with Yuma's arms still wrapped around him. I don't see why not. He can practically feel Yuma's excitement buzzing through her. Dai gives them a little half smile. Yes, thank you, Mrs. Suzuki, Yuma says amusingly. Izuku can see the smile on Dai's face drop immediately. Yuma releases her hold on Izuku and books it out of the kitchen laughing. Run, kid. Yuma rolls out a small futon for Izuku on the floor next to hers. She throws a pillow and a few blankets on top for extra measure and plops down. Her room is pretty simple. There are a few photos on the wall accompanied by a desk and a small closet, but other than that it's just the futon and a tiny stuffed dog on top. There is an old, black guitar perched in the corner of the room as well. Her door is what interests him the most though. Unlike the other doors in the building, hers is thick and made of steel with different kinds of locks hanging off the side, and there are long claw marks scrawled across it. Yuma's short brown hair is tied into a half bun, reminding him of his mother's own hairstyle. She types something on her phone and sets it to the side, looking at Izuku above her. It's not much, but it's home, she says with a half smile on her lips. He sits on his futon, joining the woman. No, it's perfect, Izuku says, brushing a hand over the blanket to his left. Thank you. She smiles and limply lets her body fall to the side. She turns to her back and stares at the ceiling. He just now noticed how much younger she looks compared to everyone else. She must be in her early 20s or late teens. It must be why he felt so comfortable around her when he first met her. Shit, I'm bored, Yuma says, turning her head to Izuku. Wanna do something? What did you have in mind? How about some truth or truth? It'll give us a chance to get to know each other. He cocks an eyebrow, but shrugs. A little game wouldn't be so bad. He lays on his back on the futon like Yuma, letting his messy hair flare on the pillow. All right, Midoriya, truth or truth? She asks excitedly. He keeps his gaze at the ceiling. Truth. What school do you go to now? And what high school do you plan to apply to? Well, that's an interesting start. I go to Aldera Junior High, and my plan is to apply to UE for high school, Izuku says, keeping it short. UE. Yuma turns her head. He can see a shocked expression on her face in the corner of his eye. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I always wanted to go to that school, Yuma continues. All right, your turn. She signals for him to ask a question in return. Moving on from the UE subject, he thinks of something he can ask. Yuma, truth or truth? Truth. How old are you? Keeping it simple for now. I'm 18. Holy shit, he knew she was younger but not that young. 18. It's Izuku's turn to sound surprised. His voice practically squeaks as he raises his voice. She chuckles and places a hand on her stomach. A bright silver ring catches his eye. Dai has a similar one on the same finger. I know, I've always looked old for my age. Anyway, my turn. Truth or truth? Truth. Dating anyone? Fuck no, Izuku deadpans. Yuma chuckles, saying something along the lines of same man before returning to their normal silence. Yuma, truth or truth? Truth. They continue back and forth, asking little questions like where they are from, their favorite foods and hobbies, just small little characteristics that make them themselves. Izuku learned that she grew up in a small backcountry town, that she enjoys playing guitar and singing, and that her favorite food is soba. Her voice is very comforting, like Dai's. Listening to her speak of her life adds a little spark of happiness in his heart. Izuku has always been like that. Meeting new people has always excited him. It has to do with the part in his brain that craves information. But there was still one question he had been dying to know. Yuma, truth or truth? Truth, kid. What's your quirk? There's a shift in her presence. She appears mildly uncomfortable and doleful that the question ended up appearing. It's I can turn into a werewolf at nightfall, Yuma says, lowering her voice. The quirk fanatic inside him grows antsy. He wishes he had a notebook with him right now. That's really cool, Yuma. Her head turns to him, eyes tired. Big brown eyes look at him like she just doesn't know what to say to him. That quirk is really good for underground hero work. Izuku tries to cheer up her very visible pain. He's telling the truth. A quirk like that would be perfect for someone who wants to work in the shadows. I wish, she snorts. What does it do? He asks softly, turning his head fully to her. She brushes a piece of hair from her face. At night, I turn into a werewolf without my consent. She pauses, inhaling sharply. It's easy to control unless it's a full moon. When it's one of those nights, I have to lock myself in here. The thick steel door makes sense now, and so does the claw marks on it. A quirk like this is unpredictable. I've always been told being a hero was impossible because of it. Izuku doesn't respond. He just watches her anxiously play with the ring on her finger. Yuma sniffs awkwardly and brushes a finger under her nose. All right, that's enough of that for today. Wanna hear a song? She abruptly stands up and snags her guitar from the corner. He can tell this is sensitive for her, thus explaining the sudden urge to change the subject. Yeah, sure. Izuku's eyes scan over the slick guitar as she sits back down, facing him. With gentle fingers, she tunes it quickly. Got any requests? Yuma pats the body of the guitar lightly, waiting for a response. Izuku sits up and turns to face her. Surprise me. Adjusting the guitar on her lap, she clears her throat, letting her fingers dance around on the strings. A soft melody begins to play from the instrument. The guitar is a smooth black, looking old but new at the same time. She looks down at her feet and opens her mouth. I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Her voice is beautiful. She bobs a foot under her leg, getting into the rhythm. And I fear no evil because I'm blind to it all. Her fingers continue the same melody, picking at the strings in a rhythm. And my mind and my gun, they comfort me, because I know I'll kill my enemies when they come. She begins to knock a fist on the body of the guitar, adding more to the already incredible sound. Izuku can practically feel it in his heart. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell on this earth forevermore. Still, I walk beside the still waters, and they restore my soul. Something changes in her voice. It turns brittle and quiet. But I can't walk on the path of the right because I am wrong. Her nails grow sharper against the strings, causing her to pick softer. Well, I came upon a man at the top of a hill, called himself the savior of the human race, said he come to save the world from destruction and pain. Izuku watches her eyes shut. An unexpected tear drips onto the guitar. She opens her eyes and they are now blood red, glowing brilliantly in the dim lighting of her room. But I said, how can you save the world from itself? Izuku can't sleep. You'd think it's because a hairy werewolf sleeps beside him breathing with sharp and rough breaths, but it's actually because he can't sleep in new environments well. It's dark, and Izuku watches as Yuma's body rises and falls with each breath, fur moving from the inhales and throat sounding raw from the exhales. Her limbs are long and bony, and she's curled in an attempt of a fetal position but looks more like a baby deer. Reality bit Izuku in the ass today more than it usually does. He isn't the only one that is viewed as a villain. He's not the only one that wishes for something different. Yuma is so young dealing with this. Izuku may be younger, but he can tell she's dealt with this for a long time. Izuku's eyes stay on Yuma before he closes them. Rise and shine, kiddos. Izuku needs to be home soon before his mom murders him and we never see him again. Dai sings as she pokes her head in Yuma's room. Izuku was already half awake when she came in. Rising, he rubs his eyes tiredly and sees Yuma next to him back to the skin. Her hair covers her face messily and she's completely out of it. Yuma, Izuku tries to help wake her up, but she's out cold. I've got it, squirt, Dai says, taking off one of her shoes. Before he can object, Dai launches it at Yuma's head. It bounces off and Yuma shoots up with a yelp. Rubbing the spot the shoe hit her, she scowls at Dai. Oh, do you have to do this every morning? She snaps. I wouldn't have to if you woke up on time. Come on, let's go. Dai snickers and walks out with only one shoe on her foot. Yuma grumbles and stands up from her futon. They are now sitting at the kitchen table, eating a small bowl of rice each as breakfast. It's not much, but the rice is easily welcomed by his hunger. Izuku still wears the clothes lent to him. At this point, the black sweatshirt and gray sweatpants is his signature outfit, shoving a mouthful of rice in his mouth. He looks at Dai across from him. He scratches at the bandage on his eye and Dai notices. You don't need to wear the bandages anymore. You should be healed. Dai pipes up. Just see you before you go home today. Oh, okay. Is you the one that healed me? He shakes the question off, deciding that's a question he can ask her personally. Don't worry, she doesn't bite, kid. Izuku turns around and sees Hiroto walk into the common room. He's wearing his black mask again. He seats himself next to Izuku and Dai passes him a bowl of rice. Hiroto is hesitant though. He side-eyes Izuku and slowly pulls his mask off his face to eat his breakfast. Well, now he knows who Hiroto is. Replacing the end of his lips is a demented smile of dagger-like teeth extended from his skin. They reach almost up to his ears, yellow and brutal, and the skin around them is rough and worn. They are the same teeth as the lizard that saved him yesterday. Before thinking, he blurts something. Thank you. Hiroto glances at Izuku and raises an eyebrow. For what, kid? Izuku stares at the teeth as Hiroto speaks. You're the one that saved me yesterday, right? Hiroto nods slowly, holding his chopsticks in his bowl. Then I never had the chance to say thanks. So, thank you. Izuku bows his head slightly to the man next to him and Hiroto only stares at him with confusion. I mean, sure kid, I wasn't going to let you bleed out on the ground, Hiroto says, shoving a clump of rice in his mangled maw, chewing it awkwardly. Izuku hums and pokes at his rice with his chopsticks. He looks at Dai across the table. She is humming to herself as she digs through her rice, vocal cords faint and soft. He realized that he's known her the longest out of everyone, but still knows nothing about her. Izuku looks at her gentle hands holding the chopsticks and opens his mouth. Hey Dai, can I ask you something? She looks up from her bowl. I never asked you, but what is your quirk? That was a bad idea. Hiroto clears his throat uncomfortably next to him and he can see Dai look to the side. She awkwardly takes a bite of her rice and takes a long, long breath. You aren't ready to know. Hey, Hiroto. Dai instructed Hiroto to take Izuku to Yu's room after they finished their breakfast since Izuku still has no idea where anything. Dai left the common room before them, looking like she was about to combust. He feels bad. It was a touchy subject and it seems he opened a wound that wasn't yet healed. They are peacefully enjoying each other's company as they walk down the long hall, the only sound being their footsteps. Izuku has been thinking about Hiroto's quirk almost the whole time while he ate. Sure, he understands the reptile parts, but not the absurd regeneration. He can still see the pale bones sticking out of Hiroto's scales as he contorted his body like an advanced gymnast. There's one part of your quirk that I'm curious about. The regeneration. Is that due to multiple quirks? Izuku tilts his head as they continue to walk. Hiroto scratches at his mask and smiles nervously. There is a shiny silver ring on his finger and Izuku watches it curiously. Yeah, and that's just a part of my reptile quirk, he says. Reptiles have faster healing abilities, so, as my quirk mutated more over the years, so did my regeneration. He shrugs and keeps his gaze facing forward. The quirk fanatic takes the reins a little. How did you even figure out your body could break that much? Hiroto raises a finger but someone yells from one of the rooms they pass. He fell out of a window and broke his ass. Hiroto chokes on air at the comment and Izuku slaps a hand over his mouth. Shut it, Dai. Izuku snorts, keeping a hand over his mouth as he lets out a muffled chuckle. Oi, I didn't come here to get harassed. Hiroto barks and points at Izuku. This only causes Izuku to laugh harder. They reach a room to their right and Hiroto stops in his tracks. She's in there, bud. I'll be with Dai in the other room, okay? Hiroto pats a hand on his shoulder and spins around. Izuku watches him walk down the hall with his hands in his pants pockets, taking a turn to Dai's room. He's going to beat her ass. Rip Dai. He turns to the rusty door in front of him and knocks. There are a few moments of silence. Izuku then remembers Yu as fucking mute. He hopes she's decent and decides to push the door open. Peeking his head and he sees Yu sitting at her desk with sheets of paper cluttered around her. She's looking at the cracked door, waiting for Izuku to make his way in. Her hands raised to sign something but they quickly come to a stop. She turns her head and looks for something on her desk. Yu waves for him to come in with a free hand as she searches. Grabbing a notepad and a pen she scratches a couple of sentences on the paper in half cursive. She holds it up for him as he walks closer. Nice to see you are doing well, Midoriya. Would you like me to take those bandages off for you? She looks at him with her Inkai eyes, waiting for a response. He nods, and Yu grabs the chair next to her and moves it over to him. Patting the seat, she has him sit. She begins to write something else on the yellow paper, and Izuku can hear the scratching of the pen as she scrawls her thoughts. He watches her patiently and absorbs her appearance gently with his one free eye. She has a pretty necklace around her neck. It's a ring around a chain of some sort. Her top choice is a black turtleneck that complements her eyes. Izuku likes her simple style. It's something he doesn't see a lot anymore. She turns the paper towards him and he leans closer to read. I'm just going to cut the bandages off and check you over to make sure everything healed correctly. Lift your shirt, please. He does so, lifting off the sweatshirt Yu lent him. Izuku watches Yu grab a pair of medical scissors from the drawer next to her desk. Snipping at the fabric, Yu looks at his shoulder wound attentively. He watches her eyes dart around and go back to the notepad. Shoulder healed with a scar. I will now move on to your eye, Han. He dips his head down slightly so she can snip the bandage off his eye. It feels refreshing for his eye to be free from its bondage. Blinking to the light, he looks over to Yu scribbling again. He feels bad that he can't understand her sign, but he's glad she can still communicate somehow. Your eye scarred a bit, but it's not horrible. He nods to the note. Izuku expected it. Even though it's something he doesn't want to explain to his mother, it could be worse. Now that Yu is done, Izuku takes the opportunity to ask the serpent woman a question. He taps at the notepad and pen. She understands and slides them over to him, quickly writing a messy question. He sets them down and slides them back to her. He watches her read the note. If you don't mind me asking, are you deaf or mute? She turns her head after finishing and points to her mouth. So she is mute, which makes things easier. Thank you for helping me, Izuku says out loud this time. She smiles and dips her head, neck bones flapping outward from the movement. Another question comes to mind. How did you heal me so fast? Do you have a healing quirk? She lifts her head and grabs the pen and paper once again. Turning the paper to him when she's done, he reads, "Correct. Instead of snake venom in my fangs, I produce a healing agent." He shoots a look towards her. "It's an amazing quirk. That's a really cool quirk. Have you considered being a doctor?" he asks. Once again, he's punching himself in the face for not writing this down. He will have to do so when he gets home. Her smile fades a little and she writes again. "I actually went to med school, but I dropped out a semester before graduating." He tilts his head in confusion. He wonders if it was a family issue or if something permitted her from getting a degree. Because really, her power would be incredible for the medical world. She scribbles again. "No one wanted to be healed by a snake." Izuku looks up and her smile is gone now. "Why? That's absurd." He stops his sentence when the sound of writing cuts him off. "People were scared of my appearance. My hissing also made it hard for people to understand me." Izuku thinks about that last part. Hissing. She used to speak. He wonders what happened that encouraged her to grow mute. She writes again, quickly. "I can tell you are curious about me being mute." He nods again. He doesn't want to be rude. His curiosity is just itching his brain. Izuku just wants to know if it's selective mutism or if she suffers from an injury that permits it. It's different for a lot of people. More writing, but it's pragmatic. "Came home after dropping out and my stepfather wasn't happy. He was drunk. Yelled saying it was my hissing's fault. So, she stopped writing after that." Yu puts the pen down and faces Izuku with her shiny black eyes. Opening her mouth slightly, she points to her tongue. Or where her tongue is supposed to be. His heart sinks to his feet. He cut out her tongue. Izuku might be sick. Yu notices his reaction and grabs the pen again. "It's okay. Even though I never got my degree and I can't speak, I can still help. There are more people out there that can't afford hospitals than I thought." She's smiling again. Izuku gazes at her. She doesn't care, because as long as she's helping people, that's all that matters. She doesn't care. Izuku never really paid much attention to anything other than heroes. So vigilantes rarely found themselves in his head. But now he realizes, vigilantes are just the same. They just want to help people. That makes Izuku return the smile, grabbing the pen and paper from her. She glances at him confusingly, waiting for what he says. He slides the paper back to her and raises himself from the chair. Grabbing his sweatshirt, he waves to Yu and walks out the door. Before closing the door, he sees a Yu with the biggest smile a snake could muster. His note said, "Thank you, Yu. You are a real hero." Izuku taps a pencil to his head as he sits at his desk writing in a new notebook. Its fresh pages greeted him as he opened it. It's decided that this journal will be for the people he met. Their quirks interest him a lot after all. He's looking at Dai's page, stumped. All he has down is her appearance and her name, as well as a little drawing of her. She's beautiful, but with her beauty, there is a mystery. He had to lie to his mom when she saw the scar across his eye. Izuku hates lying to her face like that, but it's for the best in his defense. There's a knock at his door and he looks up. Yeah, his mom walks in holding his new phone. "I took the liberty in getting it started up while you were gone. You might want to consider getting a new number though," she says, walking in and handing it to him. "Why?" Izuku says, looking at the screen of the new device. "You got a lot of random number spams." Izuku hums and unlocks the phone. "Let me know if you need anything, honey," his mom says, walking out of his room. "Wait, there is something." "Hey, Mom. Do you still have that book on sign language?" His mom turns around and raises an eyebrow. "I should, but why?" Izuku flips to the page he started for Yu in his notebook briefly, before looking back at his mom. "Just wanted to pick up a hobby is all. I'll look for it for you." His mom smiles and shuts the door. "Thanks, Mom." His phone buzzes, grabbing his attention. Looking down, it's one of those numbers his mom was talking about. It seems to be in a group chat of some sort. He opens the text app and clicks on it, expecting it to be a wrong number situation. New chat. "Unknown, how the fuck does this work?" "Unknown, do you have fucking dementia? Aren't you supposed to be the younger one here?" "Unknown, I actually don't, thank you. I think I figured it out." Unknown changed Unknown's name to Lizard Fursona. Lizard Fursona. Unknown, BAHAHA. Unknown, Lizard Fursona. "Die, help, I'm being cyberbullied." Unknown, "Nah mate, that's on you." Lizard Fursona, "You know what, fine." Lizard Fursona changed Unknown's name to Birthgiver. Birthgiver, "I am going to punch you in the throat." Unknown, "Well, you do act like the mom sometimes." Unknown changed their name to Boop Noodle. Boop Noodle, D. Unknown, "That's the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen." Izuku slaps a hand on his face. Of course, they made a group chat. He always had Dai's number, but he never put it in his phone. It's practical the more he thinks about it though. He needed their contact information anyway. He closes his notebook and makes his way to his bed, flopping onto the soft comforter as he types a response. "Izuku, I just had a stroke reading that and fucking died." Boop Noodle, "Oh." Lizard Fursona, "I didn't teach him that word." Unknown, "Fuck yeah, we didn't get the wrong number." Izuku, "How do you get my number?" Unknown, "We hacked into the mainframe." Birthgiver, "I got it from your mom." Unknown, "You're no fun." Birth giver changed unknown's name to Ongaverse. Birth giver, yes I am. Izuku, oh dear God. Ongaverse, I regret everything. Lizard Fursona, there are children here. Izuku, what child are you speaking of? Lizard Fursona changed Izuku's name to Child. Lizard Fursona, that one. Child, how dare you? Birth giver, anyway, we were wondering if you wanted to come tomorrow morning to discuss training since it's still the weekend. Training? Izuku is just now letting it sink in that he is actually doing this. He lays down fully with a sigh. Outstretched hands hold his phone above his face and lets the screen illuminate it. Yeah, he's gotten offered help, so of course he's going to take it and run with it. Izuku smiles and sends his next text. Shouta exhales loudly. Emphasis on the loud. He is perched on the roof of a building in Hasu City, examining the streets for anything that catches his eye. The dark skies make it hard to search accurately, unfortunately, but the only time he has is when the day has lost itself. The wolf is still out there. It's only been a couple of days, but the more it's out there, the more uneasy the public grows. He searches the best he can. It was his biggest priority as an order by the chief of police, and he hasn't stopped. Shouta is growing more exhausted each hour that passes and they don't catch it. Its disappearance is making everyone feel like they have gone insane and hallucinated the entire thing. It just vanished. Something yells, grabbing his attention. Whipping his neck to the side, he follows the sound. He doesn't even give himself a second to process what it could be. He just bolts, throwing himself in the air. He jumps roof to roof chasing after whatever he just heard. He feels like a madman chasing after a goose, going crazy and screaming every time it flies away. His feet beat on the concrete of the roofs as he runs. Where is it? Where is it? Shouta screeches to a halt, almost falling on his face from the sudden stop. He crouches down, making himself appear small and presentless, and peeks down to the alley below. All the oxygen in his lungs stays put. Careful with that, you idiots. A strong male voice yells. It's distorted like it's speaking under a thick mask. Below Shouta is a man in what seems to be a knockoff Bane mask and an all-black suit vest. A businessman of some sort, but his presence feels wrong. It's too dark to make anything else out from the guy, but automatically Shouta can feel the laws being broken. Sorry, sir. Two muffled voices call back. Shouta looks in the direction and catches two men wearing dark face masks, carrying what looks to be a wooden crate. They sound like they are struggling, like the crate is too heavy for only two people. What's in that crate is more important than your lives. If you drop it, you are more than fired. The man who appears to be the boss spits bitterly. Yes, sir. They carry the crate struggling immensely down the alley when a large shadow appears on the wall to the right of them. Too dark to be a regular shadow, it looks like the entrance of an abyss. What is that? Shouta leans over the edge slightly more to try and gain a better view. The two men carrying the crate step in the direction of the dark mass, stepping through. Like something out of science fiction, they walk into the wall. Shouta is about to make his move when the boss fixes his tie with gloved hands and says something loud enough for him to catch. Out viam and veniam out faciam. You will be mine, wolf. He steps through the wall and disappears. Initi, what now? You got a complete initiation before we teach you, kid. It's our rule, Yuma says, crossing her arms. Everyone is clumped together in the training room around Izuku. They are all dressed for a workout. Izuku isn't, but he's lucky his fashion sense is comfortable enough to move around well. What exactly do you want me to do? Kill a goat and drink its blood, Hiroto says in a deadpan. I'm sorry, what now? Hiroto gives Izuku an evil grin, stretching his arms outward, and he lets out a harsh laugh. It obviously sounds fake. Prove yourself to us, boy. Slice the beast's throat and feast on its oof. Dai smacks the back of Hiroto's head so hard he almost stumbles forward. Can it, asshat? Dai says sternly. You're gonna scare him off. She glares at Hiroto and then smiles at Izuku. We are not making you kill a goat, Midoriya. Izuku almost sighs in relief. He was about to make a fucking run for it if he had to slit a goat's throat and drink its body fluids. Absolutely not. That's just crossing it. What do I have to do then? Izuku asks, glancing at Hiroto rubbing the back of his head. Yuma clears her throat and walks over to a crate leaned against the wall. She opens it and pulls out a large black paintball gun. Paintball, Izuku says, cocking his head to the side. Land a hit on at least one of us, that's the goal. Yuma smiles. And if I don't, we throw you off a roof, Hiroto says. Dai immediately smacks the back of his head again. Dai looks at Izuku and lightly chuckles. Well, you just have to treat us to dinner. We are gonna train you no matter, so we just want to see what you can do. Okay, this is a weird way of joining a group. He shrugs. What's the worst that could happen? Yuma tosses the gun at Izuku and walks back over. This will be fun, right? This is not fun. This is so not fun. Izuku is currently running down one of the halls of the building, gripping the gun in his hands like a lifeline. Everyone disappeared, making Izuku very nervous. These people are vigilantes. More so, they have evaded the police for a very long time. He can't underestimate them. The base is fucking huge. For it being hidden in underground, it's very large. Izuku feels like he's getting lost just running around the halls. Jesus Christ, this is insane. Something taps his shoulder. Almost tripping on his feet, he spins around aiming his gun. But nothing is there. Another tap. He turns around briskly to only repeat the process. Nothing. It's like a ghost is trying to screw with him. Something sideswipes him, landing him on his back with a bang. The gun almost falls from his hands as he slams against the ground. Groaning, he looks up and finds you standing over him with a fanged smile. Shooting a middle finger up, she spins around on her heels and runs down the hall. Cheeky bastard. I thought she just handled med stuff. With a huff, he stands up and takes off after her. You turns the corner, Izuku does the same. But she disappeared. This place is a fucking maze. Panting, he continues to make his way down the halls. His body is not agreeing to the sudden amount of exercise. Running through the hall, something grabs his ankle and yanks. He flies forward like Superman and scorpions into the ground, almost breaking his back in the process. Izuku's ribs scream from the impact and he yelps. He wasn't paying attention enough to the rooms he passed apparently. Flipping around and grabbing the gun from the ground, he finds a tail wrapped around his ankle. It slithers from his skin and Izuku looks up to find Hiroto standing there with a shit-eating grin like Hughes. Izuku points his gun and shoots. Bright green balls blast from the barrel of the gun with a bang. Hiroto jumps towards the wall, sprouting reptilian claws from both hands and feet. He clings to the wall like a gecko and laughs, tail swishing behind him in a taunt. God, that Quirk is so cool. Izuku shoots again, missing. Hiroto jumps from the wall and spins his body towards Izuku, smacking the gun from his hands with a spine tail. Catch me if you can, Hiroto yells, turning around and running in the opposite direction. Izuku groans in frustration and grabs the gun sprawled on the ground across from him. Hiroto is fast. Izuku isn't able to keep up and loses him shortly. From all the twists and turns, he finds his way back to the training room. He kicks the door and points the gun in preparation. A finger hovers over the trigger nervously. He can feel his heart in his throat as he walks into the room farther. He didn't sign up for this bullshit. "Aw shit, you found me." Yuma jumps out from behind a weight stand. Izuku immediately points his gun at Yuma and shoots. Yuma leaps to the side, barely avoiding the ball of paint. Green splatters against the wall behind her as she vaults herself over a bench. She rolls onto the ground closer to Izuku and he shoots again, leading Yuma to dodge and grab the bar of a pull-up stand. She swings her legs onto the bar and dangles upside down. "Come on, you can do better than that," she yells, sticking her tongue out in a teasing manner. Izuku growls and shoots at Yuma. She swings her body to the side in a dodge and unhooks her legs. Flipping to the ground, she smiles. "Fuck," Izuku yells in frustration. "These guys are insane." Izuku points his gun at Yuma but hesitates when her smile deepens, pointing a finger at something behind him. Whirling around, the barrel of the gun points at Dai. "Sup, kid?" Dai waves, before gracefully performing a wheel kick onto the gun in his hands. It smacks against the wall with a crack. The force of it leaving his hands was so abrupt it stung. Izuku backs up, startled. "Wah!" Dai quickly moves towards Izuku. In a panic, he swings a fist. That was a mistake. Dai grabs his fists and throws her legs upward, hooking them around his neck and flipping him to the ground. His throat is tight as her legs squeeze around his neck, pulling an arm to the side and trapping him completely in her grasp. It happened so fast. Izuku barely registers that he is on the ground. He tries to breathe but it's hard as his airways are constricted more. He squeaks and taps her leg desperately. Chuckling, she lets her grasp slip, releasing him. Izuku rubs his throat and huffs. "How did? Nice try, kid. Looks like you owe us dinner," Dai says with a smug smile, standing and offering him a hand. Taking her hand, Izuku is lifted to his feet. Everything hurts. Hiroto and you run into the training room, panting with smiles on their faces. "Damn it," Izuku curses, rubbing his head in a combination of frustration and pain. Dai snorts. "Don't feel bad. When Yuma joined, she was taken down in 3 minutes," she says, pointing a thumb at Yuma. Yuma gasps at the comment. "Oi, we don't talk about that." Izuku sighs tiredly and makes his way over to a bench. He sits down with a groan, feeling all of the muscles in his body scream. His throat is still recovering. "What exactly was the point of this?" Izuku asks, looking at the 4 vigilantes. "It's a little bit of fun." Yuma shrugs, retrieving the paintball gun that's sprawled on the ground. Izuku rolls his eyes. "Fun? I can't feel my legs." Dai chuckles and walks closer to Izuku. "We wanted to show you what you are going to learn from us." Izuku cocks an eyebrow up. "By beating the shit out of me." "Precisely," Hiroto chirps in. Dai side-eyes him for the comment. "What did you see when you encountered each of us?" Dai asks, raising a hand to point to everyone. Izuku thinks for a moment. Everyone used different techniques to take him down, varying in the quirk control and fast movements. You snuck up on me somehow." Hiroto used his quirk to disarm me. Izuku pauses, getting nods from the 2 he just named. "Yuma did some sort of Parker, and Dai just kicked my ass so." Hiroto snorts at that. Dai crosses her arms and pops her hip out slightly. Pretty much yeah. Minus Hiroto. Did you notice that we didn't use quirks? She asks. Izuku nods. Quirks aren't everything. It's also the skills you learn. Dai affirms. So, Izuku pauses, tapping a finger on his chin. Quirk control, the art of silent moving, agility, Parker, and martial arts, Dai lists. Those are our skills, and we are going to teach you them. That makes sense. He knows a lot of heroes that use martial arts as well as other skills that improve their efficiency. It's a smart concept to think about early. Alright, you're still aiming for Yui, right Midoriya? Yuma chimes in, getting everyone to perk up at the question. I am yes, Izuku answers. Then we have a goal. Dai this time. She uncrosses her arms and places one of her hands on her hip. Through the next 10 months, we will train you hard and long. When the time comes for the entrance exam, she pauses, grabbing the paintball gun from Yuma. We will play this game again to see how far you have come. She points the gun at Izuku, the scar on her face creasing with a smirk. Izuku's back straightens, feeling a smile appear on his own face. Let's do this. He stands, looking Dai in the eye intensely and eagerly. Alright, what do you guys want for dinner? They ended up choosing fast food. Honestly, Izuku expected the four of them to pick the most expensive restaurant in the vicinity. But no, they wanted burgers and fries. Izuku isn't really complaining. It's been a while since he's done this with anyone. The only person that wanted to take him out was his own mother. Izuku had to walk in and grab the food. They wouldn't explain why, but apparently, they were kicked out of this restaurant in particular for some reason. They chose to sit on one of the rooftops and eat, looking down at the busy streets and bright lights of the alive city. It adds a change in scenery. The sky changes, bringing bright oranges and reds instead of blue. It's pretty watching it. Hiroto takes his mask off and unwraps his burger, taking a big bite. Chewing, he looks at Izuku, who is currently trying to open his own food now. I've never really done this before, Izuku says, finally peeling the wrapping off of his food. Hiroto swallows. What? Eat food on a roof? Yu takes a sip of her drink, looking at the two. Izuku shakes his head and takes a bite. I've never really hung out with anyone before, he clarifies. He feels the stress of soreness in his arms as he holds his burger in his hands. They really beat the shit out of him earlier, and already he feels the aftermath. Don't you have friends? I can't imagine that you don't, Yuma chirps, shoving a mouthful of greasy fries into her mouth. Nah, Izuku looks down at the streets. No one wanted to associate themselves with the useless weirdo with glowing green eyes. Izuku shrugs and takes another bite. It's silent for a moment. Izuku hears someone seat themselves next to him. He turns his head and Dai is sitting there cross-legged, eating her burger nonchalantly. That's stupid, Yuma argues. I did have a friend for a while. Dai turns her head. Everyone looks at him, holding their food. We were kids though. As I said, no one wanted to be friends with someone that looked like me. He thinks of Bakugo. The blonde really was his best friend for a while. But unfortunately, Bakugo let society's standards lead him in his decisions. He's done putting in the energy to care anymore for Bakugo. There's no point if he gets treated like dog shit. I haven't really had one since then. He shrugs again. Yuma shoves the rest of her fries into her mouth like a chipmunk. Well, you've got us now, she tries to say with the food in her mouth. Dai wraps an arm around Izuku and squeezes him close. She rubs his arm in a motherly fashion and then lets go. It's probably her way of giving a quick sign of comfort. It makes Izuku feel warmth in his heart. Wait, Yuma yells, so that means you've never had a slumber party before. It's almost comical how childlike Yuma is. Nope, Izuku answers, shaking his head. My first sleepover besides when I was like 5 was with you. Okay, yeah, that's depressing. Yuma is practically deadpan saying that. That just means we gotta have one tonight. Yuma looks at Dai, almost like she's asking for permission. Dai shrugs, as long as Midoriya gets permission from his mom. Izuku nods, smiling as he takes a final bite of his burger, crumbling the paper in his hands. Yes, Yuma shoots her arms up triumphantly. Dai stands, getting everyone else to follow with the same action. Yu holds her drink in one hand, almost empty. Yuma steps a tiny bit closer to Hiroto. First one back to base doesn't have to do dishes tomorrow. In one motion, Yuma extends her arm out and shoves Hiroto off the roof. Arms flailing, he flies back and drops down. Izuku slaps a hand over his mouth, but everyone else just starts laughing. There's a crashing sound like he landed in a dumpster. Silence. Fuck you. It's so loud it literally echoes. Izuku laughs at that. Dai grabs Izuku's arm and drags him, running across the roof. He hears a grunt and glances back. Hiroto is climbing up the wall with his reptilian claws. He almost pulls himself up all the way when Yu chucks her cup at his face. The lid pops off, spraying ice everywhere. He lets go of the roof and drops back down. Izuku laughs harder, making it difficult to run. Hiroto crashes in the same spot, judging by the sound. Damn it. Yu grins like she's proud of herself and follows behind Izuku. Izuku lays on the couch face down, texting his mom to let her know that he won't be home tonight. There are blankets and pillows all over the common room, forming into a sort of comfy mosh pit of bedding. A small mug with a spoon is perched on the floor next to him. They all decided to have some ice cream after they made it back, so Dai dished up some of the cold treat for everyone. Woo! Izuku turns his head slightly to find Yuma in the air above him. He doesn't have time to make an escape. She lands on top of him harshly, making Izuku groan in pain as his face smashes into the corner of the couch. He almost bites the fabric from the force. She starts laughing and he can't help but join. Her laugh is just contagious. Yuma really does act like the sister he never had. Hey Yuma, think fast. He feels her head lift from his shoulder blades to look up at who's calling her. Izuku does the same to see what it is. Izuku sees something white flying towards him and he quickly buries his face on the couch. Yuma didn't think fast. With a splat, whatever was thrown smacks against Yuma's face. He looks back and finds Yuma's face covered in whipped cream. He starts giggling at her misfortune and she growls. Wiping it off her face, she smashes some of the food onto his face. Yeah, he deserved that. He shoves her off his back, causing her to yelp and fall onto the ground. He hears Hiroto start laughing. He must have been the one that launched the whipped cream at the two. Yuma looks at Hiroto and reaches for one of the pillows on the ground. Standing to her knees, she hucks the pillow at Hiroto. Hiroto dodges and lets it smack against the wall. Picking it up, he returns it back to the sender. Yuma catches the pillow and Izuku watches as she fully stands to her feet. Hiroto runs into the kitchen where Dai is, ducking behind the counter. The pillow flies into the kitchen and towards Dai. She sidesteps easily. She's putting ice cream in a mug as Hiroto jumps up and throws the pillow back. Only his aim is really bad this time. The pillow smacks into Izuku's face, practically taking the whipped cream with it. The pillow plops on the couch, getting Izuku to smile and grab it. He stands up and throws it at Yuma, the smile deepening on his face. Yuma throws it at Hiroto again with whipped cream still on her face. Dai moves to the side, spraying whipped cream into the cup. The pillow hits Hiroto with so much force he lets out a screech and flails backward into the wall. Dai grabs her cup and walks to the couch. Hiroto throws the pillow at Dai while she has her back turned, but she ducks. The pillow slams against Izuku instead. Dai sits on the couch where Izuku was, holding her ice cream mug. Hiroto makes his way in front of the counter and throws the pillow back at Dai and she catches it with her free hand. That wasn't me, Hiroto says, panicking. Dai smiles and puts her mug on the floor. Hiroto and Yuma scatter like rats as Dai gets ready to throw the pillow. Dai throws it, causing Yuma to vault herself over the leather chair and Hiroto to Superman over the counter. The pillow smacks Hiroto on the ass and he screams. His feet get caught on the edge of the table and he flies to the ground clumsily. Something crashes as if he landed on pots and pans. Izuku just stands laughing at the chaos. He wraps an arm around his belly as he hunches over slightly. He walks into the room incredibly confused. Her black eyes stare at Izuku, practically saying, "I was gone 5 minutes, what the fuck happened?" That only makes Izuku cackle harder. Dai chuckles and reaches back down for her mug. She walks to the blankets on the ground and makes herself comfortable in a seated position. Yuma climbs from behind the couch and grabs another pillow, raising the pillow overhead, preparing to land a career-ending blow on Dai's skull when another pillow smacks onto Yuma's head and she flies to the side. The thrown-off balance causes her to land on the ground. Yu snickers, making it obvious that it came from her. Son of a bitch, Yuma yells as she rubs her head. Izuku looks at her and continues to laugh. His stomach is starting to hurt. Yuma frowns and reaches for one of his legs, pulling towards her. Like a rug was pulled from under him, Izuku slips and falls on his back. There are a couple of blankets that cushioned his fall, but he still groans from the impact. His laughing dies down as he lays. Hiroto and Yu make their way over to the blankets and sit, joining Izuku and the other two already seated. "Man, you're bad at pillow fights, kid," Yuma says. Izuku immediately grabs the pillow next to him and smacks her on the face. "Are you guys always like this?" Izuku asks, moving his hands to his stomach. He stares at the ceiling with tired eyes. "What? Are we always so amazing?" Yuma says as she removes the pillow from her face. Izuku snorts and rolls his eyes. "No, are you guys always so positive?" "Nah," Hiroto says, "but it's always nice to let loose sometimes." He flops onto his back, putting his arms behind his head. "We are in this together. After all, it would be depressing if all we did was wallow in self-pity." Izuku hums in agreement. It makes sense. He wishes he was able to be positive before meeting these people. All he really did was wallow in his sadness. Yu lays down too, followed by Dai. She sets her mug on the ground momentarily, sighing as she puts her hand on her stomach. "Thank you," Izuku blurts. Dai turns her head to look at Izuku, brow raised. "You sure do say thank you a lot, dude," Yuma says with a slight chuckle in her voice. "I mean it though." Dai smiles softly. Izuku brushes a hand through his hair and sighs. He smiles at the ceiling, feeling an emotion that he doesn't know well. Happiness. "I haven't had this much fun in years." "Cerberus, really?" Shouta says on the phone. He's standing on the ledge of a roof, participating in yet another patrol to find the wolf. Apparently, they decided to name it after a month of calling it the wolf, and they went with Cerberus. Are they joking? It doesn't even have 3 heads. It's the best they could come up with. Detective Tsukachi says on the other end. Shouta snorts. They really could have been more creative. But oh well, Cerberus it is. Got anything today? Tsukachi asks. Shouta exhales. The answer is the same as it was for the past few weeks. Nothing. Shouta's leads have been dry as ever, and no matter where he looks he can't seem to spot anything. Some people have supposedly spotted it, but it's never actively doing anything. There is something weird going on, and it makes Shouta's brain hurt. Well, as always, let me know if anything comes to your eye, Tsukachi says. Of course. The call goes blank. Shouta shoves his phone in his pouch and continues to scan the quiet streets. The many streetlights illuminate the streets, causing the streets to glow yellow. Typically it's alive with crowds and late-night shopping, but all things considered, people are still paranoid. He doesn't blame them, it's right to be on edge. His phone buzzes again. Confused, he digs it out of his pouch and answers it. Hello, hey, me again. I just got word that Cerberus was sighted moving fast near Hasu General Hospital. That was quick. Tsukachi sounds out of breath like he just ran across the station at high speed. Got it, Shouta says, ending the call. He turns in the direction of the location and runs. Shouta hopes he can make it in time. There's no telling what it's doing there. Hasu isn't far from where he is, fortunately for him. Shouta moves fast, thumping his feet on the rooftops and flinging across the buildings in smooth swoops, until there it is, the hospital, but no Cerberus. The wind is cold, blowing his hair over his goggled eyes. He lands on the pavement in front of the hospital, observing the quiet streets. Dim streetlights barely light up the area, making it difficult to look around. He might have been too late. Cerberus is massive after all. Who knows how fast it can run? Panting snags his attention. It sounds of something like a tired dog running, breathing harshly out of its mouth, tongue sticking out wet and sticky. Nails clack on the cement, grabbing Shouta's head and turning it to the sound. Something hot and glistering is flying towards Shouta at a speed he can barely register. With a gasp, he throws his scarf up and grabs a nearby lamp post. He dodges the light, but right as he starts to grapple himself up, something sharp slices his calf. A pain wince escapes his lips and he looks down. Surrender yourself, you beast. A deep voice booms, sounding all too familiar. Shouta makes eye contact with burning blue irises and annoyingly bright flame. Angry and persistent. God damn it, Endeavor. What is the meaning of this? Shouta vocalizes. He feels hot liquid on his leg soak through his pant leg and boot. Lovely. Endeavor turns to his name. Flames moving with his body movement. They are far more brilliant in the bleak lighting. I'm trying to catch this monster you've failed to capture. What does it look like I'm doing? Endeavor yells, holding a flame in his hand, readying for an attack. Shouta turns his head and sees Cerberus moving fast down the road. He notices blood staining one of the sharp vertebrae. It must be responsible for the gash on Shouta's leg. Because of the misfired flame, Shouta was too distracted to notice it apparently. Its movements are panicked, as all the other times he has seen it. It seems to be running from the hero. Someone is gripping onto one of its bones, like a passenger to the wolf. That's odd. They are small, almost frail, like gripping onto the side of the wolf for dear life. He unhooks his scarf and lands roughly on the ground. With a grunt, he looks down to see dribbles of blood from his leg. Endeavor runs past him, trying to catch up to Cerberus. Shouta pushes past the pain in his leg and follows behind the hero. He can feel the squishing of blood in his boot the more he runs. Soggy and uncomfortable. Who's attached to it? Shouta asks as he catches up. How am I supposed to know? Fucking prick. Shouta catches up to Endeavor, now running next to him as best as he can. His leg hurts like a bitch, but it's nothing he hasn't dealt with before. Got him, bastard. Endeavor mumbles as he runs faster. Cerberus only continues to run down the road, trying to avoid him and Endeavor at all costs. Shouta notices the train station down the road, growing closer as they run. The lights and signs of the tracks ahead begin to flash, warning for an upcoming train. Shouta winces through each step behind Endeavor. His leg really got fucked up. We can corner it at the station. Shouta yells. He doesn't like to work with other heroes, especially someone with a status like Endeavor, but he doesn't really have a choice in this. How do you expect to help with this? Endeavor glances at Shouta with a disgusted look on his face. Got him, stereotypical. Shouta growls at the comment. Man, the guy's a walking douche. Just cooperate. He can hear Endeavor tusk in an argument, but the man turns his head and continues after Cerberus. The train appears from the corner, and Cerberus isn't slowing down. The horn blares loudly, accompanying the clicks of wheels on metal. Oh no, you don't. Endeavor sends a concentration of flame below him, blasting off in the air towards Cerberus. With new speeds, he catches up to Cerberus and its passenger. Radioactive green. Shocked eyes turn and look at Endeavor. Endeavor declines and rolls on the ground with a huff. Cerberus attempts to leap over the train, but midair Endeavor grabs its tail and throws it to the side violently. There was so much force in the throw that Shouta could see Cerberus's neck almost snap from the motion. With a crash, glass shatters, and concrete cracks. Endeavor threw it into the side of the building to their right. Shouta can see a hand sticking out from underneath the beast. Cerberus must have crushed whoever was attached to it. Cerberus whines with panic in its voice as it weakly rises slightly. Acid pools out of its mouth and eyes, sizzling onto the ground. Endeavor approaches it, causing Cerberus to growl angrily. Teeth bare and acid spills faster. It goes to bite the hero out of defense, but a hand clasps over its muzzle, clamping its mouth shut. Shouta gets closer to it, feeling quite useless in the situation. It seems Endeavor has this handled. As he gets closer, he notices a scar sliced across its eye, reminding him of when it was shot twice. Cerberus's body moves to try and escape Endeavor's death grip on its face. Shouta sees its legs shaking, body hovering as it leans against the ruined building. The person he thought was crushed is safely under Cerberus. It's protecting them. It growls louder and louder the longer Endeavor holds it. It sounds and looks like a protective dog with its owner. Spines start to puff and shake in irritation. Shouta needs to de-escalate this before Endeavor either loses an arm or the person under Cerberus gets injured. With a flash of his power, Shouta erases Endeavor's and Cerberus's quirk as quickly as he can. Endeavor's flames are extinguished, getting a pissed look in response to the action. He still holds Cerberus's same mouth closed though. That's not right, Cerberus should. No, that can't be a mutation. Is it more animal DNA than human? Or is it a beast? Something shakes the ground as if a heavy object dropped behind him. He turns, keeping his eyes open. It's hairy and lanky. Oh God. A claw swipes at Shouta and he jumps to the side. He blinks. Endeavor lets go of Cerberus once his familiar flames return to his body, fluttering and smoking. He turns to let a blast go at the beast that decided to accompany them. The animal dodges and canters awkwardly around them, reaching Cerberus's side, teeth bared. Shouta gets a better look at it and is that Jinru. Shouta moves to a ready position, grabbing his scarf. He's had a couple of run-ins with Jinru, and he knows this power can't be erased. A quirk that caused shared DNA with a wolf. She is a complicated one. Maybe Cerberus is similar. She nudges Cerberus with a bony elbow, red glowing eyes penetrating Shouta's skull with annoyance. Cerberus looks at Shouta before lifting its body more. Endeavor attempts to run towards the two, but Jinru crouches and spins her body. With a crack, she lands a harsh blow on the hero with her leg, sending him flying. Shouta watches as Endeavor slams against a light post, denting it to a degree where it almost breaks. Shouta prepares to launch his scarf at Jinru, but she doesn't move. She doesn't attack Shouta. Leaning down, she helps Cerberus to its feet instead. Endeavor grunts and slowly raises to his feet, getting a glare from Jinru in response. Her bright eyes put chills down Shouta's spine. Cerberus stands to its feet fully, taller than Jinru by a foot at least. Shouta glances at the ground and finds a little girl on the ground under Cerberus. It seems she passed out. Blonde tangled hair covers her face messily like it hasn't been brushed in weeks. Her chest rises and falls steadily, calming Shouta's heart slightly. Cerberus moves from on top of her, getting lead by Jinru to the side. It points its nose at Shouta and then at the girl like it wants him to help her. Big green eyes practically beg. Endeavor shoots a flame at the two with a yell. Cerberus dodges and Jinru runs, dragging Cerberus with her. Sharp nails scrape on the asphalt as they speed past Shouta and Endeavor, turning into a nearby alley. Endeavor hounds them down and Shouta almost follows when he hears the little girl exhale loudly. He stops and turns, walking towards her. He crouches to check for injuries, placing a gentle hand on her arm. She's a little beat up, most likely from the harsh blow Endeavor gave. Other than that, she is okay, just unconscious. Damn it, Shouta hears Endeavor scream. It doesn't sound like something he would yell if he were in a tough fight. It sounds like he lost them. You say Cerberus was carrying her? Detective Tsukachi looks at Shouta while holding a notepad and pen like he's trying to understand the situation that just happened. Police officers flood the train station, slapping police tape on any surface that will allow. An ambulance's lights flash, making everything glow red and blue brilliantly. She was clinging onto Cerberus as it ran. We weren't aware of who it was because she's so small. And when Endeavor threw it, the girl was knocked unconscious it seems, Shouta answers, brushing a hand through his hair. Who is the girl anyway? Some kind of hostage. Tsukachi sighs and shakes his head. The girl's name is Hina Ito. She's 7. And she was on our missing person list for the past 4 weeks. Shouta feels like he got slapped on the face with a cold hand. He looks to the side, finding the little girl sitting on the edge of an ambulance. She clutches to a juice pouch like it's a lifeline, staring forward. One of the EMTs wraps a little blanket around her to soothe the overwhelming emotions. She looks tired. What? Shouta asks, swallowing the shock down his esophagus. Was Cerberus involved with her capture? Another shake of the head. Tsukachi scribbles something on his notepad and glances at the broken glass on the ground. I couldn't ask her much because she's still in shock, but from what she told me, it seems Cerberus is the one that helped her. You're saying Cerberus and Jinru are the ones responsible for her rescue? Shouta asks. A nod this time. The big doggies were so nice to me. They saved me from the bad man that took me from my mommy is the exact wording if you needed that. Tsukachi taps his pen on his notepad. There was a small note in her pocket with an address. It must be where her kidnapper is. Shouta hums. I guess we can confirm Cerberus is working with vigilantes. It doesn't matter if Cerberus did a good thing today. It's highly dangerous and still responsible for a death. Not to mention it's involved with the Oni. The detective pauses. We need to catch it, and soon. Shouta nods, looking at the crime scene once more with dry eyes. Cerberus really was protecting that girl. Huh. Interesting. Oh, for the love of God. Shouta got a call at the ass crack of dawn, alerting him that Cerberus is at Dagaba Beach. He just finished his patrol too. An odd location choice for a creature in hiding, but he doesn't question it, leaping roof to roof quickly. He makes it to the beach. Thankfully for him, the beach wasn't far from where he stood. Wrapping his scarf around a nearby lamppost, he swings to the ground, landing quietly. The breeze of the ocean burns his already dry eyes as he walks, and the stench of garbage and pollution blinds his senses. Something inhuman grunts, walking over by the concrete staircase. He peers over the metal railing. The beach is filthy. It's really unfortunate people let it get this bad. Some of the trash is on the sidewalk next to him, causing him to raise an eyebrow. Fur moves in the breeze, making his head snap to the side. He can't see much through the dense forest of trash on the sand, but something is moving. The sound of metal screeching and crunching pierces his eardrums. Turning his head, the wind blows long black hair into his face. Swiping it to the side, something very large is suddenly next to him. Shouta usually can sense when something is trying to sneak up on him, but this really startled him. It came out of nowhere. His eyes meet with Cerberus, having to strain his neck to look up to its face. It's just standing there, spines rattling in the wind. The darkness of the sky makes its eyes glow terrifyingly green. There is something in its mouth, like a dog holding a big bone. Only, it looks like a large rusty fridge. Uncharacteristically, Shouta hesitates. He moves to activate his quirk but remembers he can't. Well, great, he's practically useless. He grabs his scarf but stops when the fridge is dropped from the maw of the wolf, slamming against the concrete in the pile of garbage already piling up. It doesn't move to attack Shouta, it just stares at him. He swallows a lump in his throat before Cerberus turns around. He feels useless looking at the thing. Hey, Shouta yells, causing it to turn its head slightly. Shouta's grip on his scarf grows tight. You need to come with me. It closes its eyes and lets out a rough sigh like it's tired of hearing that. It hops over the staircase and onto the beach, sand shooting up from its heavy landing. It is calm and not worried whatsoever of Shouta's presence. Odd. It seems like a completely different animal from weeks ago. Shouta watches it trot around the beach, pushing pieces of trash with its snout into a concentrated pile. Metal clangs and claws scrape through sand. He doesn't really know what he's looking at right now. Opening its mouth wide, it chomps onto the small collection of trash, picking it up. It walks back over to the staircase and leaps next to Shouta once again, dropping the trash. Is it cleaning the beach? Once again, it turns and jumps back into the sand. Shouta watches it do this at least 4 more times, dropping trash on the sidewalk, leaping into the sand, collecting more trash. But the last time Cerberus drops a piece of heavy metal on the ground, it unexpectedly turns around and full-on runs across the road. Startled, Shouta grabs his scarf and chases after it. If it were any other criminal, he would have caught them the second he laid eyes on them. But this is different. Right when he came so close to such a large animal, he felt like he couldn't do anything but watch. Running across the street, he tails Cerberus as it books it. He regrets not detaining it sooner, because he really doesn't know what it's aiming to do. It takes a sharp turn into an alley, nails scratching against the ground. He follows, but right as he turns, the wolf climbs up the back wall of the dead end. It reaches the roof and turns its head, staring at Shouta. It blinks, before turning around and disappearing down the rooftops. Fuck, Shouta is getting frustrated. He's punching himself for not capturing Cerberus around 3 months back because no matter how many times he checks the beach or the city, it finds a way to leave before he can snatch it. Trash piles higher on the concrete by the sand, but every time he reaches the beach, there is no one to be found. The wolf is smart, which is very concerning. The past months have been strange. Its behavior is bizarre, making Shouta raise a brow in confusion. It's been seen running around the city, more so around criminal activity, but it never is the one actively doing damage. Criminals that are turned and say it just stood and watched, as another force took them down, like some scavenger waiting for an animal to drop dead. Missing children are found more frequently, having things to say about a big doggy saving them. Just once more, he decides to check the beach. It's his only lead for the night since no one has reported anything. Shouta's feet touch concrete sprinkled with sand as he looks out at the water. He can actually kind of see the ocean now. He hears a sigh and moves his gaze to the sand. Well, there it is. Cerberus is just laying down, staring at the ocean. The moonlight illuminates its spines and bones as the wind blows. It is sitting there quietly, observing the slow waves. Shouta walks down the stairs, entering thick sand. He hates sand with all his being. He hates it. With a quiet tisk, he makes his way towards Cerberus, cursing internally. The wolf turns its head at the sound of sand crunching. Its eyes look tired. He can see a scar sliced across its eye, faint but visible. Shouta says nothing, he just walks closer. Cerberus does nothing. It just moves its head back to the water like it knows Shouta wouldn't hurt it. Shouta moves next to it, feeling tiny compared to its large body. He clears his throat awkwardly, but Cerberus stays focused on the water. Shouta can feel the sand already entering his boots, irritating him slightly. You need to comply to arrest, Cerberus. It doesn't respond. Shouta opens his mouth but is interrupted by a tender howl, echoing and bellowing through the quiet parts of the city. It sounds like a wolf call. Jinryu. Cerberus perks its ears up. Raising its head upward, it points its nose at the moon, parting its lips to let out a response. Shouta expects something like its normal gurgling, ugly screech, ear-piercing and awful. The howl that is pushed out of Cerberus's throat is soft. It's loud, repeating the same echo effect at the last one. But it blissfully thumps through his eardrums like a song. Cerberus lowers its head and raises to its feet. Sand sticks to its fur like burrs. Glancing at Shouta, it turns and runs towards the direction of the howl. Shouta doesn't follow. Shouta has caught Cerberus at Takoba Beach more. Once a week, it lays in the sand. It seems like it's letting Shouta find it now. Ever so often, the beach grows a tiny bit clearer, and the wolf lays in the sand. He still isn't sure why the wolf is cleaning the beach in the first place. It puzzles him. But he can't complain. It's nice to see the water for once. Shouta stomps through the sand once again. He really needs better shoes for this. He can see Cerberus's ears twitch from the sound, but it keeps its head forward. It's extremely early in the morning. No one is out, making everything feel still and quiet, and the only sounds are the sand crunching and the waves splashing. Why are you here? Cerberus speaks. The sudden question catches Shouta off guard slightly and he almost chokes on air. Its speech is clearer than the last time he heard it speak through a phone months ago, still sounding deep and monstrous, but there is clarity. Shouta opens his mouth but is cut off. Supposed to capture me, so why? Why do you do nothing? It sounds conflicted, almost confused at Shouta's actions. To be fair, so is Shouta. He doesn't really know why he hasn't yet. He is incredibly frustrated that he hasn't caught Cerberus yet, but every time he comes in contact with it, he can't. He hesitates. A part of him wants to understand Cerberus more than capture it. Why can't he erase its quirk? Why it attacked the Sludge villain? Why it all of a sudden is helping? Why it is just sitting there? It frustrates him more that he doesn't know. I don't know, Shouta says with a sigh. He looks at Cerberus, blinking under his goggles. He lifts them off his face, letting them hang around his neck. Cerberus huffs, sounding like a half-laugh. Shouta sighs and shoves down all the hatred he has for the beach, and he sits, pants meeting dry sand. He finds himself next to the wolf. He wraps an arm around his knee, pulling it to his chest and letting the other lay limply on the ground, relaxed. Cerberus glances at him. They stay silent, staring at the ocean together. Waves come close to them, rising and falling into the deep darkness. Shouta breaks the silence. Who are you, Cerberus? Cerberus is silent. Shortly after, it rises to its feet, making Shouta feel extremely small. It runs off. Cerberus, wait. Let me speak to you. Cerberus is about ready to take off running again from the beach, but Shouta stops it. I don't intend on hurting you. He pauses, walking closer to the wolf. I just want to understand you, Shouta says softly, with his scratchy deep voice. It sighs, going into a seated position. Its tail swishes impatiently as Shouta moves closer to it. He no longer feels on edge and indecisive around the wolf, oddly enough. Please, Shouta pauses, looking at the green eyes of Cerberus. Things will only get worse for you if you don't explain. Cerberus blinks, staying in its seated position. Good, it seems it's going to listen. For once it isn't disinclined to stay. Cerberus looks down at Shouta, towering over him as always. It waits for Shouta to speak. Why are you cleaning this beach? He decides to start with something small. Cerberus looks at the pile of junk on the concrete above them, and then back at Shouta. Wanted to help, it says, deep and short. It averts its gaze from Shouta, looking irritated. Why? No response, it just blinks. Stubborn. Okay. New question. Is this a quirk? Shouta points to Cerberus's body with his index finger slightly. More specifically, were you born with this quirk? Cerberus returns its gaze to Shouta. It takes a deep breath, nostrils flaring outward from the action. Wasn't always like this. Quirk experimentation. Shouta asks without thinking. Cerberus shakes its head immediately. A shocked look on its face emerges like it doesn't know why he asked that. I had a weak quirk when I was 5 till most of my life. A stressful event caused my quirk to fully manifest. It taps a nail against the sand impatiently. So, that's technically a transformative form. Cerberus nods hesitantly. Okay, if it really isn't a full mutation, then how is he unable to erase it? This doesn't make sense. Shouta taps the side of his chin a couple of times before opening his mouth. Why is my quirk of interest to you? Cerberus snarks. It sounds revolted by the mention of its own power. I can't erase it. Cerberus's body completely freezes. Mutations I can't erase, but you don't have one. Cerberus's lip curls in annoyance at his accusation. It makes no sense. A transformation quirk I can't erase. How does a mutation quirk come in late? More importantly, it seems its DNA was altered, screwing with the mutation altogether. Something isn't adding up. Cerberus tilts its head. Green eyes blink slowly and its quills puff slightly. Shouta clears his throat. You say your quirk came in at 5. Cerberus untilts its head and nods again. Shouta moves a little closer to Cerberus. Mutations don't come in that late. I ask you about your quirk because I wonder why I am unable to erase it. Your quirk I should be able to erase. It seems you don't have a mutation quirk, but more so altered DNA. He swallows. Jinru ... That werewolf you seem to be working with, she has altered DNA, which means she isn't technically human. So, I can't erase it. Cerberus looks at Shouta like it doesn't speak the same language. It seems a crisis is happening in its brain. I have not personally come in contact with the rest of the Oni, but I assume Gamera's may be similar. Doctor said mutation. Doctor said doctor made sense. It sounds panicked now. Shouta holds his breath. I can't erase physical alterations or things without human DNA. Forthwithingly, Cerberus stands to its feet. The movement causes Shouta to take a couple of steps back, almost tripping in the thick sand. It's a mutation. I am human. I am human. Shouta puts his hands up, sensing that Cerberus has grown distressed and upset. He can see its quill puff out farther and acid creep its way from its mouth. Shouta can feel the tremendous amount of agitation and disturbance in Cerberus's presence, practically radiating out of its body. Cerberus, what doctor did you see? They should know the difference between a mutation and a transformation. Hacking a clump of acid onto the sand, it heaves. Oh no, if this thing has a panic attack, things will get messy. And its speech reverts back into something he hasn't heard in months. Shouta's heart rate picks up. It chokes again, spitting acid below it. Its body starts to shake slightly. Cerberus crouches down and launches its body up the concrete staircase from where it stood. Sand explodes from under its feet, flying into Shouta's face and hair. Rubbing his eyes, he watches as Cerberus struggles to run straight down the road. Damn it, Shouta slightly regrets having that conversation with Cerberus. He has spent the past couple of weeks searching perilously for the wolf, running across buildings, double-checking the beach, peeking in alleys. Nothing. Sighing, he stands from his crouch. The wind on the roof he stands on is strong, blowing his hair in 4 different directions. Taking a deep breath, he prepares to call it a night. But something calls him back to the beach. He has a feeling something may be there, so he decides to check one more time before going home. Surely enough, Cerberus is back at the beach. The sand looks cleaner, and the wolf sits still on the ground. The breeze brushes through its fur and spines, almost making Shouta feel relieved. He walks down the stairs, joining Cerberus once again. He sits, sighing. Shouta crosses his legs and hugs his knees to his chest. It's slightly chilly from the breeze, causing Shouta to feel goosebumps on his skin. Cerberus growls quietly. I don't want to hurt you. It stays facing forward, avoiding Shouta's glance. I just want to understand you. Cerberus exhales deeply through its nose again. A minuscule growl joins its breath. Shouta can see its rib cages decompress through the loss of air. Who are you? Shouta looks back at the sea. He hears a sizzle. Looking back, he sees acid drip from Cerberus's eyes and onto the sand. Are you scared, Cerberus? Shouta asks, continuing to look at the wolf. His eyes soften as he hears Cerberus exhale a shaky breath. Are you being forced to do any of this? Cerberus, talk to me. Look away. Shouta blinks, but he does so. Turning his head to the side, he stares at a patch of trash on the beach. A cracking sound enters Shouta's ears. It sounds like bones breaking and mending themselves into new positions. A low grumble comes from Cerberus before it goes quiet. He turns his head back over and something in his heart twinges. There is now a boy sitting in the wolf's place. He is wearing a tight all-black combat suit with a hood and mask. It's ripped, currently mending itself together carefully. Memory threads. He looks very young from the limited features he can see. Hugging his legs to his chest, the boy stares forward. Shouta opens his mouth and pushes out a question. How old are you, kid? He asks softly. The boy hesitates, keeping his gaze forward. 15. Shouta might be sick. And when did your quirk fully manifest? The kid swallows, adjusting the mask on his face slightly. The same day I killed the Sludge villain. His voice is brittle and cracking, sounding on the verge of tears. He's just a kid. My God, he is just a kid. And he is being threatened to be sent to Tartarus. God damn it, it was literally just an accident. Shouta sighs and stares forward. Another low grumble joins the sound of the waves. Shouta glances at Cerberus and finds he is back in his wolf form. head down in the sand. Cerberus closes his eyes and lets real tears fall. Go ahead, take me away. I deserve it anyway. Shouta doesn't want to. His heart aches as he looks at Cerberus. The kid. He reaches out to the side and gently places a hand on Cerberus's head. He expects his hands to feel scratchiness, but it's soft. Cerberus jolts slightly to the touch but relaxes shortly after. I will do no such thing, kid. I'm dropping the case. Shouta sits on a rooftop, holding his phone to his ear. He needs to tell Tsukachi that he isn't comfortable with trying to arrest someone that didn't want any of this. The sight of the kid's terror stays tattooed in his brain, stinging and throbbing, still sore and fresh. Tsukachi sighs on the other end. I was going to call you anyway. Shouta opens his mouth but stops. We've got it handled. He sounds mildly irritated. Shouta adjusts the phone on his ear. Pardon me. Tsukachi clears his throat and Shouta can hear something struggling in the background, like the detective is at a crime scene right now. Detective, what do you have handled? The other end is silent for a few moments. We caught Cerberus. Shouta sits there in disbelief for a second. You don't need to worry about it anymore, Eraserhead. I noticed your uncharacteristic failure to bring in the vigilante, so I had some other heroes work on it as well. He can hear something cry in the background, sounding like a kicked puppy. Shouta feels his temper lose control slightly. Where are you right now? Tsukachi sighs tiredly. Shouta growls. Detective, I swear to God if you don't tell me your location now I will find you my own way. You obviously have an attachment. I can't allow that. Detective. Shouta stands quickly, almost falling off the roof from the fast motion. Good night, Eraserhead. It's a kid. Tsukachi doesn't hang up. What? It's a fucking kid, detective. Now tell me your location now or I will lose it. The detective is silent. Shouta growls in frustration and grips the phone tighter. No, we will handle this. The phone clicks to an end. Yep, Shouta's gonna lose it. He understands that Tsukachi is tired and just wants this to end. But for fuck's sake, this is a child, and he won't even damn it. Is this seriously the system we live in? At least talk to the kid and figure something out. Rubbing a hand over his eyes, he feels a headache creep under his skin. He is tempted to huck his phone off the roof, letting it crack on the asphalt of the road. Instead, he huffs and shoves it in his pouch. Running a hand through his hair, he tries to think of something he can do. The only thing he can think of is searching the normal areas Cerberus goes to. There's a lot. He doesn't have a lot of time. Internally cursing, he decides to start with the beach. At this hour, there is a chance the kid's there. A gut-wrenching scream boils his blood. It sounds like Cerberus, and the scream was something on the terrifying side. It echoes from the direction of the beach. Thank God. Shouta runs as fast as he can, almost tripping over his feet as he continues closer and closer. His hair blows messily behind him. Closer and closer he runs. Please, please. Police sirens wail. He's close. Good Lord, please. He reaches the beach, finding police cars swarming the place. The sun is just barely coming up, lighting up only parts of the beach. There is the sound and sight of a struggle. Officers circle around two large beings, holding their guns in front of their faces. Cerberus is in the middle of the circle, covered in sand as if he rolled in it for hours. He's being held down at the neck by All Might, wiggling like a worm. Cerberus struggles, cries, chokes, but nothing. No one can match the sheer strength of the number one himself. Shouta might be sick. He spots the detective in the circle. Detective Tsukachi. Tsukachi turns and immediately frowns. Eraserhead leave. Some of the officers turn their heads. Shouta disobeys. He runs towards the circle, jumping over the metal fence instead of going down the stairs. You're hurting him. He yells at All Might, who only presses harder on Cerberus's neck, choking him further. All Might doesn't listen. He reaches his hand back, grabbing something from an officer in the circle. It's a muzzle. I wish to not do any damage to you, Vigilante, but you must cooperate. All Might brings the muzzle towards Cerberus's face. Cerberus cries, shaking his body violently in a struggle. He looks horrified at the large muzzle coming closer to his mouth. Shouta attempts to move closer and to escalate this. Someone is going to get hurt if the kid loses control. The detective grabs his arm and squeezes. Eraserhead, stop it. All Might grabs Cerberus's jaw and clamps it shut, shoving the metal muzzle over his mouth. Cerberus screams loudly, spitting acid out of the holes of the jail on his mouth. All Might ignores it and grabs one of his backbones. Cerberus is lifted to his feet, shaking with absolute horror. A big van backs up in the sand, opening the back. They are planning on sending Cerberus away to Tartarus now. Tears drip from Cerberus's eyes, landing on the sand. Shouta has had it. The detective keeps a tight grip on his arm. Detective, listen to me now. He doesn't deserve this. It was an accident. Let us do our job, Eraser. Shouta turns and lands a crack on Tsukachi's jaw. The detective lets go of him and flies back, rubbing his mouth with anger in his eyes. One of the officers in the circle goes to grab Shouta, attempting to shove him to the ground. Shouta sees Cerberus growl something horrendous from his mouth, skin scrunching above the muzzle in anger. He shakes his body violently, attempting to free himself from All Might's grasp. Nothing works, the hero only grips harder. Shouda's eyes meet with Cerberus's. The kid twists his body, snapping the bone in All Might's grasp in half. Shouda gasps loudly as Cerberus starts bolting forward. He leaps and lands on top of the van. Fire! One of the officers screams, pressing the trigger on his gun. One after another, the beach is lit up with blazing gunfire. Shouda struggles in the officer's grip. You're firing at a kid. Cease fire. Shouda can see All Might's eyes widen slightly at that. Cerberus jumps in the air and dodges what he can, spinning with incredible agility. Landing in the sand, a bullet lands itself on his hind leg, pushing a yelp out of his mouth. No one is that fast. Cease fire. The detective yells, glaring at Shouda in the process. All Might rushes forward but freezes completely still when Shouda turns his head with hot, angry eyes, like he knows he will erase his quirk. Cerberus shakes his head, pawing at the muzzle on his face. He whines and runs forward, almost tripping up the stairs. Shouda looks at the detective and back at All Might, before slamming an elbow into the officer and booking it towards Cerberus. Eraserhead. Shouda wraps his scarf around one of the lamp posts and launches himself forward. He excels towards Cerberus until he manages to grab a bone. He sits himself between two of the bones, one elongated, the other broken, and places a hand on Cerberus's side. Keep going, kid. I'll make sure they don't get close. Cerberus whines, spitting blood and acid from his mouth and into the muzzle. He turns into one of those connected alleys, the ones that maze into each other. For a short while, Cerberus makes him and Shouda lost in the dank, narrow alleys. They reach a dead end. Cerberus stops, legs shaking. Shouda slides off his back and immediately Cerberus collapses. Shouda can see his eyes flutter closed. The hum of a helicopter can be heard miles away. Hey kid, I need you to stay awake for me, okay? Shouda moves to take the muzzle off Cerberus, unclipping it from behind his ears and gently pulling it off. The metal clamps clang against each other as Cerberus opens his mouth in relief. Can you shift back? Shouda asks. Cerberus winces and shakes his head. Can't. Not if the bullet is in me. Cerberus breathes unevenly, pained. Fuck. Shouda moves to check his injury. It's too dark to tell if it passed through his leg or not. Blood soaks fur. That's all he can judge. But guessing by the thickness of the muscle in the limb, there is a chance it didn't. Shit. Shouda takes his goggles off and rubs his eyes. He is in deep shit when the detective finds him. It's fine. Cerberus winces again. I'm where I need to be. What? Cerberus weakly slides to the side, moving a metal trash can out of the way, poking a nail in a crack in the cement. Shouda focuses his eyes and notices lines in the cement, outlining the ground like a puzzle piece. There is a tiny hole in the middle of it. Cerberus moves his claw and sticks a nail in the hole, pressing down. There is a click. The cement groans before sliding open. It's a passage of some sort. Is it his base? Why are you letting me see this? Shouda asks. Cerberus turns his head slightly. Because I trust you. Cerberus slides his body into the hole, dropping down. The opening closes immediately, and Shouda is left standing in the alleyway, holding the muzzle in his hands. Cerberus, what are you doing here? Weeks and then months pass. Shouda hasn't seen Cerberus once. Until now. He sighs, walking towards the sand. He isn't in his uniform, just a jacket and some pants as well as his scarf civilian clothes. The beach is spotless. The kid finished. He did it. The water is beautiful, practically glittering in the fresh moon. Sitting on the beach isn't the usual Cerberus he sees. The kid isn't in his wolf form. I could ask you the same question. Shouda sighs a chuckle and joins Cerberus's side on the sand, letting the ground squish beneath him. I've been wondering about something, kid. Shouda looks at the kid with a half smile or his best attempt at one. Shoot, he says. How did you get yourself involved with Oni? Cerberus snorts, smiling. Squeezing his arms around his knees tight, he sighs. Have you ever been discriminated against for something you can't control? Shouda blinks. Growing up, a non-flashy quirk never really did it for some people, but he could never say he was to a major extent. Sure, heroes like Endeavor spit at his presence, but he was never bothered by it. Cerberus inhales. These vigilantes understand the most what it is like. He pauses, looking at Shouda with soft eyes. They offered to help me feel useful. Shouda hums. They made me realize life was worth living. They are my friends. Shouda stares at him, eyes scanning the kid's limited facial expressions. He's calm. He can see a smidge of hair poking from under the hood, green and curly. He looks down and notices the kid start tapping a finger on his leg like he wants to ask a question himself. I only got a suspension if that's what you're wondering. Cerberus blinks, showing only his concerned eyes under a mask and hood. It looks like he's shocked for the read mind, but more so that Shouda is so nonchalant about it. Honestly, Shouda is surprised. It's a miracle his hero license wasn't stripped the moment he showed up to the police station with a muzzle and no Cerberus. He pulled some dumbass stunt, but it seemed the detective had some compassion inside. Shouda explained in depth why he did it, and the detective soaked the information in, saying he'd try his best to help. So basically, no promises is what Shouta heard. The detective is exhausted. It's visible through the deep eye bags under his eyeballs, so Shouta didn't push it. Yeah, that was what I was wondering. The kid pauses. But I also wanted to know why you helped me. All you gained was punishment. He looks down, letting a hand drop to the sand. A finger draws a circle in the sand. I don't exactly see how I'm so special. Shouta smiles slightly. You didn't want this. I don't think you should be punished for an extreme quirk manifestation. Shouta shrugs, getting a confused glance from Cerberus. Accidents happen, and punishing everyone that makes a mistake only leads to more downfalls. Cerberus nods and inhales, ready to vocalize something. Don't worry about it, kid. I go back in time for the UE entrance exams in a couple of weeks. He sighs tiredly, staring at the water ahead. God, he really doesn't want to put up with another year of students like last year's. You're a teacher. The kid looks at him intrigued. Shouta looks closer for a minute and notices how green the kid's irises actually are. Shouta nods. He doesn't fear talking to the kid about this stuff anymore. Is it true All Might is teaching there this year? How did the kid hear about that? Yes, unfortunately, Shouta growls. The kid pinches the bridge of his nose and sighs. Fuck, watch it, problem child. God, where did the kid get a mouth like that? Cerberus narrows his eyes slightly. Problem child. It kinda just slipped out. Shouta shakes his head. Never mind that. Why do you sound so upset about it? Cerberus moves his head forward again, stretching his legs outward and relaxed. I would rather not talk to him on campus. Shouta freezes for a moment. Wait a minute. Are you? Yep, Cerberus says, popping the pea. Gonna do anything about it? He teases in a mocking manner. Is he going to do anything about it? He decides to ask something. Well, do you want to be a hero, kid? Shouta asks, looking at Cerberus with serious eyes. Cerberus looks at him weirdly before nodding his head. Shouta shoves his hands in his pockets and smiles. Then I'll see you on campus. Shouta walks home, feeling the warmth of the sun welcome him. The morning became crisp, day anew. Ski turning pecky sweet. Shouta thinks to himself briefly as he walks. Yui, good luck, kid. Keeping his hands in his pockets, Shouta walks down the sidewalk. His eyes are dry in the morning air, causing him to curse internally. He needs a nap after this. Something shatters in the alley in front of him. It might be glass. Walking as if he were weightless, he peers around the corner, gripping at his scarf. There is a man sprawled out on the concrete on top of a bed of glass. Shouta raises his eyebrows. The man must have been thrown out of a window. Heavy footsteps enter the alley. The man groans and tries to lift himself, but is stopped when a large boot stomps on his back, shoving him back into the glass shards. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. The man pleads under the pressure. You let my champion go. The owner of the boot says. His voice is muffled and deep, sounding familiar. Shouta squints, picking out a metal mask from the dim lighting. It's that man, the one that speaks Latin. It tricked me, sir. The masked man only scoffs. Then you are just a fool. He presses down harder on the man's back, causing him to squeak from the lack of oxygen. I'll do anything. Just please don't. The masked man grabs something from his pocket and slams it into the neck of the one under him. A gasp escapes his lips before passing out. Through consequence, you become what you let get away. The masked man shoves whatever he stabbed the other man with back in his pocket, stepping off his back. The masked man snaps his fingers, and a black void appears on the ground in front of him. No, not this time. Shouta launches his scarf towards the man. With a pair of glaring eyes, he sidesteps away from the cloth. He saw it coming. Turning around, the man walks back into the shadow, disappearing. Shouta curses internally. God, that guy is shady. The man on the ground lets out a soft groan, snapping Shouta out of his funk. There is blood trickling from the neck of the man. He quickly snatches his phone out of his pouch and dials. Placing the phone to his ear, he turns around to check his surroundings. I need an ambulance at this location. Moonlight is crisp and new, shining brightly over the tired streets and sidewalks. Izuku walks with hands shoved in pockets, hood overhead, and a simple mask. The stars are just barely visible. Pollution covers the sky like a thin bed sheet, almost translucent, covering the brightness. Izuku sighs as he glances at the sky, wishing he could see the stars just once. Izuku hasn't really let it sink in that UE entrance exams are in a few days. Months before, he was a helpless boy with a quirk that scared even himself. No hope in his fragile heart. Tears, confusion, fear, those were all emotions he felt at a constant. Smiling under his mask, he continues to walk down the dimly lit sidewalk. He's no longer that boy. Izuku's now someone that doesn't experience those emotions regularly anymore, but new ones instead. It's remarkable, really. Who would have thought that a change in friends, a change in perspective, more importantly, would completely alter his outlook of everything around him? People are not created equal. Izuku learned that lesson a very long time ago. But he didn't let it eat and fester like a parasite in his stomach. Instead, he let it drive him. Izuku was not going to sit and whine. He was going to work hard. Blood and sweat, it was all worth it. Izuku's self-confidence, mental health, quirk control, and overall physical health could never be better. It was all because he got the closure he needed to kick his old Debbie Downer self in the head. For fuck's sake, he has made it far, farther than he thought in today's unfortunate society. He had to give himself some credit. He's proud of himself and grateful he found people like the Oni that cared for his well-being. They weren't people that spit at his existence, but they were ones that were spit at as well. Nothing can beat being friends with people that understand. Without them in Eraserhead, he would never forget about him. He'd be rotting in a jail cell right about now. It makes Izuku smile, distracted in deep thought. Izuku doesn't fully process someone running towards him from the alley next to him. Harshly, the figure slams into Izuku, almost knocking him to the ground. Izuku grunts and rubs his shoulder, looking down to find a man trembling and on the ground. And, is he wearing a hospital gown? Izuku blinks, but shortly after he kneels down, offering a hand. I'm so sorry, sir, are you all right? I didn't notice you there. Help me. Izuku flinches, retracing his hand. The man's voice breaks from distress, sounding absolutely terrified. He must have been running from something, or someone. The man raises to his knees shakily, grabbing onto Izuku's shirt. Fingers twist into the hem of Izuku's shirt, making him nervous as the man begs for help. He tries to back up but can't because of the death drip on his clothing. The man is borderline in tears, lip wobbling and eyes glistening. Sir, are you okay? Izuku asks, voice slightly shaky from the scenario. I can help, but only if you tell me what's wrong. The man looks at Izuku with wide eyes, continuing to grip the cloth. Izuku's heartbeat picks up. IIIHG. The man lets go of Izuku's shit mid-sentence, crumbling to the ground in pain. He grabs at his neck, his whole body shaking. Sir. The man pants unevenly, sounding of pained wheezes, asthma-like. He gags, leaning to the side like he's about to spill the contents of his stomach onto the concrete. Hot blood chokes from his mouth instead, splattering onto the ground. He grabs his stomach in pain, hunching forward. Izuku reaches a hand out again, attempting to calm the man in his obvious meltdown. But he stops when a growl hums in the man's chest. It doesn't sound human, but oddly feline-like. The man's hands shake aggressively, allowing claws to manifest and scrape against the sidewalk like nails on a chalkboard, further demonstrating the escalation of this situation. Fuck, this isn't good. He might have to call die. The man screams in agony, clawing at his neck, not realizing that he's leaving marks. Blood oozes from the scratch marks as he scrapes his skin raw. It's like some tick attached itself to his skin, sucking the life out of him, and he's desperately trying to get it off. He looks extremely stressed out. Not good. Sir, whatever is wrong, I need you to take a deep breath. The man only continues to hyperfixate on a single spot on his neck, clawing, scratching. Izuku backs up slightly. Another clot of blood shoots out of his mouth. Izuku looks at the man's distressed face, finding glowing yellow eyes. Those were not there before. The man hunches his back and howls. Izuku needs to get the fuck out of here. Izuku turns, but his ankle is grabbed tightly. Izuku looks back as the blood drains from his head. He finds the man staring at him, tears pouring out of his eyes. Long, wire-like whiskers poke from the sides of his Cupid's bow. Help me. Help, help. A long tongue slithers out of his mouth, mimicking a similar action to Hiroto's reptile form. Hair grows on his forearms rapidly, looking painful. Inter, it's a mumble. A pause. What? The man lunges at him, catching Izuku off guard. He stumbles back, landing ass first onto the ground. He expects to feel the sharp claws on his flesh at any moment. But surprisingly, the only pain he feels is his lower body from the impact. Izuku looks to the man, finding him struggling. A dark piece of matter has itself wrapped around the man's ankle tightly, like some sort of whip. That must have been what stopped the man. It pulls back. The man claws, struggling, crying, trying to make his way to Izuku but fails miserably. Tears spill from the man's eyes faster. Izuku can't move. The absolute terror in the man's face drains the color from Izuku's skin. The man's tongue flies out messily from the tribulation through his body. Something flaps from his neck. It looks like one of those skin things on a frilled dragon. What is this guy? Interfishes me. Obsecro. Before Izuku can even get up to help the poor man experiencing incredible pain and suffering, the man is dragged harshly into the alley. Izuku can practically hear the skin under his hospital gown ripped to shreds. The man disappears into the void of black, leaving Izuku with a line of sweat now covering his forehead. What the fuck was that? Izuku swallows, sitting in silence for what feels like minutes. That was really weird. The man's quirk transformation didn't look natural. More specifically, it looked and sounded painful. It was intense, leaving Izuku with tight muscles and a dry throat. What language came from his tongue? It sounded Latin. Snapping his mind into focus, Izuku stands slowly. He shuffles past the alley and makes his way down the sidewalk once again. He knows better than to investigate something like that. His hero complex argues, but that was insane. God, that creeped him out. Hopefully, that doesn't screw with his head tonight. He's gonna need the focus. Izuku pulls his hood over his head slightly more, almost completely covering his hair, shoving a lump down his esophagus. Throwing his hands in his pockets once again, he tries to move a little quicker. The last thing he needed was to get nabbed in the middle of the road. Hopefully, Dai can tell him what the hell he just witnessed. Alright, punk, let's see you shine. Izuku stands in the middle of a circle actually wearing workout clothes. Surprise. Yuma chucks a paintball gun at him, clacking in his grasp. Smiling, he brushes a hand over the barrel. Think you can do it, Serbi, Yuma teases, crossing her arms. Izuku scoffs at the nickname, smiling afterward. Oh, I know I can do it, Izuku answers, grinning. I had good teachers after all. Izuku taps Dai next to him with the gun. He hasn't really had a chance to talk to her yet, he just realized. As soon as he dropped down into the hideout, Yuma whisked him away, excited that today is the day. At least he had a chance to look up some of what that man said to him on his phone on the way to the building. It was a rough translation since he didn't know the spelling, but through sounding it out and going through a couple of translation sites, he was able to find the meaning. Izuku's always been like that. When curiosity hits, he searches. Kill me, please. It put something in his head that didn't feel nice. It almost made him regret having that curiosity. Wanna add to the challenge? Dai says, cocking her eyebrows. Izuku nods, adjusting his stance slightly. He's gonna need to focus. Hit all of us, and you're off dish duty for a month and we buy you dinner. Yuma opens her mouth, but Dai pauses, holding a finger up. If you don't hit all of us, you're on dish duty and you owe us dinner. Izuku puts a finger on his chin. Challenge accepted. Dai smiles, snapping her fingers. Alright, you know the rules, squirt. Countdown 5 minutes. Dai gets into a ready position, preparing to boost off, but Izuku grabs her arm. Everyone else runs out the door, booking it fast down the hallway. Turning her head in confusion, she stops and waits. Can I ask you something? Izuku stands, still holding Dai's arm loosely. Nodding her head, she adjusts her stance to something better. Izuku opens his mouth but then pauses. He didn't realize how complicated this was. Actually, it can wait, Izuku says, getting an eyebrow raise in response from Dai. He can't exactly explain a guy with what looked like a cat lizard quirk getting stolen from a shadow in less than a minute. You sure? Yeah, it might take a while to explain. Izuku trails off, looking to the ground nervously. Alright, suit yourself, Dai says, shrugging. Izuku lets her arm go and Dai makes a run for it. He watches as the training room door slams shut before squeezing the paintball gun with both hands. Here we go. Shit. Izuku laughs to himself as he chases Yuma down the hall. I forgot you could do that, Yuma yells, continuing to run as fast as her muscles will allow. Izuku runs faster than normal speed, catching up to her. What Yuma speaks of is Izuku's enhanced limbs from Hiroto's lessons. Hairy, long legs carry him down the hall quicker. His tall stature makes for quick movements to his advantage. Nails from his paws click on the ground through each step like a pair of heels. Turning sharply suddenly, Yuma leaps and presses her legs on the wall, shooting herself towards Izuku. She's attempting to take Izuku down and make a run for it. Yeah, as if. Izuku watches her body attentively as she flies towards him. In a matter of milliseconds, Izuku processes that her body is at a certain angle that plants a target right on her stomach perfectly. Rolling backward to his back, Izuku waits for Yuma to get close enough and he shoves his legs upward. Widened eyes, Yuma realizes she fucked up. Bullseye. Izuku hits the target he envisioned on her stomach, and with both feet, he launches her behind him with his legs. Landing on the ground roughly, Yuma lets out a grunt. Izuku quickly turns to his stomach and points his gun. Before Yuma can get up or fully process her body on the ground, Izuku pulls the trigger. Bang, out. Fuck. Yuma yells as the bright green ball of paint explodes onto her shoulder painfully. Izuku snorts, lifting himself to his feet swiftly. Yuma continues to lay on the ground, unmoving. She looks limp. Dead. Izuku rolls his eyes. What the hell are you doing? You have shot me, therefore I am dead, Yuma mumbles, face on the ground. Izuku smiles and shakes his head. Turning around, he runs down the hall, leaving Yuma dead on the ground. Okay, Shakespeare, you better bury me with my guitar. Izuku hears Yuma yell and he can't help but chuckle. She's such a goof. Izuku rounds the corner, holding the gun in his hands. Compared to 10 months ago, he feels no nerves. Replacing those nerves is steady confidence. Making it farther down the hall, he senses something. It feels off, almost like a warning signal down his spine. Like someone's finger drags itself across his back gently, or something like a ghost trailing behind him, waiting for the perfect opportunity to poke at his shoulder and scare him. Izuku swallows and screeches to a halt. He turns aggressively and swings his gun with the body motion. The barrel of the gun connects with a crack. It sounds like he smacked someone's skull. Izuku watches you fly back and collide with the ground. She rubs her scaly head and groans, eyes squeezed shut. Yikes, that had to hurt. Izuku cringes apologetically. Shit, sorry you. Something grabs his ankle and yanks, neck snapping forward, body becoming light. Izuku finds himself upside down in the air. Fucking Hiroto. He was distracted and didn't notice him. God, the deja vu. Double teaming. That's uncharacteristic. Izuku teases. He locks eyes with Hiroto, finding his long scaly tail wrapped around his leg. Blood begins to rush to Izuku's head, making him feel slightly lightheaded. He's still holding the gun in one of his hands, but he isn't pointing it at anyone. Izuku would shoot at Hiroto or even you, who is still on the ground. But really, Hiroto could fling him across the room at any moment. It's best to wait for an opening. Hey man, I love you but I'm not doing dishes for a month. Hiroto points a thumb at his chest and Izuku rolls his eyes. That's unfortunate, Izuku says, looking up at the tail wrapped around his leg. His brain remembers a very unnecessary memory from the internet. Kids are curious creatures, especially when there is access to the internet. As a kid, browsing the internet was a given that he'd find random facts. It was only natural he came across pages on how to get a python off of a body part. Izuku sees the tip of Hiroto's tail peeking out from the grip. Well, this is gonna hurt Izuku's back. Thank God he's gotten more flexible. Izuku eyes Hiroto before hunching upward into a crunch. With all his core strength and flexibility, Izuku's face reaches Hiroto's tail around his ankle. Izuku opens his mouth and bites. Motherfucker, Hiroto shouts in pain, unwrapping his tail and dropping Izuku to the ground. He lands on his back, which is not pleasant. Not knowing how much time he has, he stays on his back and looks back at Hiroto, who's holding his tail in pain. Raising the paintball gun, he shoots the gun upside down. With luck, he hits Hiroto on the thigh. Hiroto doesn't really yell in pain from that, but gives Izuku a look that speaks, I'm impressed but I'm still going to beat your ass. You little. Hey man, you said it yourself. Izuku pauses and sits up. Dish duty sucks. He shrugs and lifts himself to his feet, feeling a wave of achy pain down his spine. Yeah, he saw that coming. He did fold himself in half after all. The same feeling of fingers down his spine alerts him. Turning, he pulls the trigger of the gun again. With a splat, bright green displays itself across Yu's breast. Flinching from the blow, Yu backs up. Putting a hand on her chest, the skin on her hands comes back green. Yu smiles and sighs with stained fingers. Impressive, I can't sneak up on you anymore. I learned from the best. Izuku grins at Yu and Hiroto and takes off down the hall in another sprint. 3 down, 1 to go. Now, where are you, Dai? Dai is the one Izuku is worried about most. Honestly, a simple definition of Dai is she's a hard-ass. Not once has Izuku been capable of beating her in a sparring match. He will give himself some credit. He's been close before, but no matter the position or situation, Dai finds a way to flip it. Honestly, Izuku wouldn't be surprised if her quirk was being extremely good at everything. He still doesn't even know what her quirk is, so it's fun to guess sometimes. Izuku continues to run, keeping the gun to his chest like a friend. His legs still extend long, claws clicking on the ground as he steps. His eyes scan the premises, desperately looking for the black-haired woman. He can feel his heart rate rise as sweat collects on his forehead. He's come so far, he can't lose now. Izuku can feel his muscles yelling at him, protesting that they need a break. Izuku doesn't listen. Instead, he perseveres through the soreness. Turning another corner in the maze of a building, he stops. The grip on his gun grows tight. He can hear the plastic creak. Dai's just standing there with her arms crossed. Just me left. Izuku nods, preparing his body for attack. Dai smiles and hums. Well done. She doesn't give him a chance to think. Running towards him quickly, Dai launches herself at the wall like Yuma earlier, only she accomplishes a higher height. She left no opening. Unlike Yuma, practically giving Dai the opportunity to land on his shoulders and wrap her legs around Izuku's neck. Izuku chokes before Dai twists her body to the side, flinging Izuku to the ground due to absolutely no balance. Dai lands and finds her way to Izuku's chest, putting a knee on his ribs with inclining pressure. She pins his arms down. Shit, Izuku struggles under her, trying to worm himself from underneath the pressure of her body. He tries swiveling his hips, lifting himself, but his body won't budge. Izuku may have grown in muscle mass, but Dai is a strong woman. She will always be stronger than him. Proud of you, kid. But unfortunately for you, you still can't beat me, Dai says smugly, getting closer to his face. Wanna bet? Izuku says, raising an eyebrow. He continues to struggle under her, not giving up. You've come far, Midoriya, Dai says softly, but you still can't pin me down. A smirk emerges on her lips like she's trying to preserve herself as deadly. Izuku doesn't fear it. She typically does the same in training. He chuckles under her weight. His curly hair brushes his forehead as he lays on the ground, trying to figure out how to get out of this trap. Come on, you underestimate me. Izuku grabs Dai's sleeve. Thank God she's wearing a long sleeve shirt, and he pulls. At the same time, he changes his legs back to normal and sneaks them from under her, wrapping them crisscross around her leg that's knelt on his chest. Flipping his body to the side with all his strength, he gets on top of her, holding her knee in an awkward and uncomfortable position. He smiles. Oh, how the tables have turned, teach. Dai smiles back, only it's cheeky. The next thing Izuku knows is that he's under Dai again. How the tables have turned. Izuku frowns. The position Izuku is in now has no openings. Dai has him in a prison. It's as if Dai gave those last openings to Izuku like some sort of handout. You're unfair, Izuku sighs. Oh please, Dai snorts. Izuku stares for a moment. Please. That word throws a thought in his head, stirring memories around like a distasteful soup. The man, the shadow, the fear. Obsecro. Dai's eyes widen. Oh, shit, did he say that out loud? Oh well, it's not like he mumbled about something embarrassing. Dai lets go of one of his wrists and places a hand dangerously close to his throat. Something in her eyes change. It makes Izuku immensely uncomfortable. Where did you hear that? Dai snaps, making Izuku flinch slightly. Where did you hear that? More firm and loud this time. Izuku has never seen her like this. She sounds and looks horrified. The look in her eyes resembles a flashback. And not the kind that causes someone to cower and scream bloody murder, but the kind that makes you think you're still there. Like you're still in the War of Vietnam, and someone is coming to kill you, shoot you, chop your head off, blow you up. Izuku swallows, feeling Dai's cold fingertips on his skin. Her hand presses tighter. If the pressure on his throat grows anymore, he might lose the ability to breathe. Dai, why you're scaring me? Izuku wheezes. Dai's eyes dart around in fear like she no longer can see Izuku below her. Vivemus. Dai's lips barely part when she says that, but something about that word makes Izuku panic. Memento mori, memento mori. Dai whispers, freaking Izuku out further. Izuku squirms, trying to escape her grasp but fails when she presses hard on his trachea. Izuku lets out a pained squeak as his airway closes. Memento mori. Dai's other hand leaves Izuku's wrist. She raises it above his head. It's shaking violently, looking as if her brain is fighting an involuntary action. Tears well in her eyes as her hand grows closer to his face. He can't move. The fear pulsating through his veins keeps him locked to the floor. Dai's teeth grind together, hurting Izuku's ears. Her breaths are angry. She looks at Izuku like he is the enemy. Dai. Izuku tries to vocalize but fails. A tear falls from Dai's wet eyes and lands on Izuku's cheek. Izuku's vision is blurring. The loss of oxygen is bringing him to a state of unconsciousness. He can feel tears of his own start to appear. He closes his eyes. Dai. The weight is released off his throat and body in an instant. Izuku inhales sharply and coughs, rubbing his neck. In out, in out, in out. Izuku attempts to get his breathing back to normal after being constricted. Tear-filled eyes glance at a distressed Dai under Hiroto on the ground. Hiroto has her pinned, and Dai is thrashing, struggling, screaming. Izuku's heart rate never slows. It continues to thump and thump against his chest as he watches as his mentor has a meltdown. A hand gently places itself on his shoulder. He flinches but relaxes when he glances back. Yu crouches behind him, staring at Dai and Hiroto with great concern. Dai hey shhh, Hiroto says, holding Dai tightly. Dai screeches, nearing a state that should be considered feral. Interfishes me. The blood in Izuku's head drops to his stomach. He can hear someone's feet beating on the ground behind him. Turning, Izuku sees Yuma running down the hall. She must have heard the screaming. Dai is now hysterically crying. The sight makes Izuku want to vomit. It's so bizarre and not right. Dai, hey. Hiroto grabs both sides of Dai's head and makes her face him. Look at me. Dai's chest rises and falls quickly, breathing heavily. You're not there. Dai stares at him. You're not there. A pause. Aye. Hiroto moves his hand from her face to behind her, pulling her upward from the ground. He envelopes her in a tight embrace, bringing her upright. His hands tangle in her long hair, gripping messily on her shirt. Yuma and Yu stand behind Izuku with fearful expressions on their faces. They seem just as confused and terrified as Izuku. Dai's cries turn muffled as she digs her face into Hiroto's shoulder. She wraps her arms around his torso and squeezes. Izuku watches. Yuma watches. Yu watches. That's all they can do. Izuku plays with the hem of his shirt nervously. Yuma and he sit on the couch in the common room silently, practically hearing the ticks of a clock. Yu shuffles out of the kitchen and over to the couch. Izuku watches Yu crouch down to Izuku's eye level in front of him, holding a glass of water. She holds it out to him, signing with her other hand. Drink, please. He takes it from her, holding it with both hands. Moving one of his hands from the glass, he signs back. Thank you. Yu nods and moves to the leather chair across from him. They wait, and they wait. Hiroto walks through the doorway and Izuku almost faints from the relief. He starts to stand but stops when Hiroto puts his hand up. He narrows his eyes, confused. Where's Dai? Izuku asks, lowering back to the couch. Resting. Hiroto sounds exhausted. Hiroto what? Hiroto sighs, walking up to Izuku. Like you before, he crouches to eye level. Buddy, this was a lot. He places a soft hand on his knee. His eyebrows are creased upward with worry. Izuku subconsciously rubs his throat with a hand, keeping eye contact with Hiroto. The timing wasn't great, I know. Hiroto continues. What happened? Izuku says before Hiroto has the chance to add to his sentence. A sigh. You know what post-traumatic stress disorder is, right? Izuku nods. He remembers learning about PTSD a little when watching hero interviews. Does Dai has had a very rough past, Hiroto says hesitantly and carefully. His voice is brittle, like he's trying very hard to be quiet. And unfortunately, because of that past, she has moments like what you just saw. Izuku swallows. He can still feel her hand around his neck, squeezing and pressing. The fear and anger on her face will forever stay imprinted on his brain. How come this has never happened until now? Hiroto tilts his head. I mean, I've been training with you guys for 10 months. Why did I just now see an attack? Because nothing has triggered one, Hiroto says calmly. Midoriya, be honest with me. Izuku nods. Do you remember anything before she panicked? Where did you hear that? Yeah. I was mumbling to myself and didn't realize. I said something I heard earlier on my way here. What was it? It was just a word. Obsecro. Hiroto's face pales. Shit. Izuku can see Yuma and you looking at each other. They seem as equally confused as Izuku as to why Hiroto looks like he's about to collapse. Midoriya, where did you hear that? Where did you hear that? Izuku swallows again. On my way here. There was a man in a hospital gown that bumped into me. He was obviously panicked and in a lot of stress. Izuku pauses, looking at Hiroto's attentive facial features. Something weird happened. Like it was similar to when my quirk first manifested. The only thing that was different was that something grabbed him and dragged him away before he could fully transform. Or at least before I could really get a grasp of the situation. Hiroto hums, placing a hand on his face. That's when he said it. He was saying, kill me, please, and I think it was Latin. That was Latin, Hiroto says a little too fast. Izuku's mouth opens. Kid, I'm so glad you're okay. I'm even more thankful you were not hurt, but I think you should go home. At least for the next couple of days. What? Izuku blinks in confusion. Hiroto is acting weird. He's never seen the man so disturbed, let alone so quiet. What? Why? Izuku asks, glancing at Yuma and then back at Hiroto. It has been a long day, but I know you want answers, I understand. But Dai needs a little time to process what just happened. But, kid, please. Dai is very upset right now, especially after scaring the living daylights out of you. I think we all need a few moments to breathe. Hiroto squeezes his knee firmly. He's serious. Izuku wants to argue, he wants to stay. But his heart says to listen to Hiroto. Today really was a lot. Okay. Hiroto clears his throat and nods. Lifting from his kneel, he swiftly points at Yuma. Walk him to the exit. I need to sit down for a bit. Hiroto puts a hand on his head, before trading places with Yuma on the couch. Yuma walks to the door frame, waiting for Izuku to follow. Izuku looks to you, and then to a tired Hiroto. He stands to his feet and follows Yuma out of the common room. It's best to not argue. Once they get a few feet from the room, Yuma nudges him. I don't know either. Her voice is slightly louder than a whisper. Izuku raises an eyebrow as they continue to walk. Don't know what? Dai's past. That certainly hit Izuku like a brick. Hiroto's the only one that knows. Same with her quirk. You and I have never seen it, nor do we even know what it's called. Yuma keeps her gaze forward as they walk and talk. This is all a little too much for Izuku to process right now. A pregnant pause. How come you've never asked? Yuma hums. I have. So has you. Dai is just not comfortable with sharing that part of herself, and it wouldn't be fair of us to push. Yuma's glance shifts to the side. They walk past Dai's bedroom door, quietly gazing at it. Dai has done a lot for us. She took me, you, and you in. She never cared about our pasts. And said that they never matter because all that does matter is what is ahead. So, I never made it apparent that I needed to know hers. I guess you could say it's a way of saying thank you. Izuku doesn't answer. Listen, I know you don't know us very well, especially Dai. But Dai is Dai. We are us. That's all that matters, right? Yuma looks at Izuku and stops. They reach the exit. Yeah, Yuma smiles. Well, if I don't see you before your exams, good luck. She wraps an arm around his shoulder and squeezes him close. We're proud of you. I hope you know that. Izuku sighs a laugh. Yeah, thanks Yuma. Of course, squirt. She lets go of him and waves goodbye. Don't fuck up. I'll try. Izuku yells back before looking at the exit door and exhaling a long breath. Izuku taps his pencil on his head in thought. Staring down at the paper in front of him, he scratches at his table out of habit with prolonged claws, adding more damage to his ruined desk. He's got exams tomorrow, so it's only natural for Izuku to feel stressed to the bone. Going to school doesn't really help that case, it just makes it worse. Plus, he never really stopped thinking about Dai. Chewing at his lip anxiously, he continues to lock eyes on the slim sheet of paper on his desk. He's so lost in thought, Izuku doesn't hear his teacher call out to him repeatedly. Aya, mid. Midoriya. Snapping out of his trance, he throws his head upward. He almost breaks his pencil in half from the volume of his teacher's voice. What is the answer to number 5? Oh Jesus, he kind of forgot they were in a lesson right now. Everyone in front of him turns in their seats to look at him, chairs squeaking and desks creaking through simple movement. Does he know the answer to number 5? Looking down at his paper, he notices the sheer blankness of it. Great. He looks back up at the board and squints. Okay, yeah, balancing equations, easy. Darting his eyes from paper to board, he can tell his teacher is getting agitated. Midoriya, if you don't know, just put 4 with chlorine on the reactant side, 4 with hydrogen chloride on the product side. His teacher blinks. Izuku resumes looking back down at his paper, letting everyone just stare at him blankly. His class hasn't really fully learned balancing chemical equations. It wasn't necessarily a required subject for third years, but his teacher wanted to show them what they'd expect in high school, or even possibly the written exams. Izuku is just lucky he is friends with a snake who went to medical school. Okay, good job, Midoriya. Please pay attention from now on. Izuku nods without lifting his head to achieve eye contact. Everyone turns back around hesitantly, weirded out by Izuku's knowledge of chemistry. He can't really tell what's worse anymore, getting the answer right, or staring off into goddamn space and pretending to get it wrong. He rolls his eyes. God, he can't wait to leave this class. Izuku's phone buzzes, making his leg feel tingly. Glancing at his teacher, whom is writing on the board with chalk, he pulls his device from his pants pocket. Chat, adults and their child. Alcoholic stepfather, hey Midoriya. Child in question, what, I'm in class. Alcoholic stepfather, it's important. Izuku looks up from his phone to make sure his teacher can't see him typing under his desk. He's in the clear. Child in question, all right, what did you do? Alcoholic stepfather, something great, you better be thankful. Child in question, if it doesn't involve getting me out of class, I don't want it. Mom, wait a minute. Alcoholic stepfather sent a photo. Izuku almost chokes on air. Without thinking, he slaps a hand over his mouth, trying not to laugh and scream at the same time. The room goes deathly silent. Do you need a moment, Midoriya? His teacher stands there holding a piece of chalk in his hand, clearly annoyed by the interruption. Izuku's face flushes bright red. Eyeing the phone under his desk, he nods. Standing up, he rushes out of the class and shuts the door behind him. Putting a hand over his mouth, he attempts to stop hysterically laughing in the hallway. He's failing so far. The picture Hiroto sent was straight out of the Deadpool movie. He looks at the photo closer and sees Hiroto waving at the camera from down below in an alley. His ankles look fucked, sticking in awkward angles, bones probably penetrating skin from his ankles. Hiroto stands proudly. Under him is a bundle of unconscious criminals with their bodies in the shape of letters across the concrete. Good luck. He did not. Child in question, I got kicked out of class for that, thank you. Alcoholic stepfather, see, I told you you'd like it. The cool aunt, you did not. The pet snake, I am assuming you put a timer on your phone and then jumped off a building, thus breaking your ankles, just to get a photo. Child in question, I. Alcoholic stepfather, you know what, I don't appreciate this energy. Child in question, but did you? Alcoholic stepfather, we don't talk about it. Mom, you're a hazard to society. Alcoholic stepfather, for the love of God, stop being mean to me. Child in question, my guy. Mom, why was this necessary? Alcoholic stepfather, Midoriya needs encouragement. The cool aunt, from Half-Dead Criminals. Alcoholic stepfather, ... yes. Child in question, I thought it was enlightening. Mom, PLZ, rail me with a train. It will hurt less than this conversation. Mom, hit me. Child in question, how does that even? The cool aunt, 8 pack it up, Thomas the Tank Engine. Child in question, I am done. The pet snake, jail. Mom, it costs 0 yen to not hit send. Child in question, this conversation is giving me a stroke, I'm leaving. Alcoholic stepfather, great, you traumatized our only child. The cool aunt, I did not. Alcoholic stepfather, don't caps lock me. Izuku turns his phone off and sighs a chuckle. He hasn't really talked with them even through text after what happened. It almost feels like a weight was yanked off his shoulders and he can finally breathe normally. Thankfully, from what Izuku saw, Dai must be feeling better, or at least the definition of better for Dai. Izuku is still a little shaken from her attack a few days ago, and they haven't really vocalized since. Hopefully after exams tomorrow, things will somewhat feel normal. To be honest, nothing is normal with those 4, but this right now is not normal for them. It makes Izuku's skin itch that things are so complicated right now with Dai and her emotions. He isn't going to not be there for her though when she is ready. Dai's done too much for him. That would be cruel. Izuku shoves his phone in his pocket, ignoring the rapid buzzing from chat. He inhales and opens the classroom door, avoiding the eyes glued on him. He just needs to make it a little bit longer. Izuku stares at his ceiling with dry, tired eyes. Of course, the night before exams, sleep isn't an option. He tosses and turns, switches his position, gets more blankets, drinks some water. Everything he does, nothing can get him to drift off into the sweet sensation of sleep. All he really can do is look at the ceiling in the dark and twist his fingers in his blanket anxiously. Izuku takes one of his hands and rubs it lightly over his eyes. Fingertips graze over the uneven scar tissue sliced diagonally across his eye. A sigh leaves his parched lips. It's useless. Izuku has too much on his mind. The brain always overrules a tried body. He glances to the side, eyes meeting his alarm clock. 2:30. Damn it. His room lightens up slightly, accompanied by a faint buzz. Turning his head to the side, Izuku sees his phone light upon his desk. Well, he might as well check. It's not like he was sleeping anyway. Lifting his cover off his body, the cool air welcomes him with a chill. Shivering slightly, Izuku lazily hops off his bed to grab his phone. Rubbing his eyes, he unlocks the screen to see who texted him. "Dai, I'm sorry." Izuku pauses for a second, staring at the screen with soft eyes. He types back, "Izuku, are you okay?" "Dai, what the hell are you doing awake?" Izuku rolls his eyes. Of course, Izuku worries about her and she flips it around. "Izuku, you're avoiding the question." "Dai, listen, can we talk?" "Thank God." Izuku might explode if they don't. "Izuku, of course." "Dai, like, Dai, in person." Izuku blinks. "Izuku, do you want me to come over?" "Dai, no, you have exams today. You need sleep." "Izuku, I'd love to wait, but if I don't talk to you soon we'll fail my exams." "Izuku, I'm worried about you." "Dai, you don't have to worry, that's my job." Izuku stares at his phone. Unbelievable. "Izuku, fuck off, let me care about you." It takes her a bit to respond. Izuku watches as the 3 dots pop up and down like she's having a hard time articulating her thoughts. "Dai, okay, Dai, if you can, meet me at B." "Izuku, Amwa." Izuku puts his phone down immediately. Shuffling over to his closet, he throws on his suit as quick as he can. After zipping up, he makes his way to his window, unlocking the latch and sliding it open. The breeze blows slowly on his face as he leans out. Taking a deep breath, he steps out and holds onto the edge of the window. Concentrating on all the energy in his brain, he pushes it through all of his limbs. Like electric currents, he feels the buzz and sparks through each bone and muscle as they extend and grow. Cracks and moans, body half transformed. He pushes off from the side of the building. Accelerating fast, he grabs onto the ledge of the roof next door. Hoisting himself up, he stands for a moment. Deep breath, push, growing taller and shifting to all fours, he growls and canters across the roof. The tiles of the roof clang and clang together as his nails dig. Leap after leap, running and running. Izuku makes his way to BB. Isn't really a special meeting spot. They only have 4 meeting spots, all named a D. It just makes it easier to remember. And it's a safety precaution. B isn't far. It's sandwiched right in the middle of the map between Izuku's home and the hideout. More specifically, it's the roof of the abandoned apartment complex Dai first took him to 10 months ago. Jumping onto the roof of the apartment complex, he skids from the force of the jump. Nails screech on the roof uncomfortably as he stops. Sticking his nose up, he smells for Dai. The wind blows in his direction, shoving the sweet smell of jasmine into his sensitive nose. "Dai, hey, kid." Izuku's ears perk up. Across from him, Dai peeks from the side of the staircase entrance. Even in darkness, he can see her sadness. Rushing forward, he doesn't bother changing back. Dai moves from the structure and half smiles. Izuku almost crashes into her, forgetting that he's massive. He feels like crying as her gentle fingers brush against his fur. Hands moving to each side of his head, she looks at him. "I'm so sorry." Voice almost too soft, she places her forehead onto his. After a moment, Izuku sniffs and backs out of her touch. He takes the energy flowing, dancing, jumping around in each limb, and he raises it back into his head. Dai what Izuku reaches eye level, and then below eye level. His suit mends itself together carefully. He can feel it as it closes up each rip and tightens up. "What happened?" Dai sighs and walks past Izuku and over to the ledge of the roof. Izuku watches as she sits, legs dangling. A hand pats next to her on the ground. Izuku obeys, legs swinging anxiously over the ledge of the roof. Izuku stares off into the bright city lights. Twinkling in the distance, the lights, streets, and buildings shine amazingly. "I assume you know that no one really knows about my past." Izuku nods, moving his head to face her. "No one can know." Izuku blinks slowly, studying her face carefully. "She's serious." "Dai, Hiroto is the only one that knows because ... well, he was with me in my past. More specifically, my rough patches." Dai looks and sounds uncomfortable. This really isn't a nice subject for her to be speaking about. He just stays silent, listening to her and being patient. "I can't tell you that past yet. I am not ready for you to know." "Dai, it's okay, but I do want you to know that what you said scared the shit out of me." A pause. "All I can say is I never really thought I would hear Latin in Japan. Ever again." Izuku silently stares at her. She looks tired. Her long hair blows in the wind, tangling behind her and sweeping the roof under them. I'm really sorry I scared you like that, buddy, Dai says, voice cracking with emotions. I'm a mess of a person. I am not right in the head. I'm complicated, and sometimes I feel like some K kind of. She sounds like she's crying now. Through the bright lights of the city, tears glisten. Monster, Izuku finishes for her. He never stops looking at her. Dai chuckles sadly, nodding and wiping a tear from her eye with a thumb. I'm a hypocrite, I know. I tell you you're not a monster, which you aren't for your experiences. But here I am. Izuku thinks for a second. The word monster. I think that the word monster isn't really a bad thing anymore. He blurts. Dai opens her mouth, but Izuku cuts her off. I've thought about this sometimes, especially after talking with you, but Izuku breathes. Dai ... We didn't do any of this without full remorse. I didn't kill the Sludge villain because I wanted to. I did because I was terrified. Izuku pauses and takes another breath. Dai nods, allowing for another tear to fall. I guess what I'm saying is ... Yeah, sure, call us monsters. But I think monsters get scared too, you know? And there is nothing wrong with that. Dai continues to stare at him. Everyone has a little monster within them. It just depends on the degree, not the kind. If that makes sense. Dai nods, continuing to let Izuku speak his mind patiently. I guess I fully started to realize this when Eraserhead refused to arrest me. He saw that yes, I physically was a monster, but I didn't want to do monstrous things. Izuku shrugs, moving his gaze back to the city. I don't know what happened to you, or why you think you're some kind of bad person, but as you said to me what seems like a long time ago is, you aren't and you never will be. Kid, you aren't a bad person, Dai. You help people. You go out of your way to save even people that don't deserve saving because you want to. Whatever happened to you doesn't mean you're an awful person. And whatever happened, if you aren't ready to tell me, then that's completely fine. Izuku looks down at his feet, feeling the breeze move his hair in different directions. Yeah, you scared me, Dai. You really did. But what scared me most was that you were so scared of yourself. Izuku looks back up and finds Dai with more tears in her eyes. Sorry if that made no sense. I tend to ramble nonsense most of the time. But I think what I'm trying to say is that ... It's okay. Izuku blinks and opens his mouth again, but is cut off when Dai grabs him. Wrapping her arms around him, she buries her face into the crook of his shoulder. Hesitantly, Izuku wraps his arms around her back, feeling the tingle of her hair on his skin. It's okay, Dai. Man, fuck you. When did you get so grown up? Dai says against his shoulder. Her voice is muffled because of his clothes. Izuku chuckles. I don't know. Someone's gotta be the adult here. Oh, stop. Dai's fingers find Izuku's hair and she plays with the ends of the curls. His mom does the same when they hug. Thank you, kid. Izuku smiles. Of course, I care about you, Dai. You're like my weird second mom. Dai snorts against his shoulder. Just because you care for me doesn't mean I can't do the same for you, Izuku adds. Dai nods against him. Just promise me you'll tell me when you're ready. A pause. Yeah, kid. I promise. I swear, it has to be him. Dai is in the kitchen with Hiroto. The lights are dimmed and the air is quiet. Dai is still a little emotionally exhausted from her conversation with Midoriya, so she leans against the counter for support. She hasn't really ... had a chance to talk to Hiroto about this in the past few days. Laying in bed and thinking was all she could really bring herself to do. Dai, the guy's been dead for 2 years. When the kid mentioned a Latin speaker, I feared the worst too, but come on. Hiroto crosses his arms, leaning against the fridge. And how do you know that? Dai spits quietly, trying to keep her volume low. She feels so many emotions inside all at once. It is hard fighting off the urge to scream. Because after we did that to him, there is no way he didn't bleed out. For everyone's sake, try not to think of the worst. It had to have been a coincidence. Dai is silent for a second. She feels her hand gently lift. Hiroto's hand holds hers softly, looking down at the rings on her fingers. He twists the one on her ring finger off, revealing a circular burn scar. He rubs it with his thumb, keeping his gaze downward. Is it really a coincidence if it involves a quirk like that? Hiroto sighs. He's gone, Dai. He has to be gone. She feels like crying. She knows he's gone, she knows. But for some reason, his presence feels too close for comfort. Like a hand wraps itself around her neck, fingers tapping, clenching, squeezing her skin to suffocate. Hiroto pulls her hand, bringing her close. He wraps an arm around her shoulders and holds her to his chest. Dai can hear his heartbeat as her head pressed against him. I know, Dai stutters. Hiroto puts a hand on her head and stays like that for a moment. I hope to God you're right. Her voice cracks. Hiroto sighs, and Dai can hear it in his chest. A fat tear falls from the corner of her right eye, staining Hiroto's shirt. He stays silent as she weeps quietly in his grasp. Izuku gazes at the gate of Yue. Jesus Christ, it's huge. This is giving him anxiety just looking at the campus. Yuma would be buzzing with excitement if she ever got a chance to walk in. Gripping at his backpack strap tightly, He swallows and steps inside. He glances at the people walking around him, finding pairs of friends to loners. He's one of those loners. His nervousness grows larger as he approaches the building. Can he really do this? Move it, dumbass. Izuku jumps. Looking back, he finds Bakugo walking behind him with a disgusted glare on his face. Izuku feels his face fall and eyes narrow. God, he better not be in the same room as him. Nice to see you too, Bakugo. Izuku rolls his eyes and lets Bakugo pass him. Bakugo clicks his tongue with annoyance as he walks past Izuku, shoving his hands in his pockets. Izuku sighs and continues to walk towards the door. Man, someone's not very nice this morning, a feminine voice says next to Izuku. Izuku's eyes slide to the side and find a perky girl with pink cheeks and brown short hair. She's smiling at Izuku. Yeah, he's Kiki, Izuku says with a grumble. Trust me when I say this is him being mellow. The girl covers her mouth and chuckles. You nervous? The girl asks, keeping a strong gaze towards him. She's pretty. Izuku smiles back. You could say that, Izuku says with a semi-laugh. What about you? Oh, definitely. This place is huge, the girl exclaims. They reach the door and Izuku pulls it open, letting the girl pass through. She nods a thank you as they both walk in. Good lord, how is he going to find his way around this school? He looks around slowly. It's definitely an upgrade to junior high. Someone that looks like a guide smiles and points them in the direction they need to go for the meeting. Izuku and the girl thank him and head down. The meeting spot is a large auditorium of some sort, and there are a lot of people. Izuku swallows down the nervous lump in his throat like bile and walks down the steps to find a seat. The girl taps his arm and points to 2 empty seats. They both sit in the crowded room, practically taking in everyone's body heat. Izuku pulls out the card he was given earlier with all of his information. He blinks as he reads through all the information. ALRIIIGHT everybody. A voice booms through the room, almost making the seat shake from under them. Everyone grows quiet and Izuku can feel a familiar shiver down his brain stem. Izuku recognizes that voice. Not everyone can sound that loud and obnoxious. Narrowing his eyes, he finds Present Mike standing enthusiastically on the stage. His old fanboy self would be having a heart attack right now, but he just looks at the hero with a half smile. Present Mike is actually a hero that attended a chase for him and Yuma a couple of months back. They needed someone as loud as him to help, especially when it involved dogs and heightened hearing. God, he can practically still feel his ears ringing. Oh my god, it's Present Mike. I listen to his radio show like all the time. The girl next to him whispers excitedly. Izuku shoots her a smile and then looks back down. Can I get a yeah? The hero shouts. The room is dead silent. Awkward. Izuku clears his throat uncomfortably as everyone in the room just stares at the hero on the stage. This is going to be a long day. Izuku stretches his arms as he stands in front of an even larger gate than the school's entrance. Why is everything so absurdly huge here? He has on something similar to the combat suit he wears out with the Oni. Only it's red and black and less vigilante-like. It has no hood or mask. He can't risk looking that similar to Cerberus. He'd wear a normal tracksuit or workout clothes, but he can't risk shredding his clothes without the comfort of memory threads either. Oh yeah, I never asked, but what happened to your eye? The girl he'd been with earlier found herself next to Izuku. Luckily he has someone familiar in here. She's tapping her eye, showing that she's talking about the long scar sliced across his eye. He tries to think of a lie when the buzzers scream. Oh god, he wasn't paying attention. I slammed into a street sign. Izuku shouts a lie as he starts to run with the crowd. Good luck. He doesn't give her a chance to respond. He's already in, running down the streets of the faux city. He thinks of a plan. Present Mike explained that each robot had point values, and smashing them is all you have to do. Honestly, that's odd to Izuku. A hero entrance exam without any saving. Isn't that basically the whole point of being a hero? Lost in thought, he doesn't notice the robot slide in front of him. Because of his experience with sneak attacks and working with you, he moves quicker than his brain registers the situation. Jumping in the air, he shoves a concentration of energy into his legs, letting them become large and hairy. With a crack, he spins and kicks the robot's head clean off. Sparks fly and it drops limply. Huffing, he glances at the robot before taking off with his enhanced legs. 3 points. In the corner of his eye, he spots someone on the ground getting cornered by a 3-pointer. They look terrified and completely frazzled, like this is something they didn't sign up for. Changing course, Izuku tiptoe runs up to the robot. Leaping, he lands on its back. Shoving some more energy into his limbs, he creates a large claw and shoves it into the robot's neck, puncturing the metal. Feeling what must be the equivalent of a spinal cord, Izuku rips. Digging his toenails into the metal, he backbends and begins to pull the robot's spine out of its armor. Unclipping his nails from the metal, he flips back and completely yanks the spine out. 6 points. Dropping the spine on the ground, Izuku glances at the person on the ground. They are shaking and their leg looks beat up, but not broken or anything serious. Are you okay? Can you stand? Izuku bends down and offers a hand, more specifically his clawed hand. The person nods and grabs onto one of Izuku's nails since his hand is enormous compared to theirs. He hoists them up and gives them a once-over. Take a quick breather and then head back out. Don't let these things intimidate you. They're pretty useless if you find a weak spot. Izuku winks at them. Thank you, they say, looking at Izuku's appendages. Izuku smiles and nods before taking off in the opposite direction. Shouta stares at the screens in front of him and his colleagues, observing all of the students in the exams. We've got some promising young students here today, Nezu says, sipping from a small cup of tea. He eyes All Might next to him, making Shouta raise an eyebrow. There are a lot of participants this year, and most of them are around the same as last year. He watches as a blonde completely obliterates a robot with an exploding palm, looking absolutely feral. Shouta sighs and takes a sip of coffee. It's too early for this. Now that's something you don't see every day. Shouta hears Mike say at one of the screens. Shouta looks up from his cup, coffee still in his mouth mid-swallow. He looks at the screen and finds a boy with large animalistic features on his limbs, looking wolf-like. And unlike all of the other participants, he's helping the other students. It seems his goal isn't getting the most points, but more so to help those that are struggling. He doesn't just destroy more like absolutely mutilating gruesomely robots that corner people, but he also helps them and makes sure they are okay. Huh, did the boy figure it out? Looking closer at his features, he notices a long scar sliced across one of the boy's determined eyes. Shouta chokes on his coffee and almost does a spit take. Coughing, he tries to regain his breath. It's Cerberus. Who's that? Shouta hears All Might speak up. Midoriya Izuku. Nezu responds, taking another sip of his tea. Interesting one, isn't he? All Might nods, continuing to look at the screen. I don't think I've seen someone get this many points before. Midnight speaks up. She's right. With combat points on top of rescue, the kid might have broken a record. Feeling a smile creep on his face, he almost senses proudness inside. All right, I think it's time. Everyone looks at Nezu as he hovers a paw over one of the buttons. Shouta groans internally as the principal presses the button. He hates this part. Izuku can feel his bones start to cry and protest as he moves quickly down the street in search of more robots. He thinks he did pretty good so far on points, but if he wants a guaranteed in, he needs a few more. Something suddenly feels wrong. Slowing to a stop, he waits and looks around. No one else has noticed this feeling. Looking down, he sees pieces of gravel start to vibrate and shake. Something big is coming. He can feel the vibrations through his nails and up to his spine. Something moves, grabbing his attention. Oh my god. Metal screeches and asphalt crunches as wheels roll. That's the 0-pointer. Izuku's mouth gapes open as he stares at the enormous robot the size of Godzilla looking down at him. He watches as people run past him in fear, trying to get away from that thing. It could literally crush someone. What is this school thinking? Izuku prepares to turn tail but stops when he hears someone whimper. Help. Izuku turns back in the direction of the robot and finds that girl from earlier trapped under rubble. Her leg is wholly sandwiched in between chunks of rock. She'll be crushed to death if someone doesn't help her. Everyone around him continues to cower away, fearful of the insanely huge robot rolling towards them. Izuku tries to think of a plan. The robot is moving slowly, so that gives him some time, but not very much. He could pry the girl out of the rubble, but he can't risk it. He doesn't know the extent of her injuries. Tapping a toenail on the ground in thought, he looks up at the robot. Bingo. Izuku pushes off into a sprint, getting weird looks from the people he passes. He shoves more and more energy into his body, but not all of it. He keeps some of it in his brain, leaving his body looking like something similar to Yuma's form. He stays half transformed without the bones and spines on his back, and more so like a regular werewolf. He can't fully transform here or he's toast. Jumping from all fours, he flings himself to the building to his left and runs. Hiroto taught him how to use his claws like snowshoes as he runs, so any surface can be used for running. Izuku smiles as he runs awkwardly on the building, internally thanking Hiroto for the skill. As he approaches the robot, he hunches his body and presses his legs and arms on the wall. He releases, shooting towards the robot. He slams his clawed hands into the metal, hanging on for dear life. Tail swishing under him, he looks down and finds that the robot is getting closer to the girl. Shit, Izuku growls as he climbs up the metal. Reaching the robot's head, he notices a gap between its head and the armor on its back. Just like he thought, it has a weak spot like all the other robots. Taking a deep breath, he squeezes himself down into the gap. If he's going to bring this thing down, he needs to do it internally. Worming around in the wires and metal plates, he makes his way to the center. Every robot has a core that supplies the energy. Izuku just needs to find it. Looking around in the dark insides of the robot, he spots something that kind of looks like it could be a core. It's too big for him to just rip out with his hands. Welp, fuck it. Letting the rest of the energy stored in his head free. He grows larger and larger. Bones and spines shoot out and his snout grows uncomfortably. A growl echoes inside the robot as he claws his way to the core. Reaching it, he opens his mouth that's filled with hot acid and he chomps down hard. It explodes. Oh, Izuku feels the robot begin to stop and hunch forward. It doesn't fall. Perfect. Letting go of the core, he lets the energy flow back up into his head partially. Izuku makes his way to what he thinks is the chest plate and he claws the metal open like a tuna can. The bright light of the sun partially blinds him as he squeezes out of the hole like an alien parasite. Sliding out, he puts one of his clawed hands half into the metal and he drops. The sound of metal ripping is hot and painful to his ears, making him cringe uncomfortably. Reaching the comforting asphalt of the ground once again, he chances fully human and runs over to the girl trapped under the rubble to make sure she's okay. Are you okay? He crouches down to her eye level and gets a nod in return. She looks up at the dead robot above her and then back over to him. She faints. Shit. Izuku catches her head before she smacks it onto the ground. The last thing she needs is a concussion. That was really something, dear, an elderly voice says behind him. He turns and finds a very short woman in a medical coat with a cane. Ah, it's Recovery Girl. You would be screaming right now if she got to meet Recovery Girl. Are you hurt? She asks Izuku. He shakes his head and she raises an eyebrow and glances at his face. Oh, right. He probably looks stupid because of the explosion straight to the face. I'm okay, I promise. She nods and looks at the girl on the ground. I didn't want to remove her from the rubble in case it was preventing bleeding, so I went for the robot instead. Recovery Girl shuffles over to him and the girl. Waving a couple of medical robots over to the rubble, she instructs them to lift the rocks. You're a smart one. Not a lot of people think to do that, she says as she bends down to deliver a soft kiss to the girl's head. Izuku chuckles and rubs his head sheepishly. I have a friend that's in the medical field. Recovery Girl hums. Well, if you're okay, you can head over to the rest of the group. Good luck with results, Han. Izuku bows and runs over to the uninjured group walking out of the gate. He feels a smile creep onto his face. That went surprisingly well. Now comes the worst part, waiting for the results. Oh my god, I'm going to combust. Izuku snorts as he watches Yuma pace around in his living room. He's scrolling through his phone on the couch lazily. It's been a couple of weeks since the entrance exam, and the results should be out sometime today. You stressing is making me stress. Shush, Izuku says. Yo Midoriya, your mom wants to know if you want Katsuden tonight. Hiroto shouts from the kitchen. Izuku looks over the back of the couch. Is that even a real question? He says with a slight laugh. Katsuden it is. He invited the Oni over for dinner tonight. Yeah, he was nervous about what his mom was going to think of 4 adults coming over, but she was surprisingly fine with it. She mostly just seemed too thrilled by the idea of meeting the people that have been in Izuku's life for the past year to really even care. The vigilante part had to stay out though. He isn't about to watch her pass out tonight. So today, the Oni are just a bunch of normal civilians. Something crashes in the kitchen. Wasn't me. Hiroto shouts. I'm gonna kick your ass out of the kitchen if you do that again, Dai responds. Yes, normal. He can hear his mom giggle as she throws something into a pan. It makes him smile deeper. Yuma screams and it startles Izuku so much he practically falls off the couch. Something crashes again in the kitchen. Damn it, Hiroto. It's Hereit's here. Yuma shouts excitedly. She's jumping with joy as she holds an envelope in her hand with a UE seal on it. Izuku jumps to his feet and rushes over to Yuma, snatching the envelope out of her hands. Everyone in the kitchen rushes over to the two excitedly. His mom looks like she's ready to pass out. Izuku brings the envelope over to the living room and sits back onto the couch. Everyone crowds around and behind him so close he can feel the energy radiating off of them. Yu places her hands on his shoulders and squeezes. Inhaling, he rips the envelope open. A plastic device pops out and lands on the coffee table in front of him. It clacks and immediately lights up. He feels Yu flinch slightly as a hologram appears in front of them. Is this thing on? Oh shit, Izuku's eyes widen as he watches Eraserhead stand awkwardly on the hologram as if he's never done this before in his life. Hey kid, I don't usually do these things, but I found it appropriate all things considered. Izuku can already feel tears welling up in his eyes. I saw you during the exam and was impressed. You did what no other student did. And that was prioritize other people over your own results. A slight smile appears on Eraserhead's lips. Izuku might explode. The anticipation is killing everyone. A screen pops up behind Eraserhead and Izuku's eyes almost fall out of his face. As seen here, these are your results from the exam. You passed the written just fine. And your practical? Goddamn kid, I am not going to watch my language. He scowls at someone off camera and then returns to his normal composure. You received 120 points combined in the practical exam, setting a record. Izuku's mouth hangs open slightly. Holy shit, kid. Hiroto shouts in his ear. SHH. Dai shushes him, pointing to the screen. Eraserhead isn't done yet. You said it yourself, problem child. You want to be a hero. So, I'll see you in class, Midoriya. Izuku. Eraserhead winks and the hologram shuts off. The room is quiet for a long second. Yuma squeals, breaking the silence, and everyone cheers. Tears fall from his eyes as he looks down at the device. He did it. He did it. Hiroto grabs Izuku from under his armpits and hoists him up, throwing him onto his shoulders. You did it, kid. I'm so proud of you, honey. Everyone jumps around with excitement and glee. I knew you could do it, squirt. Hiroto lets Izuku down and everyone smacks into him. Dai wraps her arms around his body and everyone follows. Izuku is now hysterically crying as everyone squeezes tight. He leans his head against Yuma's and smiles. They stay like that for a while. I am so proud of you, Midoriya, Dai whispers. Izuku's heart warms from those words. He looks up with tear-filled eyes to his mom, who is standing there with a stupidly wide smile on her face. Tears fall from her own face as she watches his friends hug him tightly. Hiroto sniffs. Hey, is something burning? His mom almost leaps out of her own skin. Oh, shoot. She scurries over to the kitchen in a panic and Izuku snorts. I'll help. Hiroto yells and runs after her. No, you won't. Dai responds as she lets go of Izuku and chases after Hiroto. Izuku is left with Yu and Yuma laughing in the living room. Yu moves to face him and gives him the warmest smile a serpent could give. Yuma slams a hand onto his head and ruffles his curls. Knew you could do it, kid, Yuma says with a cheeky smile. Now let's go help with dinner. Izuku nods and walks to the kitchen with Yuma and Yu next to him. Hiroto suddenly runs past them and an object flies towards Izuku, causing him to squeak and duck. Turning around, he sees a wooden spoon clack onto the ground. Sorry, Midoriya, Dai says apologetically. The spoon must have been for Hiroto. Can you guys not throw things in my house? Izuku says with a chuckle. His mom laughs. Oh, I don't mind, honey. They are making things exciting. He rolls his eyes with a smile and goes to find something to do in the kitchen to help his mom. Well, we are just so much fun, Yuma says, grabbing a piece of cooked pork from the plate on the table. Izuku swats at her but she shoves it in her mouth, smiling with cheeks full. Dai, was it? His mom asks, turning her head to Dai next to her. Dai hums and nods her head, grabbing a towel to help move over one of the pans. How did you stumble upon my Izuku? His mom keeps her gaze down at the pan in front of her, stirring the eggs around. Don't get me wrong, Han. You're all so sweet, but I never expected people like you to befriend him. Dai glances over at Izuku briefly before looking back over at his mom. Well, we ran into him a couple of times actually. The first time during the sludge attack and the second the next day. There was something about him that caught my eye. How so? His mom asks. Dai puts the towel over her shoulder and leans against the counter. We live in a difficult world, Mrs. Midoriya. She sighs and looks at Izuku. He was put down and shit on for something he can't control, and I could see in his eyes that well, he was just about ready to give up. Izuku moves to sit at the table, continuing to look at Dai and his mother carefully. Dai looks at Izuku with soft eyes. I was tired of watching people give up. His mom moves the pan off the burner slowly. Well, I appreciate you and your want to help my son. I could tell that Izuku was so much happier during these past few months. And I'm glad you're the reason for that. We were happy to, Hiroto chimes in, walking back into the kitchen. He gets a glare from Dai for coming back into the room, but she drops it. Even though you did lie to me about where you were for a while, his mom adds, pointing her spoon at Izuku. He cringes. I said I was sorry for that. His mom giggles, bringing the spoon back to the pan. It's all right. I'm just glad you finally let me meet your friends. Yu taps Izuku's shoulder, causing him to look back at her. She smiles like she has something planned and signs something. His eyes widen. No, absolutely not. He whispers a little too loud. Yu's scaly smile only widens. What did she say? His mom asks, curious as to what Yu was saying with her hands. Yu snickers and signs to Dai. Dai gasps. You want to see Midoriya's baby pictures? What a wonderful idea. Izuku face bombs. His mom's face lights up. There are a few albums on the shelf over there. After dinner, I can show you some of my old home videos if you would like. No, Izuku groans and slides down his chair. I regret bringing you guys now. Oh, come on, it was bound to happen eventually, Hiroto jokes, already walking towards the shelf to grab his pick. I hate all of you. No, you don't. Yuma elbows him before following Hiroto and Yu. Oh, Izuku, what's so bad about them? His mom laughs, mixing the ingredients together in a big bowl. They're embarrassing. He hears Hiroto belt a laugh from the living room. Damn kid, you had one hell of an all-might phase. Awa the little onesie is so cooed. Yuma cuts in. Oh man, I gotta see this. Dai heads towards the living room and Izuku covers his face with his hands with immense embarrassment. He can sense the color of his skin turn tomato red as Dai goes to sit with everyone else. He feels his mom's touch suddenly. Lifting his face from his hands, he sees her rubbing a gentle hand through his thick hair. What is it? Izuku asks. Nothing, honey, I'm just happy for you. She leans forward and places a quick kiss on his forehead. Letting go of his head, she walks towards the living room. If you guys want, I have all of his old drawings saved from when he was little. Izuku's eyes widen. No, are you sure you don't want us to walk with you? Tai says on the other end of the phone. Izuku snorts a laugh into the phone. His phone is in between his shoulder and ear as he tries to fiddle with his tie. No use, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Nah, I'd rather not show up to my first day of school with 4 vigilantes as my bodyguards. Can I at least come over and help you with your tie? Hiroto shouts from across the room on the other end. Izuku pauses and looks down at the monstrosity of a tie he has on. And oh, fine, I'm teaching you after school because I know it's bad. Hey, oh hush Hiroto. Anyway, good luck on your first day, Squirt. Kick ass. Got it, mother. Izuku laughs as the phone call ends. He shoves his phone in his pocket and picks his backpack up. Looking at his tie one more time, he cringes. Ish. Oh well, he'll just have to deal with it for today. Running down the stairs, his mom is waiting there patiently. Are you ready for your first day, honey? Izuku nods as he slips his shoes on. He reaches for the door handle when his mom stops him. He looks back to face her. Be careful out there. Izuku smiles. I will, Mom, don't worry. He pulls the door open and shuts it behind him. Izuku will never get used to walking to a school this large. Every time he gets closer to the front gate, he feels like his spine is going to fall out and onto the sidewalk. Grabbing at his backpack straps with both hands, he puts his head down and walks faster. He makes it inside quickly. Now here comes the real challenge, finding 1A's classroom. It was said that it's on the 2nd floor. He climbs up the stairs, and to his luck he is greeted by the first-year classrooms. Hey, someone shouts. Izuku turns his head and finds the girl from the entrance exam running towards him from behind him with a smile on her face. What's up, stranger? She gleams as she approaches him. Izuku smiles as she moves to walk next to him. Hey, you passed, congrats. Izuku says excitedly. Thanks to you, honestly, she says, rubbing the back of her head. I would have been toast if you didn't do what you did, which was insane, by the way. Izuku nods with the same smile. Of course, I wasn't going to leave you there. And it wasn't much. I'm just glad my face didn't blow off when I exploded its core. He laughs nervously and continues to walk forward. He just realized he never got her name. By the way, what's your name? You're Araka Achako. And you? Midoriya Izuku. Izuku responds. They both reach the marker that says 1A and they stop. Oh nice, they are in the same class. He looks at the door. Jesus, what is with this place and big-ass doors? Blinking, he slides the door open. Oh, for the love of, remove your feet at once. Or what 4 eyes? Izuku knew Bakugo got into Yui. But why? Just why did they have to be in the same class again? He groans and places a hand on his head. He can already feel a headache coming on. The blue-haired guy with glasses grumbles with annoyance. You are acting incredibly inappropriate. You're going to scuff up school property, you cretin. Bakugo opens his mouth but stops when he sees Izuku in the doorway. Here we go. A growl escapes Bakugo's mouth and he gets out of his seat. What the fuck are you doing here, Deku? Izuku rolls his eyes and walks into the classroom. Deku, your Araka questions. Izuku sends her a don't worry about it glance and heads to find his seat. You didn't answer my question, Deku. Bakugo scowls, stepping in front of him. Izuku just stares at him. How did someone with a weak quirk like yours get into my class? Your class. The one with the glasses speaks up. And I don't know what you mean by weak, because I watched him destroy a 0-pointer with ease. Oh goddammit. What? Bakugo yells. All right, that's enough. To your seats. Izuku turns around and finds Eraserhead walking in with a cup of coffee and his is that a sleeping bag in his hands? He makes eye contact with Eraserhead and the hero stares at his tie. He sighs disappointedly. Izuku gives him an I know it's bad glance before heading to his seat. I'm going to make this short. My name is Shouta Aizawa and I am going to be your homeroom teacher this year. One thing you need to know about me is that I don't do orientation. Go to the locker rooms and get changed into your gym uniforms. I'll see you outside. Eraser Aizawa-sensei turns around and walks out of the room, leaving the whole class confused and honestly quite afraid of what comes next. Orientation will be of no use to you today. Instead, I'm going to assess you on your abilities. Aizawa-sensei holds up a ball. I usually do simple tests like ball throws and meter dashes, but this year is going to be different. The class gives him weird looks. What exactly does he have in mind? Today, we are doing a little thing I like to call manhunt. There is a smile on his face that is kind of uncomfortable to look at. I've only done this a couple of times. The class must participate in a manhunt to find and capture a student with capture tape. Think of it as an intense game of hide and seek and tag combined. The one with the glasses raises his hand. I'm sorry, sir. What does this have to do with assessing our quirks? Aizawa-sensei nods. I will score you based on your mental and physical abilities during this test. Not just your quirk, but more specifically, are you thinking rationally? Are you using your quirk correctly in a given situation? I am testing you and your ability in a situation like this. If you really want to be heroes, I need to see it for myself. But sir, what if your quirk isn't suited for something like this? A girl in a long black ponytail asks. Then you adapt. Quirks aren't everything, and that's what I want you to take from this. He glances at Midoriya. But why do this? Wouldn't it be easier to just do simple tests? The student with the lightning bolt hair asks quickly, getting nods from the whole class. Izuku is curious as well. Why as though now he knows what Aizawa-sensei is doing. Last year I expelled my entire class because they simply couldn't make the cut as heroes, Aizawa-sensei says, silencing the guy who is apparently named Kaminari. I would like to see how you all act against people you are unfamiliar with. He crosses his arm, making Izuku swallow a lump down his throat. After this exercise, I will decide whether or not this class will make the cut. Jesus, Aizawa-sensei, I know you're not serious, but sheesh, way to make the class nervous. Izuku thinks to himself as he glances at his now nervous classmates. Ada, you will go first. Whoever finds and captures Ada will receive 10 points. Then you will switch places. I will award points to those that put in a good effort and show me their abilities, not just their quirk. We will do as many rounds as time allows. Whoever ends this exercise with 0 points will be expelled. Aizawa-sensei walks to the side, signaling for the class to follow him. You're cruel, Izuku mumbles a laugh as his teacher passes him. I try, Aizawa-sensei replies. Yeah, right, like this will be a challenge. Bakugo scoffs, causing a smile to creep onto Izuku's face. He's waited for this moment for a long time. Short explanation. Katsuki is livid. 4 eyes got caught real damn fast. And by who exactly? Deku. Fucking Deku. Katsuki is absolutely fuming. When the hell did the bastard actually get good at this shit? He knew the idiot got into Yui due to their junior high teacher pulling them in to congratulate them. He was pissed, yeah, but he expected the nerd to get into GS, not the fucking hero course. There had to have been some strings pulled. Did he get on the principal's good side or something? Bribe someone? There is no way this is possible. Katsuki ditched the class right as their teacher blew the whistle to go for the second round. They got thrown into some kind of maze with pipes called ground gamma, and it's a mess in here. And why was everyone given earpieces anyway? Aren't they all on their own for this? Each round has a limited amount of time, so Katsuki needs to hurry and find that fucker. Hey Bakugo, any luck? The knockoff Pikachu guy whispers into his earpiece. Katsuki growls and places a finger on the earpiece. Obviously not dumbass, fuck off. So mean. He continues to run, scanning the area for Deku. It can't be that hard to find someone as plain looking as him. Guys, I found him. Wait shit AHG. Kaminari. Katsuki tisks in annoyance as he runs faster. Of course, the idiot found him first. Guys, he got away. He's freaking slippery. Katsuki places a finger on his earpiece. The damn nerd is clumsy as fuck. How do you not catch him? Not even someone like Dunceface can catch Deku. What the hell is going on? Kaminari, do you copy? This is a fucking shit show. How quick is that fucker? I have a visual ribbit. He's near the watchtower thing. The frog girl whispers quietly. She must be close. You got this, Asui. Call me Tsuyu. Katsuki takes a sharp turn in the direction of the watchtower. That frog better not take his shot. You're still there, Tsuyu? Yes, I'm out of weight. Where did he go, ribbit? Damn it. Katsuki internally scowls. He continues to sprint towards the tower, desperately trying to find Deku. Found him. He's still near the watchtower. Wait, what the hell? He just did a backflip off a wall. That was cool. Mina, focus. 4 Eyes shouts authoritatively. The fucker knows Parker. What the hell has he been doing for 10 months? For the love of God, I just watched Midoriya jump off a wall and flip Mina with his legs. His legs. Zero, are you still near the watchtower? This is crazy. The weird grape midget cries in frustration. Annoyed, Katsuki touches his earpiece. How hard is it to catch one fucking person? Well, I don't see you catching anyone. I've lost visual. He fucking dipped, man. Katsuki scowls again. He's almost at the tower. He can see it poking through the thick bundle of pipes. Turning, he hits a spot where there is limited light. Damn it. He keeps running, but it just keeps getting darker and darker. Is he hitting a dead end? The pipes above his head became so thick and concentrated that they closed off all the light around him. Just perfect. Something swipes at his legs, causing him to fly back and land on his ass with a thud. Hoping to his feet immediately, he lights his palms with sparks to lighten his surroundings. I know you're here, you bastard. He turns around in a circle, trying to find Deku. So you can throw a punch now. Since when, you piece of shit? Katsuki mocks, trying to coax Deku out of hiding. Something grabs his shoulder and he turns, arms ready to deliver a blow. One of his extended arms is grabbed, and the next thing he knows, he feels concrete on his back. Did this fucker flip him? Coughing, he sits up. His palms glow red and hot with anger. Deku is toying with him and it's pissing him off. Face me, you coward. Katsuki growls. A finger taps his shoulder and he spins around, delivering an explosion. He hits nothing. Again, finger taps at his shoulder. Explosion. Tap. Explosion. Katsuki screams in frustration. Katsuki feels absolutely feral right now. However, you managed to pull some strings to get here. I don't care. You will always be that weak little Deku. The little freak that can't do anything. Another tap. You will always be. He spins around, lighting his palm for an explosion. The light of his palm catches something not human and it startles Katsuki. It leaps at him, pinning him to the ground with intense weight. It snarls with anger, but he can't see its face. Wiggling a hand free, he lights it with sparks. Long, wet fangs are dangerously close to his face, and oozing between the cracks is green, hot acid. Go ahead, finish. Its voice grumbles monstrously, making Katsuki's insides quake and churn. I will always be what? Deku. A fat lump lodges itself in Katsuki's vocal cords. He can't talk. He just stares at Deku's long muzzle, wet nose, and angry green eyes with so much confusion. Flashes of the Sludge villain attack make him feel ill. Bile threatens to spill out of his mouth. He had suspicions, but goddammit, he was never serious. He gags. A monster. A drop of acid drips onto the ground right next to his face, sizzling into the concrete. He tries to speak, but all that comes out is a squeak. Deku growls again, making the veins in Katsuki's body freeze. I don't think you understand what a monster actually is. Deku's ears turn slightly like they are listening for something. Giving Katsuki one last irritated look, he steps off and disappears completely. An alarm blares. Time is up. Katsuki looks up at what he thinks is the ceiling, before turning over and puking all over the ground. Whoa there, Bakugo, you good? You look pale. Kirishima goes up to Bakugo but is swatted away quickly. I'm fine, Bakugo bites. They went through a couple more rounds before running out of time completely. After Izuku's round, Mina went and then Bakugo, followed by Todoroki and then Jiru. He's honestly surprised Bakugo didn't win every round, but then again, he did look like he was seconds away from vomiting due to the color of his face. He asked Aizawa-sense if he was okay to sit out for the rest after his round because he felt like he was going to puke himself. Understanding the situation after some explaining, Aizawa-sensei let him hang out in the observation room. Izuku stares at Kirishima and Bakugo quietly as Aizawa-sensei walks up to the class. Izuku will admit, what he pulled was not smart whatsoever, but he was just so angry. He stares at Bakugo briefly before looking back over at his classmates. He keeps his mouth shut, feeling the leftover anger swelter through his body. The guy never learns, and it pisses Izuku off. You all did well, but there could have been some improvements. Anyone want to explain? Aizawa-sensei asks. The girl he assumes is Yaoyorozu raises her hand. A lot of us got easily distracted, and when or if we came in contact with the person we were chasing, we would panic and end up relying on our quirks, she says. Aizawa-sensei nods. Very good. Yes, you are here to strengthen your quirks, and yes, you will be using them a lot in the future. But I want you all to realize that against some people, your quirks will do nothing, leaving you helpless. You did well, for the most part, considering today was your first day as heroes in training. Everyone nods, but Izuku can tell that they still look nervous. And as for the expulsions, I lied. Everyone groans and Izuku can't help but smile. It was kind of funny. Before I send you off, what exactly is the takeaway from this? Quirks aren't everything, half the class says, some sounding annoyed. Bakugo looks at Izuku like he's about to throw up. Izuku looks at Bakugo with narrowed eyes. That people never change. Okay, sadly the chapter is over. And if you enjoyed the video, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification, so when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.